Chapter 432. He doesn't know what's going on. He's a temporary actor I invited. Lu Shuangshuang hurriedly explained, I don't care if you want to kill me, but he is really innocent. Xiao Chen had actually woken up a long time ago. He knew exactly what was going on outside. However, he had just broken through, so he had to continue the mantra of the primordial circulation technique to stabilize the primordial energy in his body. Otherwise, if his strength was unstable, it would be easy for him to go berserk. That would be really F***ket. Lu Shuangshuang's performance at the moment made Xiao Chen look at her in a different light. Xiao Chen also roughly understood Lu Shuangshuang's approach. She was acting for the old man, but she was careless and made things worse. But in any case, Lu Shuangshuang's affectionate and loyal attitude made Xiao Chen's impression of her soar. Of course, there was the fact that she had accidentally injured him. In Xiao Chen's heart, he had already regarded Lu Shuangshuang as one of his own. Even if they could not develop into a couple in the future, Xiao Chen would not ignore Lu Shuangshuang's matters. He would even be a little overbearing and restrict her from having a boyfriend in the future. Old thing, are you looking for death? Xiao Chen sat up and stared coldly at the old man in front of him. He asked, You're disturbing me and my girlfriend in the middle of the night. Are you a pervert? What? Xiao Chen, you're awake? Lu Shuangshuang was stunned, but when she heard Xiao Chen's pretense, she was a little worried. This guy just woke up. I don't know what's going on. Is he still acting? However, it was okay for him to act against ordinary people. The key problem was that the old man in front of her was not an ordinary person, but a real warrior and evil cultivator. He was even a very powerful high-end warrior. You're awake. Xiao Chen hugged Lu Shuangshuang, then glared at the old man and said, Why aren't you getting lost? Do you know who I am? I can make you disappear from this planet in minutes. After that, Xiao Chen even winked at Lu Shuangshuang. It seemed to mean that he acted well, right? Didn't it feel good? Does it look like something like that? Lu Shuangshuang didn't know whether to laugh or cry. This Xiao Chen was really into the role, but did he understand the situation? Actually, Lu Shuangshuang misunderstood. Xiao Chen winked at her, signaling her not to worry and not to be nervous. However, Lu Shuangshuang misunderstood him. Xiao Chen, hurry up and leave this place. This person doesn't need you to act. He can kill you. Kill me? I can even kill him. Xiao Chen squinted at the old man and said, Old bastard, are you going to leave by yourself or do you want me to send you off? Why yeah. Boy, I'll let you die first. As he spoke, the old man's aura surged and evil chi was revealed from head to toe. However, it also caused Xiao Chen to be slightly shocked. What was going on? He was a stage 10 inner force evil cultivator. Wasn't he too powerful? Seeing his opponent's strength, Xiao Chen didn't dare to be careless. He made the first move and directly blocked Lu Shuangshuang behind him. Xiao Chen suddenly exploded and smashed his palm towards the old man's chest. Sneak attack when you're unprepared and kill you. This palm of Xiao Chen's was using the primordial chi in his body to the extreme. Dark flame palm 9th style. Asterisk boom. Asterisk the old man spat out a mouthful of blood and was directly sent flying out of the window by Xiao Chen. He crashed into the hill behind the resort. Behind the resort was the foot of a small hill. There was no one at night, so Xiao Chen didn't need to hide anything. Fortunately, this room was at the back of the resort. If it was in the front, there would be cars below and it would be troublesome. However, Xiao Chen didn't relax after his attack. Instead, he followed the old man and jumped out of the window under Lu Shuangshuang's stunned gaze. Naturally, Xiao Chen wanted to kill all the old man and not leave any future trouble. No matter what, he had to kill this old man. First, this old man had a grudge against Lu Shuangshuang. If he didn't kill him, Lu Shuangshuang might be in danger in the future. Lu Shuangshuang was just an ordinary girl without inner force. She was no match for him at all. Second, he saw Xiao Chen's true colors. Xiao Chen had strength and he was very strong. This matter couldn't be spread out for the time being. Otherwise, it would be difficult to investigate the mastermind behind this. The old man fell on a large rock on the hillside. He felt like his bones were about to fall apart. Especially the palm that hit his chest, it made him feel like he was going to die. Just this palm that he wasn't prepared for had caused him serious internal injuries. He never thought that Lu Shuangshuang's boyfriend was actually a master, and a top evil cultivator at that. According to the strength of this palm, his opponent was at least at the peak of stage 9 inner force. This palm was the 9th style of dark flame palm. It was incomparably skilled. It wasn't something that someone who had just entered stage 9 inner force could perform. To be able to perform this martial arts skill so skillfully, Xiao Chen's strength should be around the peak of stage 9 inner force or around stage 10. This was similar to the old man's strength. Moreover, the old man was seriously injured. How could he win? He looked at Xiao Qin, who was chasing after him. He couldn't help but speak timidly. Young hero, I didn't mean to offend you. I promise I won't bother you anymore. If you let me live today, I, the West Mountain Lecher, will repay you handsomely in the future. You're a heretic cultivator and I'm an evil cultivator. Do you think I'll let you go? Xiao Qin's cold voice came from afar. Soon, he descended from the sky and was about to land a blow on the old man's body. Originally, the West Mountain Lecher thought that he would first trick Xiao Qin and let him escape to heal his injuries. When his injuries were healed, he would find Xiao Qin for revenge. Even if he couldn't beat Xiao Qin, he could still vent his anger on his girlfriend, Lu Shuangshuang. However, he didn't expect that Xiao Qin wouldn't be so gullible. This made him feel a little helpless. He gritted his teeth and saw that Xiao Qin was about to come over. His body suddenly burst out a ball of black gas. Xiao Qin jumped in fright and hurriedly dodged backwards. Only God knows what kind of weird situation would happen if he were to come into contact with the black gas that burst out from the body of these evil practitioners. Xiao Qin did not want anything to happen here, he was not even dressed yet. However, after he retreated, when the black gas dissipated, the West Mountain Lecher's figure was already gone. He had disappeared into thin air. Xiao Qin sighed helplessly. His strength was still not enough. If he was at the 9th level of the Qi refinement stage, he wouldn't care about this. He would directly rush into the evil Qi and kill the West Mountain Lecher. But now he didn't dare to take this risk. If he fainted here, his identity would immediately be exposed. Now, only the West Mountain Lecher knew that he had strength. However, he might not be able to connect him with the trash of the Xiao family. These heretic cultivators obviously didn't pay much attention to the aristocratic families in the secular world. For a while, Xiao Qin's identity might not be exposed. Of course, Xiao Qin could only comfort himself like this. He didn't dare to stay for long. After all, he was running naked behind the resort. There was still a ball of red and white sticky under his body. If someone saw this, Xiao Qin would really be ashamed. He got up and flew back to the resort room. He almost bumped into the person on the windowsill. Lu Shuangshuang was standing in front of the windowsill in a daze. Her mind was in a mess. She felt that today's events were like a dream. First of all, she had inexplicably lost her chastity. This was a line of defense that she had guarded for 20 years, but it was broken just like that. It made her feel empty in her heart. But then she didn't have the mood to think about this anymore. Because the West Mountain Lecher had already come to the room and wanted to kill her and Xiao Qin. And at that critical moment, Xiao Qin actually made his move. He's a martial artist? And his strength is very high? He can actually beat the West Mountain Lecher, who was at the 10th level of the inner force? This shocked Lu Shuangshuang. She never thought that Xiao Qian's strength was actually so high. Which big family's disciple is he? No, how can a big family's disciple have this kind of strength? He's so young. I'm afraid he's an outstanding disciple sent by those sects to train. Seeing him jump down from the 4th floor, and then jump back to the 4th floor, forcing the West Mountain Lecher to beg for mercy and escape, Lu Shuangshuang felt that her brain wasn't enough. It can't be my luck is starting to reverse? Shouldn't it be bad luck? Why is it that all of a sudden, a random man is so awesome? That's the existence of the 10th level of the inner force or even higher. She felt that Xiao Qin was able to defeat the West Mountain old pervert, so she subconsciously believed that Xiao Qin had the same level of strength as the West Mountain old pervert, but he might not be stronger. If he was stronger, the West Mountain old pervert would have been killed by Xiao Qin with a single palm strike, and he would not have been able to escape. It has to be said that Lu Shuangshuang's brain is quite bright. This is also related to her hanging out in the warrior guild all day long. She has heard about the levels of these martial artists. When Xiao Qin returned to the room, he couldn't help but feel a little awkward facing Lu Shuangshuang. Just now he went to beat someone up, but now that there were only the two of them in the room, Xiao Qin didn't have the domineering attitude from before. Lu Shuangshuang, what's going on? Xiao Qin looked at Lu Shuangshuang, but he couldn't bear to blame her, so he could only frown and ask. Although he was used by this greedy girl, didn't he also get a greater benefit? Not to mention the increase in strength, just the fact that Lu Shuangshuang gave her body to him, made Xiao Qin unable to get angry at her. Previously, when he accidentally hurt her, it could be said that it was Lu Shuangshuang's fault, but later on, it was Xiao Qin's own fault. She didn't even move. Why did you get angry? Aren't you just taking responsibility for yourself? However, Xiao Qin is not a person who cares about small things. Ever since he was kicked out of the Xiao family, Xiao Qin experienced a lot of things. His whole thinking and mentality changed. Since it has already happened, he won't regret it, he just wants to deal with it properly. Xiaoqin. I'm sorry. I almost killed you. Lu Shuangshuang's face was a little pale. She thought that if Xiaoqin didn't have the strength today, then Xiaoqin would have been implicated by her. Chapter 433. Hearing that Lu Shuangshuang's first sentence was to apologize instead of blaming him for accidentally hurting her, Xiaoqin's impression of this girl suddenly changed. In the past he thought that she was a super greedy girl. It was reasonable to say that if such a thing happened, especially after he showed some abilities in front of Fat Bear and Xie Kenjun, the first thing she would think of was to use this kind of thing to blame him, and then ask him to support her in the future. However, this didn't happen. This made Xiaoqin have a new understanding of Lu Shuangshuang. Even if she was the one who tricked him into coming here and was used without knowing it, and if she didn't have the strength, she would have almost died. However, he had done that to her. In Xiaoqin's opinion, this matter was more or less even. Can you tell me what's going on? Xiaoqin still couldn't understand how Lu Shuangshuang provoked such a powerful evil practitioner. Moreover, why did she have to pretend to have sex with other men in front of this evil practitioner? AI. Lu Shuangshuang couldn't help but sigh after listening. Then she suddenly realized that she was only wearing a pajamas, and Xiaoqin was naked. She suddenly blushed and said, "Let's go to bed and talk. You can put on clothes or cover yourself with a quilt." You took off my clothes. What? Are you shy now? Xiaoqin looked at Lu Shuangshuang's small face that was as red as a small apple and couldn't help but tease her. At that time, I couldn't do anything. I already said sorry. Lu Shuangshuang was a little apologetic. I didn't expect that he could suddenly come in and hurt people. But Xiaoqin, why are you so powerful? He is an evil practitioner with inner force stage 10. You actually beat him away? Isn't your strength even higher? Why didn't I know before? Keep my strength a secret for me. Don't go out and talk about it, Xiaoqin reminded. Not many people know about it at present. I don't want to spread it. Okay. Lu Shuangshuang nodded quickly. Then, between me and you should also keep it a secret. Don't tell Kuer. If she thinks that I stole her boyfriend, she will break up with me. She's not my girlfriend. Xiaoqin shook his head and said, but of course I won't talk nonsense. Actually, nothing happened between the two of us, right? Hearing Xiaoqin's words, Lu Shuangshuang's expression suddenly changed. Then she became a little sad and said, yes, it's actually nothing. Looking at Lu Shuangshuang's expression, Xiaoqin felt a little distressed. He just casually said some comforting words, but he didn't expect Lu Shuangshuang to have such a big reaction. He couldn't help but smile bitterly. If you have any problems in the future, you can find me directly. I will help you. But don't look for a boyfriend anymore. If you need to fake one, find me directly. Lu Shuangshuang was stunned for a moment. After hearing what Xiaoqin said, her face lit up. It seemed that he was not heartless. However, when she heard what he said next, she was stunned. You like me? That's not it. Xiaoqin couldn't lie to her. They didn't have any emotional foundation. How could Xiaoqin like her? Especially when his impression of her wasn't too good before. Now, at most, he had a good impression of her. You don't like me and you won't let me have a boyfriend? Lu Shuangshuang suddenly pursed her lips. Her eyes curved into a crescent moon. She smiled at Xiaoqin. Just because you pushed me once, you will keep dominating me? Xiaoqin also felt that his condition was a bit overbearing. He clearly didn't like her, but he still wanted to dominate her. It was simply unreasonable. However, if Lu Shuangshuang got a boyfriend in the future, Xiaoqin would feel very uncomfortable. If you don't get a boyfriend, I will try my best to help you in the future. Stingy chauvinist. Lu Shuangshuang glared at Xiaoqin speechlessly. You don't like me and you still restrict me. Well, this is what you said. I will grant all requests. Okay, as long as I can do it. Xiaoqin nodded. In fact, he didn't force Lu Shuangshuang. He just discussed it with her. Seeing that she agreed, he was instantly relieved. Then tell me, do you have a girlfriend? Lu Shuangshuang asked. Yes. Xiaoqin was slightly stunned, but he didn't hide it and answered. Yes. How many? Lu Shuangshuang continued to ask. Ahem. Xiaoqin looked at Lu Shuangshuang and didn't know whether to laugh or cry. He didn't know what she was thinking. Say it. Lu Shuangshuang lay on the bed and looked at Xiaoqin, who was sitting on the side. If you don't say it, I will go find a boyfriend. Sweat, too. Xiaoqin could only say it. To. Lu Shuangshuang's eyes turned after hearing it. No one knew what she was thinking. Have you done that with them? What kind of thing? Xiaoqin asked. You already know the answer. Did I go find a boyfriend? Lu Shuang said. Xiao Qin could only nod speechlessly. I thought it was your first time. Then why are you so useless? You came out all of a sudden. Lu Shuang was a little angry. Solin. What if I'm pregnant? I was unconscious. How would I know? Xiao Qin was speechless. He thought it's useless. Should I try again? But he didn't say it. It was a bit of a hooligan. Before, they didn't have a relationship. It was fine to say it. Now that he said it, the relationship between the two of them suddenly became complicated. I will buy medicine for you later. Oh, okay, you buy it. Anyway, you made it. The medicine is quite expensive. It's more than 10 yuan per box. I can save money. Lu Shuang nodded and said as if it was a matter of course. Xiao Qin couldn't help but sigh at Lu Shuang's obsession with money. Then if I make other requests, will you agree? Lu Shuang suddenly asked. And? Xiao Qin nodded. You are so powerful. Can you help me find some connections and talk to the people in the Warriors Market Square not to ban my business? Lu Shuang hesitated and said. Your business? What business? The one that sells binoculars? Xiao Qin was stunned. And that's it. Lu Shuang said, the contract with the Warriors Market is signed until the end of this month. However, they won't renew the contract with me. It's also because I had some unhappiness with the two martial artists on Temple Street. The Warriors Market is afraid that selling binoculars at such a high price will have a negative impact. If the headquarters finds out, they will punish them. So, they don't want to renew the contract with me. This matter had been bothering Lu Shuang for a long time. She kept it in her heart and didn't say it. She didn't know why she said it in one breath in front of Xiao Qin, as if Xiao Qin could be trusted. In fact, Lu Shuang didn't want Xiao Qin to solve it. She just wanted to tell him that it was fine if it worked. If not, then forget it. So, if I don't have a job, you have to help me find a job. Otherwise, what will my grandmother do? You are occupying me and depriving me of the chance to be a mistress. You have to take responsibility until the end. Warriors Market? Who told you not to renew the contract? Xiao Qin asked. Qi Muqing? Ah? You know shopkeeper Tai? Lu Shuang was a little surprised. However, she shook her head and said, it's not him. It's a deacon in charge of external cooperation. Oh. For Xiao Qin this was a very small matter. Seeing Lu Shuang seriously begging him, Xiao Qin couldn't help but sigh. This girl had suffered a lot in the past. She struggled at the bottom of society just to earn some money to buy medicine for her grandmother. She was really pitiful. Xiao Qin took out his cell phone from his clothes and directly dialed Hongzhu's number. Yeah. Hey Xiao Qin, why are you calling Big Sister in the middle of the night? Is it because the night is long and you can't sleep? Do you want to chat with Big Sister? Hongzhu's lazy and charming voice came from the other side of the phone. No, I want to talk to you about something. Xiao Qin said directly, in the Warriors Market, there is a person selling binoculars called Lu Shuang. Do you know her? What? Hongzhu was a little stunned. Warriors Market? Selling binoculars? Since when did the Warriors Market become a department store that sells this kind of thing? Can binoculars be used for cultivation? Xiao Qin didn't know whether to laugh or cry at Hongzhu's words. He roughly explained Lu Shuang's situation to him. Is that so? Hongzhu finally understood. Why are you looking for me for such a small matter? Really, tell me, is that Lu Shuang related to you? Are you messing around behind Big Sister's back again? Although Xiao Qin knew that Hongzhu was joking, he was still somewhat speechless. Alright, I won't tease you anymore. I'll help you settle it. Seeing that Xiao Qin wasn't saying anything, Hongzhu smiled and said, however, if you have any good business, don't forget about me. Don't worry, I won't, Xiao Qin said. After hanging up the phone, Xiao Qin looked at Lu Shuang, who was lying beside him and looking at him with unblinking eyes. Because she was only wearing pajamas, and because she was lying on her stomach, the two hemispheres on her chest were faintly discernible. Although he couldn't see it clearly, this hazy beauty made Xiao Qin's heart tremble slightly. Lu Shuang also saw Xiao Qin's gaze. She subconsciously wanted to lift her collar, but for some reason she put it down and deliberately puffed out her chest. Hey, compared to your girlfriend, how's my figure? You're calling her right? No, she's JC. Xiao Qin was referring to Tang Tang. Disich, what's so good about being too big? It's a burden to walk, it's head heavy and light-footed. I might even choke to death. Lu Shuang said disdainfully, but it seemed like she didn't mean it. I'm done, there shouldn't be any more problems. You can continue selling, Xiao Qin said. Your girlfriend is helping you take care of a mistress? Lu Shuangxuang was a little curious and puzzled. She's not my girlfriend, Xiaoqin explained. Oh, she's also a mistress. Lu Shuangxuang suddenly realized. Was she also accidentally hurt by you, and then you took her for yourself? Xiaoqin knocked Lu Shuangxuang's head and said, What are you thinking? She's just a good friend of mine. Chapter 434. Oh, a confidant. Lu Shuangxuang nodded. However, as soon as Lu Shuangxuang finished speaking, her phone rang. She quickly got up, but it affected the wound on her lower body. She gritted her teeth in pain and hopped over to pick up the phone. However, when Lu Shuangxuang saw the caller ID, she was a little surprised. She quickly picked up the phone. Warden Ma, are you looking for me? Sister Shuangxuang, can you stop messing with me? If you know the higher-ups of our Hong Chamber of Commerce, just say it. How can I keep you waiting? Just now, Manager Tai called me and said that the people from the headquarters specifically wanted to take care of you. You know, I'm really sorry about what happened before. Warden Ma, who was usually cold to Lu Shuangxuang and had a business-like attitude, had a surprisingly good attitude this time, even a little flattering. Lu Shuangxuang was also a little surprised. The woman that Xiaoqin just called is a higher-up of the Hong Chamber of Commerce? Damn, how could his little San be so powerful? Wasn't he the least powerful? How about this, in the future, our Warriors Market Square won't take a commission from selling the binoculars. You can sell them as you like. We can also add some other business items such as popsicles, melon seeds and mineral water. Anyway, since you like it, I will report it to you and give you some certification stickers in batches, Warden Ma said. Lu Shuangxuang was a little dizzy. Happiness came too fast and it was solved just like that? Originally, in her opinion, it was more difficult than reaching the sky, but Xiaoqin actually solved it with a phone call? Now that she thought about it, she really didn't get hurt for nothing. Lu Shuangxuang, your bad luck is over. Now your good luck begins. Lu Shuangxuang thought happily. I got it, Warden Ma. Thank you very much. Lu Shuangxuang quickly replied. You don't have to thank me. If you want to thank someone, thank the higher-up you found. Attendant Ma smiled and said, All right, Sister Shuang, call me anytime if you need anything. And all right, goodbye, Deacon Ma. Lu Shuangxuang felt a little dizzy. Looking at Xiaoqin on the bed, her gaze also became a little tender. She ran to the bed in a few steps and kissed Xiaoqin's face. However, she couldn't help but move her wound again, causing her to cry out. She held her crotch with both hands. It was so painful that tears were about to come out. Xiaoqin touched his face and didn't know whether to laugh or cry. This Lu Shuangxuang was really... After thinking for a moment, he said, Let me treat your wounds. Cure? Lu Shuangxuang's eyes widened. How was she going to cure him? Flip up her skirt and show him her legs? What's wrong? You don't want treatment? Why are you injured like this? Xiaoqin was slightly stunned. He looked at Lu Shuangxuang and said, Aren't you in pain? But... Lu Shuangxuang looked at Xiaoqin sneakily. Are you trying to take the opportunity to peek and take advantage of me? I've already F***ed you. Didn't I take advantage of you? Xiaoqin suddenly didn't know whether to laugh or cry. He said, Besides, you don't have to look. Sit here. I will help you with my hands. You don't have to look. Do you want to touch me? Asked Lu Shuangxuang. Then forget it. Xiaoqin was speechless. Then you can touch me. Actually, you have helped me so much. I can locate my position. Isn't it just a mistress? It's nothing. Since it's already like this, I might as well follow you, said Lu Shuangxuang. I'm just treating your wounds. If you don't want to treat me, then forget it. Xiaoqin glared at Lu Shuangxuang. Why are you so fierce? You're the one who injured me. Lu Shuangxuang sat next to Xiaoqin. Xiaoqin shook his head and reached out to the acupuncture point on Lu Shuangxuang's waist. There was no need to reach out to her sensitive parts. Xiaoqin began to try to treat Lu Shuangxuang's injuries. In contrast, Lu Shuangxuang's injuries were not considered injuries at all. Xiaoqin only took a few minutes to treat her. It doesn't hurt anymore? Lu Shuangxuang stood up in surprise. She even deliberately jumped on the ground twice. Nothing happened at all, so Lu Shuangxuang hurriedly ran to the bathroom and checked. Looking at Lu Shuangxuang's impatient personality, Xiaoqin couldn't help but smile. This girl is crazy. No wonder she is so insensitive and caused such a mess. After a while, Lu Shuangxuang ran out of the bathroom and looked at Xiaoqin with a strange expression. What's wrong with you? Is your injury not healed? Xiaochen looked at Lu Shuangshuang strangely and asked. No, it's healed, but it's a bit too complete. Lu Shuangshuang said. Complete is not good? Do you want me to treat half of it and leave the rest to you? Xiaochen was stunned and asked in confusion. That's not what I mean. I mean that's healed too. Lu Shuangshuang hesitated and said. What do you mean by this and that? Xiaochen didn't understand. It's the membrane. Lu Shuangshuang said. Xiaochen almost spat out his saliva after hearing it. He looked at Lu Shuangshuang in shock. No way? This can be healed? If I open a clinic, won't I be rolling in money? You're still laughing. Then, the next time you want to do that with me, won't I have to suffer again? I still have to die from the pain. Really? Lu Shuangshuang complained. It's not good to fix it. This way it's the same as before. You don't have to rely on me in the future. Xiaochen didn't understand Lu Shuangshuang's thinking. Aren't girls usually very concerned about this? Now that it's healed, she's not happy. If it's healed, I'm lying to myself. In my heart, I already feel that I'm not. What's the use of fixing it? Isn't this an unnecessary move? Ah. Lu Shuangshuang said gloomily. Then should I break it for you again? Asked Xiaochen. Don't. Let's wait for a few days. I'm in so much pain today. Lu Shuangshuang shook her head quickly. It's better not to treat it. Xiaochen was also a bit puzzled. Does my vitality have such a function? But thinking about it, maybe it's because Lu Shuangshuang hasn't been injured for a long time so it can be healed. But if it's an old injury, it can't be healed. Thinking of this, Xiaochen was suddenly enlightened. Okay, stop complaining. Hurry up and tell me what's going on. How did you provoke that old man? Did you sell the binoculars to others at a high price again? Asked Xiaochen. How is that possible? Lu Shuangshuang was suddenly amused after listening. I didn't sell binoculars at a high price. It's all clearly marked and honest. That old man is called Elder Shishan. It's a long story. I've known him for 10 years. Oh? 10 years? Xiaochen was a little surprised after listening. It's been so long and he didn't do anything to you. Why did he suddenly want to kill you today? It's like this. At that time my grandmother was seriously ill. I invited a doctor, but the doctor said that she couldn't make it. Even if we sent her to the hospital, she would only last a few days. The doctor saw the condition of my family and kindly told me not to waste my money. It's better to stay at home. Eat whatever you want to eat and drink these few days. In my disappointment, I met him. He said that he had a way to control my grandmother's illness so that my grandmother wouldn't die. So, I believed him and he really had a way. He gave me a prescription and let my grandmother live until now. Oh? This person is quite amazing. He can actually give prescriptions? Xiaochen was slightly shocked. Generally speaking, the level of evil cultivators wasn't very high. They all relied on some dishonest ways to improve their strength. For some real scientific knowledge, there was still a big gap. However, he didn't expect that this evil cultivator could actually maintain the life of a dying person for 10 years. It was not easy. Then between you and him, he put forward a condition. That is, if I didn't have a boyfriend when I was 20 years old, I had to give him my first time and become his lover. But if I had a boyfriend, he wouldn't be in front of me. I only needed to pay him the consultation fee of 1 million. Lu Shuangshuang said, all these years I've been working hard to earn money. Except for the necessary living expenses and grandma's medical expenses, I've saved the rest of the money. Now I've saved more than 800,000. Damn, you really know how to save money? Xiaochen was a little shocked. He really didn't see that Lu Shuangshuang was actually so good at saving money. A girl in the slums who depended on her grandmother for survival earned so much money by selling binoculars. Yes, but I didn't expect that Elder Shishan would find me and go back on his words. He didn't want my money, but he insisted that I give him my first time and become his lover. Lu Shuangshuang said, actually, I secretly found out that he used me for cultivation. He said that my physique is especially suitable to be a cauldron that can help him improve his cultivation. Especially the first time, it can help him break through directly. But now it's wasted by you. When Xiaochen heard Lu Shuangshuang's words, he couldn't help but look at her in shock. Breaking through directly on the first time? No wonder. Xiaochen was also very puzzled. He had just broken through not long ago. In theory, it shouldn't be so fast to break through. It seemed that this should be Lu Shuangshuang's credit. Then you found me and asked me to pretend to be your boyfriend. So, deceiving Fat Bear was fake, but deceiving this Elder Shishan was real, right? Xiaochen roughly understood. However, this person was called Elder Shishan. What was his relationship with the old goblin Shishan that he killed previously? Could he be an evil cultivator from the same place? Yes. You saw through me. I'm sorry. Lu Shuangshuang stuck out her tongue and said, Actually, I didn't want to lie to you, but this elder Shishan is very powerful. I was afraid that after I told you, you would be worried and not help me. But you also did that to me, so we're even. Hee okay. Xiaoqin said. What do you mean by even? It's obvious that I made a big profit. That was already an advantage and I broke through because of Lu Shuangshuang. This is a great advantage. Chapter 435. Level 8 of Qi Refinement Stage. This strength was enough to dominate the entire Songning city. Here there were few who could rival him. But you asked me not to have a boyfriend. Now you owe me. You can't say no to my request. Lu Shuangshuang said. Well, tell me, what else do you want? Xiaoqin nodded and asked. Your medical skills are so good that you can cure my injury in a short time. Can you go and see my grandma? If you can cure my grandma's illness, then I promise you that I won't have a boyfriend for the rest of my life, and I won't have any intimate relationship with other men. I mean it. Lu Shuangshuang swore. Oh, that Shishan elder, you didn't cure him? Xiaoqin asked. No, he's just maintaining it. And I found out that after my grandma drank the medicine he made, she seemed to have other problems. She could only lie on the bed weak and couldn't stand up at all. Although she was alive, it was more painful and she couldn't take care of herself. Lu Shuangshuang said, I suspect that the medicine he made for me is not good, so I have a conflict with him. If he had really cured my grandma back then, it would not be impossible for me to promise him these things as a way of repaying his kindness. Luckily you didn't promise him. Xiaoqin said, that person is an evil cultivator. If you promised him, he would treat you as a human cauldron. Maybe after a few times he would absorb all the yin qi in your body and your life would be in danger. So scary? Lu Shuangshuang was a little scared. Evil cultivators are not good people. I can see that he has an evil aura on him. This person is definitely not a good person. If there's a chance, I will help you kill him. Xiaoqin said. Thank you, you are so good to me. A touch of tenderness flashed in Lu Shuangshuang's eyes. Since she was a child, no one cared about her so much except her grandmother. Even if it was Kerlin, they were just good sisters. Moreover, Kerlin's family situation was worse than hers, so Kerlin couldn't help her much. However, Xiaoqin cared about her in all aspects. Although he accidentally hurt her, overall, Xiaoqin was still very responsible. He was not like those legendary young masters who would turn their backs on others after eating. On the other hand, Xiaoqin had always been thinking about her. Even if Xiaoqin forbade her from having a boyfriend, Lu Shuangshuang didn't have a boyfriend at all. Previously, her thoughts were all on her grandmother. How could she have the time to have a boyfriend? Moreover, her thoughts were especially conservative. Since she had already followed Xiaoqin, she wouldn't be able to get over it if she followed someone else. Even if Xiaoqin didn't say it, she wouldn't go. I have said that I will try my best to help you with your matters. Xiaoqin said, when this reunion is over, I will go to see your grandmother and see if there is a way to treat her. And then Lu Shuangshuang nodded happily. There was a big hole in the room. Although it hadn't snowed yet, it was already very cold. The cold wind of early winter was blowing. Xiaoqin was a cultivator, so it didn't matter, but Lu Shuangshuang was an ordinary person. Previously, because her attention was on Elder Shishan, she didn't notice the cold. Now that she had let go of the matter, she couldn't help but shiver. She quickly pulled a big quilt over and got into it. She said, it's so cold. Xiaoqin directly called the service desk and said, can you get a maintenance worker? The glass in my room was inexplicably broken. Can you help me change it or change a room? When Lu Shuangshuang heard that someone was coming, she naturally put on her clothes quickly. Xiaoqin also put on his pajamas. Not long after, the lobby manager of the resort came with 2 maintenance workers. They thought that one of the windows was broken, but when they entered the room they saw that all the windows were broken. They couldn't help but be stunned. What happened to you? Why are they all broken? The cost of this glass is very high. Since you've damaged it, you'll have to compensate according to the price. As soon as the lobby manager entered the door, he placed the blame on Xiaoqin. This made Xiaoqin a little angry. Although Elder Shishan came for Lu Shuangshuang, the resort was actually responsible. Allowing strangers to come in was not good for public security. Moreover, it was Elder Shishan who broke it. What did it have to do with Xiaoqin? If he were to negotiate, Xiaoqin wouldn't be short of money. He could just give it to him. But now, Xiaoqin's expression suddenly turned cold. He said, are you blind? Didn't you see these glass shards? They are all shattered on the floor of the room. This was clearly broken from the outside. Do you think I can stand outside the window and shatter the glass one by one? What kind of look is that? This. The lobby manager actually had the idea of letting the customer pay if he could. This way the hotel would lose less. Anyway, many things couldn't be explained clearly. If the customer said that they weren't the one who broke it, there was no evidence. Just like that, the resort could naturally collect the money. But now what Xiaoqun said was right. The glass shards were all on the floor of the room. This was the 4th floor. Who could stand outside and knock on the glass? Wouldn't that be courting death? However, who broke the glass? The two of us were sleeping well when there was a sudden bang. The glass was shattered. What's wrong with your resort? Why is there a thief in the middle of the night? Or is there someone playing a prank? If not, it's haunted. It scared me to death. Xiaoqun said. I'm sorry. Don't be angry. Otherwise I will change a room for you. Then today's accommodation fee will be waived. How about it? The lobby manager was also a little puzzled. How did it break? However, no matter how it broke, he must calm the customer. If he went out, whether it was a thief or a haunted resort, it would cause an extremely bad impact. He could only apologize and compensate. Forget it. Since your attitude is good, change a room for us. Xiaoqun waved his hand. As for the accommodation fee, someone is treating. You don't have to calculate it. But you go out and buy me a box of leaven or gestrel. Then this matter will be over. Okay. The lobby manager signaled to a maintenance worker and said, you go and buy it first. This glass will be changed later. Hurry up. The vending machine downstairs has it. Yes. The maintenance worker quickly ran out. The lobby manager said to another maintenance worker, you sweep the floor here first. I will take these 2 guests to the new room. The lobby manager changed a room for Xiaoqun and Lu Shuangshuang. The environment was better than the previous one. It was said that it was reserved for emergencies. It wasn't open to the public usually. The maintenance worker had returned with a box of pills in his hand and handed it to Xiaoqun. Xiaoqun closed the door with satisfaction. Lu Shuangshuang couldn't help but give Xiaoqun a thumbs up. You are really amazing. You can do this too. Great, I saved more than 10 yuan. Xiaoqun thought that Lu Shuangshuang was talking about him dealing with the broken glass. He didn't expect her to talk about the medicine. He couldn't help but be speechless. This Lu Shuangshuang is really a miser. Hey, you won't mess with me today, right? Lu Shuangshuang opened the pills and suddenly asked. Today? Xiaoqun was stunned and then shook his head. How can you say that? Be more civilized next time. I almost didn't understand. Oh. Lu Shuangshuang ate the pills. What should I say? Do me? Don't seduce me. Otherwise the medicine will be wasted. Xiaoqun glared at Lu Shuangshuang. Then I am going to sleep. After Lu Shuangshuang ate the medicine, she took off her clothes, pulled the quilt over her body and lay on the bed. As for Xiaoqun, he sat cross-legged beside Lu Shuangshuang. He had just broken through and needed to consolidate his strength. Using the mantra, Xiaoqun communicated with the Elder Heaven Ancestor in his mind. Elder Heaven Ancestor, I actually broke through. What is Lu Shuangshuang's physique? Why is it so special? It's true that her physique is special, but the most important thing is that the primordial yin of a virgin is a good cultivation resource for a cultivator. Elder Heaven Ancestor said. This is also the reason why many cultivators like to cultivate human cauldrons. It is a shortcut to improve their cultivation. I see. Xiaoqun suddenly understood. Then, is the second time still useful? The second time is useful, but the effect is not as good as the first time. After 3 to 5 times, it will completely lose its effect. Elder Heaven Ancestor explained. So some evil cultivators who use the method of collecting yin to nourish yang will constantly change their target instead of focusing on one. What about me who has been repaired? Does Lu Shuangshuang count the next time? Xiaoqun suddenly had an idea and asked. Of course not. Elder Heaven Ancestor snorted. You are thinking too much. You only repaired externally, but the primordial yin has been absorbed by you. I see. But why does that Elder Shishan want to cultivate Lu Shuangshuang as a human cauldron? Is there anything special about her? Can't she just keep improving her cultivation? Xiaoqun asked in confusion. Yes, Lu Shuangshuang's physique is quite special. If she cultivates the corresponding Heart Sutra, she can always be used as a human cauldron. She will produce new primordial yin and you can always use it. Elder Sky said, actually this is similar to dual cultivation. You leave your vital energy in her body and take her vital yin. The two of you are equal to dual cultivation. Not only will it not harm her body, but it will also increase her cultivation. It's similar to you and Yi Xiaoye, but the method of cultivation is different. For Yi Xiaoye, it's just that your devil energy is compatible with hers. If it was someone else, there wouldn't be such an effect. Lu Shuangshuang, on the other hand, is using her vital yin. Lu Shuangshuang, however, uses her primordial yin. With Yi Xiaoye it is a long-term accumulation. With Lu Shuangshuang it is a one-time acquisition. Then, when she cultivates her primordial yin again, it is roughly like this. So that's how it is. I understand. What kind of heart sutra does Lu Shuangshuang need to cultivate? Xiao Qin asked. How would I know? Elder Heaven Ancestor's words made Xiao Qin almost choke. Chapter 436. Then, do you have a corresponding mental cultivation method? Xiao Qin's heart skipped a beat. This was a great thing. If Lu Shuangshuang could become a human cauldron, it would be of great benefit to his own cultivation. No. Elder Heaven Ancestor said, this is something that only evil cultivators do. How could I have it? This. You can't say that I'm an evil cultivator. At least I didn't force Lu Shuangshuang. Xiao Qin said while sweating. You'd better ask Elder Shishan for it. I really don't have it. Elder Heaven Ancestor said, whether you believe it or not, this old man is still a virgin. If it was my good friend he might have it, but I definitely don't. Xiao Qin almost choked to death on his own saliva. Elder Heaven Ancestor was a virgin? However, at this point Xiao Qin really had no other way. He said, I see. That is to say, if I do it with her now, after a few times, it will be useless? Yes. Elder Heaven Ancestor said, unless she is allowed to cultivate, otherwise even if she has a special physique, it will be useless. Because she needs a mental cultivation method to tap her potential. Without the mental cultivation method it will be useless. So, what is the special ability of the 8th level of Qi Refinement Realm? Xiao Qin changed the topic and asked. The special ability of the 8th level of Qi Refinement Realm is illusion. In fact, it is to create long-term illusions. For example, you can change your appearance for a long time. It will not be as short as before. According to the size of the illusion you set up, the duration is also different. If you only change your appearance you can last for a long time. Elder Heaven Ancestor explained, but if you want to set up a big illusion, it will not last for a long time. It will be good if I can change my appearance for a long time. Xiao Qin was very satisfied with this. His current ability was already very great. Even without the help of those cultivation methods, he could already look down on Songning. The Elder Heaven Ancestor poured a bucket of cold water on Xiao Qin. You don't need to be so arrogant. If you had fought with that heretical cultivator from before, you wouldn't have been a match for him. Oh. Xiao Qin said, in other words, I caught him off guard? That's right. You have the advantage of surprise. Evil cultivators are much stronger than martial cultivators and devil cultivators. Although they can't be compared to cultivators, there is still a huge gap between you and them. You have just broken through to the 8th stage of the refinement stage, while your opponent is a famous evil cultivator who has reached the peak of the 10th stage of the inner force stage. He is only one step away from becoming a martial artist. The Elder Heaven Ancestor said, it was not easy for you to beat him to such a sorry state. He can only blame himself for being careless. By the way, Elder Heaven Ancestor, what is the realm above the martial artist who has reached the peak of the 10th stage of the inner force stage? Xiao Qin had never known the realm above it. In his previous view, the peak of the 10th stage of the inner force stage was the highest realm he knew. There should be no one in Songning City who could surpass this realm. At that time, it would be an extravagant hope for Xiao Qin to possess inner strength. Naturally, he wouldn't research some unrealistic higher level because it would be meaningless. Even if he did research it, it wouldn't be of any help to his own cultivation. But now, Xiao Qin could easily injure the evil cultivator who had reached the peak of the 10th stage of the inner force stage. The gap between them was really emotional. The realm above the 10th stage of the inner force stage is called Martial Master. Martial artists cultivate inner force, while martial masters cultivate inner force. Inner force is stored in the body and can be incessantly stimulated. Compared to inner force, it has more power. Inner force is just an explosive force. The peak of the 10th stage of the inner force stage is equivalent to 10 times the limit of a normal person, but it can only be used for one strike. On the other hand, inner force is endless. The Elder Heaven Ancestor explained, why do devil cultivators and evil cultivators have an advantage over martial cultivators? This was also because devil cultivators and evil cultivators cultivated devil chi and evil chi. They could produce continuous effects, especially when they used martial skills. Their martial skills could be released for a long time, so the effect of their attack was naturally more powerful. However, the martial skills of martial cultivators were more ferocious. It is just that this gap becomes much smaller when you reach the martial master level, because the gap between martial cultivators and evil cultivators is smaller. Inner force. Xiaoqin suddenly understood. So, there is another level above martial cultivators, and that is martial masters. This was a level that he had never known before. Then when I reach the peak of the 10th stage of the Qi refining realm, does it still have strength? Yes, the level above the 10th stage of the Qi refining realm is called the foundation building realm. However, it is different from the martial master level. Martial masters are divided into the first stage of the inner force stage to the 10th stage. Of course, when martial masters talk about strength, devil cultivators and evil cultivators will also use the term inner force. The Elder Heaven Ancestor said, as for your level, it is divided into the early stage of the foundation building realm, the peak of the foundation building realm, the middle stage of the foundation building realm, all the way to the peak of the foundation building realm, these 7 levels. But when you reach the foundation building realm, you will find that when you can refine flying swords and use some magic tools and talismans, you will have an absolute advantage over martial masters, and the fight will not be so difficult. It seems that I have to work hard. Xiaoqin was fascinated by the Elder Heaven Ancestor's words. It seems that the foundation building realm is the most powerful existence. My current advantage is nothing compared to the foundation building realm. Hard work, but not everyone can reach the foundation building realm. The Elder Heaven Ancestor's words made Xiaoqin immediately calm down. Some cultivators are unable to reach the foundation building realm in their entire life. Unless they take some special pills to help them reach the foundation building realm, such as the foundation building pill or the foundation building pill. But don't say that you are not an alchemist. Even if you are, there are no materials for you to refine pills. But with the current thinness of the spiritual energy of heaven and earth, whether you can reach the peak of the 10th stage of the Qi refining realm is a problem. Foundation building realm, you are thinking too much. Damn, so you are saying that I might stagnate and at that time, any martial artist can kill me? Xiaoqin was stunned, a little depressed. When you are at the peak of the Qi refining realm, you might be able to fight against a martial artist at the first stage of the Qi refining realm. I haven't tested it before because I leveled up too quickly. The Elder Heaven Ancestor said with some pride. Oh, is it faster than me? Xiaoqin asked. The Elder Heaven Ancestor was speechless. After a while. He said 2 words, no. Ha, then I still have a chance to reach the foundation building realm. Xiaoqin was very optimistic. I actually didn't use too much time to break through. Be careful, extreme joy turns to sorrow. The Elder Heaven Ancestor said. You are jealous? Xiaoqin said. The Elder Heaven Ancestor. The West Mountain old pervert fled from the resort. He had never expected that with his current strength, he would be injured by someone in the secular world. Furthermore, he was injured by a fiendish cultivator. He was very surprised. Who was this Xiaoqin? Could it be that he was a disciple of a great devil sect who came to the secular world to gain experience? But why was he together with Lu Shuangshuang? There was no intersection at all. Could it be that the devil sect disciple also discovered Lu Shuangshuang's strange physique and wanted to dual cultivate with her? After thinking about it, this was the only possibility. Although the devil sect also had dual cultivation techniques, they did not force it. Generally, it was voluntary Dao companions. Unlike evil cultivators, they usually used coercion and use. Of course, even if it was coercion and temptation, the other party had to agree and be willing. Otherwise, if the other party did not cultivate the heart technique, they would not be able to be cultivated into a furnace. The Western Mountain lewd old man dragged along his heavy injuries. Fortunately, he had already chosen his escape route and temporary lodging location. With his current injuries, it was impossible for him to back out of Western Demon Mountain. He wouldn't be able to last that long. This temporary place to live was something he planned to do after dealing with Lu Shuangshuang, but he did not expect that he would have to live here. Even though he was injured, the old pervert still ran all the way to the front of a very shabby rental house and knocked on the door. Who is it? A hoarse man's voice came from inside. Then, the door opened with a squeak and a thin man with sunken eyes came out. Although he should only be around 20 years old, he looked very wretched. He was thin and small, a bit like a pervert from an H cartoon. Little Biao, how have you been these years? The old pervert asked. You are master. The old pervert? The person who opened the door was Sunabayo. He did not expect that the old pervert would appear again after disappearing for so long. Looking at your appearance, your cultivation level is not low. You should have the strength of a 7th level evil cultivator, right? It's really not low. You must have had a fortuitous encounter in these years? The old pervert looked at Sunabayo and said, Hee, I had a little fortuitous encounter. I found a job to clean the toilets of an elementary school. But later, someone found out that I secretly used a bottle to collect urine, so I was fired. Sunabayo said gloomily, in that year my cultivation improved the fastest. Okay, let's not talk about this. Let Master go in quickly. Master is injured and needs to rest here for a while. The old pervert waved his hand and said, Master, what level of strength do you have? How did you get injured? Sunabayo was stunned and asked quickly. I have the strength of the peak of the 10th level, but the opponent was not weak. I think he should also be a 10th level evil cultivator. He seriously injured me with one palm. The old pervert explained. It can't be? Master, you went to the toilet and got caught by someone? But there actually happened to be such a powerful evil cultivator? Sunabayo was a little surprised. All these years he had been hiding himself. He did not dare to force those girls, nor did he dare to secretly keep them for cultivation. He understood that evil cultivators should not be seen in the light. Those evil cultivators and martial cultivators all wanted to kill them. Chapter 437. However, all these years he had never met a devil cultivator or a martial cultivator, so he gradually became a bit careless. He also became a bit more daring and dared to commit crimes against the wind. But now that he heard Shishan old pervert say this, he was scared to death. Don't mention it, I wanted to cultivate a good furnace. I didn't expect her boyfriend to be a devil cultivator. He's really powerful, he almost killed me. Shishan old pervert said gloomily. So it's like that. Sunabayo was a bit afraid. Luckily he didn't dare to do such a thing. He would always change places after every shot and didn't dare to say anything to anyone. Alright, let's not talk about it anymore. Let me rest and heal for a while. I'll give you some pointers on your cultivation. When I'm better, I'll bring you to find a way to quickly break through. Shishan old pervert said. He originally thought that he could use Lu Shuangshuang to break through this time. A woman with this kind of physique would be able to help him successfully break through to the martial master realm for the first time. But now all of this had turned into a bubble. If he relied on himself, he didn't know when he would be able to break through. The duck that was in his hands flew away. This made him extremely angry. Originally he was confident that he could control Lu Shuangshuang. If he had known earlier, he would have been stronger. It would have been better than now. He originally wanted to make long-term plans and make Lu Shuangshuang follow him willingly. Then she would cultivate the mantra and become a furnace. But now it was useless. Even if Lu Shuangshuang cultivated into a furnace, it would only be effective on the first person she had a relationship with. It would have no effect on him. After a night of silence, Lu Shuangshuang slept very soundly. Xiaoqun couldn't help but admire this girl's nerves. She was actually able to sleep like this. Previously, it was the evil cultivator's attack, then it was an accidental injury. After stretching, Xiaoqun lay down beside Lu Shuangshuang. Using the morning light, he looked at her side profile. She was very beautiful. Lu Shuangshuang belonged to the kind of girl who didn't dress up much, but her body was filled with a kind of spiritual energy. Or perhaps this was related to her physique? Lu Shuangshuang's skin was very good and her eyelashes were very long. If she dressed up, she would be a rare beauty. However, Lu Shuangshuang didn't seem to care about these things. She was curled up in the quilt with a smile on her face. No one knew what she was dreaming about. In fact, Lu Shuangshuang was really having a beautiful dream. She dreamed that Xiaoqun married her, and then she moved into a big house with her grandmother, living a happy life. Early in the morning, a ray of sunlight shone in. Lu Shuangshuang woke up. Thinking back to her dream, she couldn't help but shake her head. A mistress wanted to become a regular employee? There were still 2 people waiting in line in front of her. She really fantasized too much. Hey, you're not asleep? When Lu Shuangshuang saw that Xiaoqun's eyes were open, she couldn't help but be stunned. You've been guarding me all night? Xiaoqun wasn't guarding at all. He was just cultivating. You are so good to me. Lu Shuangshuang was a little happy. Seeing that you treat me so well, I won't look for a boyfriend. They definitely won't treat me as well as you. How was your sleep? Xiaoqun changed the topic. It's pretty good. I feel quite safe. Also, the problem of evil cultivation that has been bothering me has been solved. I feel so happy. Lu Shuangshuang skipped to the bathroom to wash up. Xiaoqin felt that this girl was really energetic. After Lu Shuangshuang finished washing up, the two went downstairs to the restaurant together for breakfast. Lu Shuangshuang followed behind Xiaoqin like a little wife. Her eyes were filled with sweetness. Her whole eyes were on Xiaoqin. No one knew what happened last night except for the people in the hotel. The lobby manager had been waiting for Xiaoqin in the restaurant for a long time. When he saw them coming in, he quickly came over and said, "You two, in order to express my apology for last night, I specially asked the restaurant to add a dish. I stewed turtle for you. It's very nourishing. I hope you two won't talk nonsense after you leave." "Hee, don't worry. I'm not that bored." Xiaoqin nodded. In fact, he had no intention of blackmailing the resort. After all, the evil cultivator was seeking revenge on Lu Shuangshuang. He was angry yesterday because the lobby manager didn't know what was right and what was wrong. Now, seeing that he was being so careful, he didn't make things difficult for him. He walked into the restaurant with Lu Shuangshuang and found a seat. After a while, a waiter brought over a pot of stewed turtle. Lu Shuangshuang had never eaten something so expensive before. Although she made a lot of money from selling binoculars, she had saved all her money to buy medicine for her grandmother. She didn't have any money for herself. "It's delicious." Lu Shuangshuang ate a piece of turtle. She thought it was a little scary, but it was delicious. Seeing that Xiaoqin didn't eat, Lu Shuangshuang quickly said, "Xiaoqin, do you want to eat too? I have more opportunities to eat. I'm already tired of it." Xiaoqin smiled. When he was just chased out of the family, he really couldn't eat anything. But later there were more people who treated him and he had more money in his hands. He didn't have that feeling anymore. Then, "I won't stand on ceremony." Lu Shuangshuang began to eat. Lu Zhiming also came to the restaurant with Fat Bear. He saw that there were turtles on Xiaoqin's table, but there were no turtles in the buffet area. He was a little puzzled. "Am I late? There's no more." After thinking about it, Lu Zhiming waved to the lobby manager who hadn't left yet. "There's no more turtles? Why didn't I see it?" "Sir, that turtle is a special dish for them. There are no turtles in the buffet area," the lobby manager explained. "Then what if I want to eat it too?" Lu Zhiming asked. "Make one for me." "I'm sorry, there's no ordering service during breakfast time," the lobby manager said. "Motherf asterisk Kerr. This is our brother Lu. Don't you have good eyesight? Don't you know who is in charge of the underworld in Songning City? The boss of your Jiduan city is also a slave of the Lu family." Fat Bear was angry. He slammed the table and shouted, "Ugh!" The lobby manager's face turned green. He quickly said, "Okay, I will prepare it immediately." "I'm sorry, Motherf asterisk Kerr, brother Lu, this kind of person bullies the weak and fears the strong. What kind of joke is this?" Fat Bear said angrily. "Okay, don't let boss Xiaoqin hear it. You are so noisy. What if you affect the boss's meal? Do you want to die?" Lu Zhiming glared at him. Fat Bear shrank his neck and didn't dare to speak casually. Lu Shuangshuang was eating the turtle, but she suddenly put down her chopsticks. Xiaoqin wondered, "Why don't you eat? Are you full?" "No. I want to pack it and let my grandmother taste it. She has never eaten such delicious food." Lu Shuangshuang hesitated and said. Although it might make Xiaoqin feel that she was very shameful, she also had to say that she was a filial girl. If there was delicious food, she naturally wanted to let her grandmother taste it. "Hee, you eat it? I will buy some delicious food for her later." Xiaoqin said, "Actually, you don't have to worry about money in the future, right? You don't have to give money to Elder Shishan. The warrior market has added additional income. You can also take out your previous savings to spend. If it doesn't work, I can still give you some. I don't need it if you give it to me. Indeed, I seem to be very rich." Lu Shuangshuang remembered her savings of more than 800,000 yuan. "I wanted to wait until the shanty town was demolished to compensate me with a good house. But now it seems that it won't be long before I can save money to buy one myself. So you can eat boldly without worry." Xiaoqin smiled. And Lu Shuangshuang nodded and began to eat again. Not long after, Xiaoqin saw the waiter walking over with another bowl of turtle soup. Xiaoqin couldn't help but feel a little puzzled. He directly extended his hand and called out to the waiter, "Whose turtle soup is this? Is it ours too?" "No, it's the customer over there who ordered it." The waiter pointed to Lu Zhiming's side and said, "Oh, then you don't have to give it to him. Just pack it up and take it away," said Xiaoqin. "Ah." The waiter was stunned. He didn't know how to answer. At this time, the lobby manager saw that the waiter was stopped by Xiaoqin. He quickly walked over and asked, "What's wrong? What happened?" He was afraid that Xiao Chen would make trouble, so he came to deal with it directly. "Manager, these two guests said that they want to pack this turtle and take it away," said the waiter. The lobby manager suddenly broke into a sweat after listening and said, "Sir, this turtle is ordered by the customer over there. Don't worry about him. Just pack it up for me," said Xiao Chen. "Sir, the customer over there doesn't have a simple background. I can't afford to provoke them. Moreover, if you take away the turtle, I don't think they will let it go," explained the lobby manager. "Oh, I can afford to provoke them. Just pack it up," said Xiao Chen directly. Lu Jinming saw that his turtle was stopped and he was a little puzzled. However, because it was stopped by Xiao Chen, he quickly came over and wanted to see what the problem was. Seeing Lu Jinming coming over, the lobby manager was a little embarrassed and sweating. "Young Master Lu, this gentleman wants this turtle?" "Damn!" Lu Jinming said angrily, "If he wants it, give it to him quickly. What are you waiting for?" When the lobby manager heard the first half of Lu Jinming's sentence, he thought that he was angry and wanted to beat up Xiao Chen, but the second half of the sentence made him a little speechless. What does this mean? He wants me to give it to him? Is it true? Or is it sarcasm? Boss Xiao Chen is one enough? Do you want me to let them stew another one? Asked Lu Jinming in a flattering manner. No need. It's enough. It's just right. You watch him pack it up for me. Give him the money on the way. I'll go first. As Xiao Chen said this, he stood up with Lu Shuang, who had finished eating. No problem. Lu Jinming nodded and then turned to the lobby manager. Hurry up and pack it up. Didn't you hear what Boss Xiao Chen said? Chapter 438. Lu Jinming's words made the lobby manager almost pee in his pants. Is that person the ruthless one? The young master of the Lu family has to listen to that person? In that case, I was really lucky yesterday. I went to blackmail him and didn't get kicked down the building by him. I'm really lucky. Thinking of this, the lobby manager quickly asked the waiter to go back and pack it as fast as he could. After breakfast, all the people who participated in the class reunion gathered in the lobby on the first floor of the resort. Everyone was going to climb the mountain together in a while. Bro Xiao Chen, the turtle is packed. Do you want to eat it later when we climb the mountain, or do you want me to put it away first? Lu Jinming ran over and asked. Put it in the refrigerator first. After climbing the mountain, I will take it away, said Xiao Chen. Okay, I will store it in the refrigerator first. Lu Jinming nodded and said. Behind the Immortal Resort there was a mountain. The artificial scenery on this mountain was very good. Lu Shuang looked a little excited. It was rare for her to come out to play. She used to go to the warrior guild to sell binoculars every day. When did she have the time to play? Therefore, Xiao Chen didn't want to climb the mountain, but seeing that she was excited, he accompanied her. Everyone pay attention. I will tell you about the precautions for climbing the mountain. This was the tour guide sent by the resort. Fat Bear found him to take everyone to climb the mountain. Now, although it is late autumn and early winter, there may be active grass snakes and poisonous insects on the mountain. Everyone try not to walk into the grass and don't stay in dangerous places. Follow me as much as possible and take the normal mountain road. There is no danger on this road. However, if you encounter danger, don't panic. The grass snakes and poisonous insects on this mountain are not poisonous. Just find me to deal with them for everyone. After listening, the students nodded to show that they remembered it. Then they followed the tour guide out of the resort and walked to the mountain behind the resort. This mountain was a naturally formed mountain. It was very wide and long, and the artificial scenic area that had been opened up was only a small part of it. It did not reach the peak but only the first mountainside. This part of the man-made scenic area was also well protected, but it was inevitable that there would be grass snakes and poisonous insects. Therefore, no one dared to wander around casually. They all carefully followed behind the tour guide. The environment and air on the mountain were very good. Everyone took out their phones and took pictures. Lu Shuang looked at everything on the mountain with excitement and curiosity. She had lived in the shanty town since she was a child and had almost never gone out to play. Other than the spring and autumn outings organized by the school, she had no friends. The only friend she had was Lin. In her spare time, she had to help her family sell noodles. How could she have time to go out and play with her? It would be good enough if he could squeeze out a little time to go shopping. It was impossible for him to go out and play. Your first outing? Xiao Chen didn't know whether to laugh or cry when he saw how Lu Shuang was so curious and excited that she wanted to take pictures wherever she went. He had been taking pictures of Lu Shuang along the way. Yes, it's my first time. Lu Shuangshuang nodded. In the past, because the students were relatively young, most of the school's spring outings went to the park. She had never been to a place like this. Xiaoqin nodded and cooperated. Anyway, for him, other than being a little boring, climbing the mountain did not require much effort. Everyone went all the way to the scenic area on the mountainside. Everyone looked for a place to rest and take pictures in 2s and 3s. However, Xiaoqin felt a trace of an unusual atmosphere. Lu Shuangshuang took the opportunity to drink water and rest in the resting area. She was an ordinary person. After climbing the mountain and taking pictures, her physical strength had long been overdrawn. At this moment, she definitely needed to rest for a while. On the other hand, Xiaoqin walked towards the scenic area on the mountainside. Although there was a sign that said, "Danger ahead, do not approach," for a cultivator like Xiaoqin, it was completely ignored. Standing at the edge of the mountainside, Xiaoqin looked up at the peak of the mountain and quietly felt it, as expected. A few minutes later, Xiaoqin took a deep breath and gazed into the distance. I can actually sense an extremely strong aura of heaven and earth spiritual qi here. Could it be that there's something with spiritual qi at the top of this mountain? If Xiaoqin could feel it, so could the elder heaven ancestor. Xiaoqin, you also felt it? The aura of heaven and earth here is especially strong. There seems to be something wrong with this mountain. Yes, I can feel it. The spiritual energy of heaven and earth on this mountain seems to be much denser than normal. If one were to cultivate here, it would definitely be stronger than other places. However, there is a limit to how strong it is. Xiaoqin said, after all, compared to spirit jades and supplementary herbs, it is much weaker. There must be something strange on this mountain. However, Elder Sky said, the spiritual energy of heaven and earth here is not naturally formed. I've observed the surroundings for a while. Based on the terrain and position here, it is impossible for such a dense spiritual energy to be produced. There is definitely a problem here. You mean I should go up and take a look? Xiaoqin suddenly became interested. Yes, but... The elder heaven ancestor suddenly changed the topic and reminded him, the aura of heaven and earth here is very strong. Perhaps it is man-made. If there is someone up there, then you... The elder heaven ancestor didn't finish his sentence, but he believed that Xiaoqin could guess it. If someone could artificially produce such strong aura, then their strength was certainly not low. If Xiaoqin met this person, it would be a disaster, not a blessing. Xiaoqin also fell into deep thought. The elder heaven ancestor's words were right. If there was really an almighty person who could gather the aura of heaven and earth here, then it was really a great ability. After thinking for a while, Xiaoqin asked, right, elder heaven ancestor, is this a formation? Yes, this is a formation. The elder heaven ancestor said, it seems that you are quite smart. However, a formation is absolutely not something you can set up at your level. It is simply a fool's dream for a qi refining stage cultivator to set up a formation. Although I don't know if there are still cultivators here, it is true that the aura of heaven and earth can gather. So, for the sake of caution, I don't recommend you go up now. The qi refining stage is the weakest existence in the cultivation world. In our words, if you haven't reached the foundation building stage, then you haven't even crossed the threshold. Although you can punch and kick martial artists, the fact is that you haven't met other cultivators. Nodding, Xiaoqin was a little silent. He didn't know whether he should go up or not. He had found a magical situation that might be helpful to his cultivation. If he gave up now, he would certainly regret it. Even if he went back, he would think about it day and night. But on the other hand, if he went up, as the elder heaven ancestor said, there might be hidden dangers. While Xiaoqin was thinking, the tour guide behind him shouted, "Student, please don't go near the edge of the scenic area. It is dangerous on the mountain. You'd better come back quickly." Xiaoqin was slightly stunned. He turned around and saw the tour guide waving at him. Xiaoqin suddenly thought of something and walked in the direction of the tour guide. He asked, "Oh, I just felt that the environment and the air up there are good, so I couldn't help but stop for a while. By the way, why is there no development up there? I think that if there is development up there, the scenery will be more beautiful, right? It's not that we don't want to develop up there, but it is abnormally dangerous. This mountain looks like it pierces through the clouds, but it is not. There is a lot of fog around it all year round, and the visibility is very poor. Moreover, there are many ferocious beasts." The tour guide shook his head and said, "I don't know why, but the beasts here are especially strong. Many of them seem harmless, but when they attack people, they are especially strong. Therefore, the resort has only developed up to this point. It is too dangerous up there. Previously, a few workers were attacked by some ordinary wild rabbits and wild roe deer, and they were already badly injured. Don't even mention some wild wolves. So that's how it is. No wonder you were so nervous when I approached. Xiaoqin thought to himself. As expected, this is a place with abundant spiritual energy. If he wasn't wrong, these powerful wild beasts might have grown up in places with abundant heaven and earth spiritual qi all year round. As a result, their physiques had undergone subtle changes, which was why they were so strong. Is there anything interesting up there? Or are they all barren mountains and ridges? There are some ruins of buildings built in ancient times up there, but there is nothing to look at. They are all broken and can't be used at all. Archaeologists have also seen them. Because the preservation is not complete, it is too dilapidated, and there is no archaeological value, so the resort has not been developed. The tour guide explained, therefore we do not recommend guests to go up. It is too dangerous. Thank you for explaining to me. Xiaoqin smiled. Aha, this is what I should do. The tour guide smiled and said, this is my job and it is also what I should do. Xiaoqin walked to Lu Shuangshuang's side and sat down. Lu Shuangshuang said, where did you go just now? Why did you stand at the edge of the scenic area for so long? I was observing to see if Elder Shishan is still nearby, Xiaoqin said casually. Ah, is he nearby? Lu Shuangshuang was shocked. There shouldn't be. Xiaoqin smiled and said, it's just a joke. By the way, let's go back early after we finish climbing the mountain. We can visit your grandmother on the way and then I will treat her. You also give her the turtle to eat. I am afraid that it will not be fresh for a long time. And then, Lu Shuangshuang nodded and said, then let's go back after lunch. Everyone in the scenic area was just watching the fun. After a long time it would be boring. After all, no matter how beautiful the scenery was, it couldn't be eaten. Traveling was just taking pictures and then leaving. Therefore, soon, everyone went down the mountain under the guidance of the tour guide and returned to the resort building. Because it was not yet noon, everyone temporarily rested in the room, waiting for lunchtime. Chapter 439. After returning to the room, Lu Shuangshuang was so tired that she lay on the bed and didn't want to get up. Lu Shuangshuang, I'm going out. In the end, Xiaoqin couldn't resist the temptation of the natural aura. He planned to go and take a look. At most, he would just run away if there were any abnormalities. Previously, he heard from the tour guide that when the resort developed the mountain scenic area, they did send people to go there. However, apart from encountering some powerful beasts, they didn't encounter any other dangers. Therefore, it shouldn't be a big problem for Xiaoqin to pretend to be a tourist. Where are you going? Lu Shuangshuang asked. I'm going to walk around the mountain to see if Elder Shishan really ran away. If he didn't, I will kill him directly. Xiaoqin said. Oh, okay, then be careful. Lu Shuangshuang nodded and reminded him. If Xiaoqin wanted to do something serious, she naturally couldn't stop him. Xiaoqin left the room, went downstairs and then turned to the back of the resort building. There was no one here now. Not all tourists who came to the resort to play would choose to climb the mountain. After all, there were many other attractions. In this season, the trees on the mountain were bare. No matter how good the scenery was, it couldn't be compared to summer. Seeing that there was no one, Xiaoqin went up the mountain again. When he came to the mountainside, he didn't pay attention to the warning sign in front of him. He directly crossed the fence and quickly went up the mountain. The fog on the mountain was getting thicker and thicker, and the visibility was getting lower and lower. However, Xiaoqin was a cultivator with strong sixth senses. This fog didn't affect him at all. He could easily distinguish the direction and the surrounding environment. Suddenly, Xiaoqin stopped because there was a little movement not far in front of him, which made him raise his vigilance. However, he didn't move and the movement not far away didn't seem to move either. This made Xiaoqin's head tighten slightly. It seemed that the movement had also noticed him. However, when it came to patience, Xiaoqin was very patient. Not to mention that he was a cultivator. Even in the past, more than 10 years of training had cultivated his good patience. If the enemy didn't move, he wouldn't move either. Xiaoqin simply stopped where he was and wanted to see what was going on. If anything went wrong, he would immediately turn around and leave. Oh whoa. Not long after, and Ling could no longer bear the sound. It was a wolf. He suddenly pounced in the direction of Xiaoqin. Xiaoqin glanced at the wolf. This wolf was indeed different from other wolves. It seemed to be faster and stronger. However, in front of Xiaoqin it was not enough. Xiaoqin directly slapped the wolf to the ground. It twitched twice and stopped moving. There's some spiritual energy in this wolf. Although it won't evolve into a spiritual beast, it's much stronger than ordinary beasts. The Elder Heaven Ancestor's voice rang in Xiao Chen's ears. Looks like the spiritual energy here isn't as much as I thought. If it was, this wolf wouldn't be so weak. Then? Xiao Chen was a little hesitant. Let's go up and take a look. There shouldn't be any danger, said the Elder Heaven Ancestor. Only then did Xiao Chen feel at ease. He quickly made his way to the top of the mountain. Along the way it was just as Elder Tian had said. Although they encountered a few ferocious spirit beasts, they were only against ordinary people. To Xiao Chen they posed no threat at all. However, when he reached the top of the mountain, Xiao Chen was a little disappointed. As the guide said, there were a few dilapidated pavilions and a large platform similar to a square. However, it had long been ruined. He didn't know what it was used for in ancient times, but now it was beyond recognition. To Xiao Chen's disappointment, while the spiritual energy in the surroundings was indeed dense, it was only average. It was denser than the area halfway up the mountain, but it was far from what Xiao Chen needed for his cultivation. In other words, if Xiao Chen came here to cultivate, his speed would be faster but not by much. Now Xiao Chen mainly relied on spiritual jades, medicinal herbs, and dual cultivation to improve his strength. On top of the mountain, Xiao Chen had a clear view of the mountain range, but he didn't find anything special. Something's not right. The Elder Heaven Ancestor's voice sounded, although the spiritual energy is not as much as I thought, it doesn't make sense. What do you mean? Xiao Chen asked. In other words, along the way the situation here is very ordinary, there is nothing special, but it can gather spiritual energy, which is a bit unreasonable. Elder Sky said, it's impossible for the spiritual chi of heaven and earth to be so much more than in other places. This is not a deep mountain forest, nor is it a paradise, but the spiritual chi of heaven and earth is so much. There must be a reason for it. Then what should I do now? Xiao Chen asked hesitantly. The Elder Heaven Ancestor said, you walk around, I'll take a look. Okay. Xiao Chen nodded and began to run around the mountain range. Half an hour later, he even went around to the other side of the mountain range, then ran back and forth a few places, then asked, Elder Heaven Ancestor, how is it? Very strange. The Elder Heaven Ancestor said, the density of the spiritual energy here is completely inconsistent with the environment, but I haven't found anything wrong with it. Let's go back first, I'll think about it. Okay. Xiao Chen did not continue to investigate. Even the Elder Heaven Ancestor did not know, he would not know, so he simply stopped thinking about it. When Xiao Chen returned to his room, it was time for lunch. Lu Shuangxuang saw Xiao Chen coming back, so she asked, how is it, Xiao Chen, did you find anything? No, he should have run away, but be careful when you go back. If you find traces of Elder Shishan, you must call me immediately, Xiao Chen said. Well, don't worry, I know. Lu Shuangxuang nodded. Xiao Chen was just saying, in fact he was not particularly worried. He knew the power of the palm he used on Elder Shishan. Even an evil cultivator at the peak of the 10th stage of internal strength would suffer. It would be impossible for him to recover without a few months. Therefore, even if Elder Shishan wanted to cause trouble again, it would be a long time later. Moreover, Elder Shishan had to consider whether or not to go against him. Generally speaking, evil cultivators were a group that could not see the light of day. If the strength of martial cultivators and demonic cultivators was much lower than them, they would dare to be arrogant. If the strength was similar, they would not be able to dodge in time. After eating at the resort, Xiao Chen drove back with Lu Shuangxuang. When they left, Xiao Chen looked at the mountains behind the resort again. There was spiritual energy here, but he could not figure out the reason. Was a pity? However, Xiao Chen could not stay here and waste time studying the mountains. If he had the time, it would be better to find Yi Xiaoya for dual cultivation. The speed of dual cultivation was much faster than this little bit of spiritual energy. The car drove to the shanty town again. Lu Shuangxuang could not help but feel a little emotional. Originally, she wanted Xiao Chen to pretend to be her boyfriend, but she did not expect. When they were near the door, Lu Shuangxuang was a little nervous. Xiao Chen, when you see my grandma later, just say that you are my friend. Don't mention our relationship. Okay, up to you. When the time comes, you can introduce me. I will recognize you. Xiao Chen said indifferently. Lu Shuangxuang nodded, then pointed to a dilapidated house not far away and said, that is my home. How about you don't park the car in front of the door? It's too conspicuous. Huh. Xiao Chen was a little surprised. He looked at Lu Shuangxuang as if he did not know her. Don't you like vanity? Why don't you show off? Who likes vanity? Lu Shuangxuang did not know whether to laugh or cry. Wasn't I doing it on purpose? I wanted you to think that I went to show off to Fat Bear. Do you think a vain girl will sell binoculars every day? Xiaoqin said. It seems that I still wronged Lu Shuangshuang. I'm really greedy because I want to collect the 1 million for Elder Shishan as soon as possible. Vanity or whatever, it's just that. Lu Shuangshuang smiled indifferently. But you can do whatever you want. The car is not mine anyway. Xiaoqin shook his head, parked the car nearby, and got off with Lu Shuangshuang. However, when they parked, they were still seen by the people in Shantytown. Lu Shuangshuang, this is... Don't tell me you have a boyfriend? An auntie in her 50s happened to pass by here. After seeing Lu Shuangshuang, she asked directly. It's Auntie Wang. This is a friend of mine. We attended a class reunion together. He sent me home on the way. Lu Shuangshuang explained. Oh. Auntie Wang smiled meaningfully and left, making Lu Shuangshuang very embarrassed. Xiaoqin didn't say anything. He just nodded casually. Then the two of them came to the front of the relatively dilapidated bungalow. Lu Shuangshuang opened the door with the key and let Xiaoqin go in first. She closed the door and locked it behind him. You are very careful. You lock the door when you go in and out. Xiaoqin glanced at Lu Shuangshuang. It seems that this girl who looks a little crazy is a very careful person. Of course, my grandmother is sick in bed alone. I'm not at home. What if bad people come? Lu Shuangshuang said. Aren't you afraid that something will happen to your grandmother at home? Asked Xiaoqin. I equipped an emergency pager on her bed. She can dial my phone with one button. If there is a problem, I will know immediately. Lu Shuangshuang said, Come in. As Lu Shuangshuang spoke, she opened the door of the house. Squeak, the door opened. There was a damp and moldy smell inside, but overall it was very clean. The furniture in the room was clear at a glance. When the door opened, there was a stove in sight. Opposite the stove was a house. An old man was lying on a big bed in the house. When he heard the door open, he said, Shuangshuang, you are back. Why are you so early? Didn't you go to the class reunion? Chapter 440. Grandma, I'm back. I've brought you delicious food. Lu Shuangshuang happily ran to her grandma's bed with the turtle soup in her hand. Grandma, wait for me. I'll heat it up for you. It's not good for you to pack food for your classmates' reunion? Although Grandma knew that Lu Shuangshuang was being filial, Lu Shuangshuang's actions would embarrass her. Grandma didn't want her to be looked down upon. No, it's me. My classmate ordered a separate portion for me. Lu Shuangshuang quickly said. At this time, Xiaoqin also walked in. She introduced Lu Shuangshuang to her grandma. Grandma, this is my classmate Xiaoqin. He's here to see you. Hello, Grandma, I'm Xiaoqin. I'm Shuangshuang's classmate, Xiaoqin said quickly. Shuangshuang, you have a guest. Why didn't you tell me earlier? Look, I'm still mumbling a lot. How bad is that? Lu Shuangshuang's grandma was a little embarrassed. She said to Xiaoqin, Young man, you're Shuangshuang's classmate. Please sit down, you're welcome. Xiaoqin sat on the stool beside the bed. The furniture in Lu Shuangshuang's house was simple, and there was no place to sit. However, Xiaoqin didn't care. Grandma, how's your illness? I know some medical skills. Can I take a look at you? You know medical skills too? Okay, take a look at me. It's an old problem of mine. It's been like this for a long time. It's a waste of money and a burden to Shuangshuang. Otherwise, she would still be in school like you, right? Grandma Lu muttered and felt sorry for herself. If you ask me, I'd rather have died a long time ago. But Shuangshuang is a filial child. Grandma, you can't say that. Shuangshuang and you depend on each other. You're her spiritual support. If something happens to you, what will she do? Xiaoqin knew that Lu Shuangshuang cared about her grandma very much. Otherwise, she wouldn't have agreed to the evil practitioner's conditions. And don't worry, I'll try my best to treat you. As he spoke, Xiaoqin held Grandma Lu's wrist and checked her pulse to check the condition of her body. But after checking, Xiaoqin frowned. Lu Shuangshuang's pulse was very chaotic, and the inside of her body was also extremely poor. Could be said to be a mess. Many of her organs were no longer working, but her life was completely hanging on by something, which was why she didn't die. However, it also showed that the medicine made by the evil practitioner was useful. He also had some research in medicine, and he could use a special method to prolong people's lives. To put it bluntly, it was actually similar to Western medicine, which used a ventilator to keep people alive in the ICU ward. However, this kind of problem was not a problem for Xiaoqin at all. As long as he used the dregs of the medicine, Grandma Lu would be able to stand up again like a normal person, and the impurities in her body would be excreted, so that her organs would be rejuvenated. There was no major problem in her body. It was just the deposition of toxins and the deterioration of her body functions, which was relatively easy to cure. Thinking of this, Xiaoqin said, "Grandma Lu, your problem is actually not a big deal. I can make you stand up again with a radiant face and then prolong your life. You won't be a burden to Lu Shuangshuang anymore." At this time, Lu Shuangshuang just walked into the house with the stewed turtle. When she heard the second half of Xiaoqian's words, she immediately frowned. "Xiaoqin, when did I say that my grandma would be a burden to me? Don't talk nonsense. Shuangshuang, how can you talk to a guest like this?" Grandma Lu glared at her and said, "What Xiaoqin means is that he can cure my disease and make me like a normal person, so that I won't be a burden to you. Why can't you listen to him?" Lu Shuangshuang suddenly felt a little embarrassed, but she was surprised and happy. She looked at Xiaoqin and asked incredulously, "Really? You can cure my grandma's disease?" "Well, wait for me. I'll be back soon." Xiaoqin stood up. There was no time to lose. Originally, he wanted to use the dregs, but after thinking about it, Grandma Lu's body was too weak, and he was afraid that the dregs wouldn't be able to bear it. Therefore, he planned to prepare some low-end medicinal materials alone. Otherwise, Lu Shuangshuang's grandma wouldn't be able to move after taking the medicine. She wouldn't be able to absorb the medicine, and it would be even more harmful if it stayed in her body. There's no hurry. Although Lu Shuangshuang wanted her grandma to recover, Xiaoqin had been tossing and turning for a day and a night. He should rest. In particular, he watched her sleep last night. He hadn't slept yet. Thinking of this, Lu Shuangshuang's face turned red. "It's okay. Let grandma drink the soup first. I'll be back soon," Xiaoqin said. After leaving Lu Shuangshuang's house and getting into the car, Xiaoqin said to Elder Heaven Ancestor, "Elder Heaven Ancestor, prepare the medicine?" Elder Heaven Ancestor said. Xiaoqin was speechless. "Not only do I have to care about your daily life, but I also have to help you pick up girls?" Elder Heaven Ancestor snorted. "Other people's masters are only in charge of cultivation. Isn't this also cultivation? If I get Lu Shuangshuang, I can improve my cultivation, right?" Xiaoqin asked shamelessly. "You win." Elder Heaven Ancestor sent 2 prescriptions to Xiaoqian's mind and said, "One is for Grandma Lu Shuangshuang, and the other is for you to cultivate." Only then did Xiaoqin remember that he had broken through and needed to change the medicine. He drove the car in the direction of Little Hong's pharmacy. "You're here," Hong Zhu said listlessly when he saw Xiaoqin. "What's wrong with you? You don't look like you slept well." Xiaoqin was slightly stunned and asked, "It's not that I didn't sleep well. Why did you call me yesterday?" Hong Zhu complained. "I woke up and couldn't sleep again. I'm so angry." Sorry, I didn't think too much about it." Xiaoqin smiled bitterly and apologized. "Forget it, why did you call me here? Didn't I give you a lot of medicine last time? Did you use them all?" Hong Zhu and Xiaoqin's relationship was good now, so there was no need for Xiaoqin to buy medicine again and again every 3 days. Hong Zhu had given him a few packets last time, enough for him to use for a while. "No, I need to change the medicine. I didn't use all the medicine last time. I'll bring it back for you." Xiaoqin said, picked up a pen and paper on the counter, wrote down 2 prescriptions, and then handed them to Hong Zhu. "I want one for this and a few more for this." "Oh." Hong Zhu glanced at the prescriptions. The first one was very ordinary and she could easily make it, but the second one surprised her slightly. "What is this? Devil stalk fruit? I don't have it here." "You don't have it?" Xiaoqin was slightly surprised. He had originally thought that Hong Zhu would be able to obtain any medicine as long as he could name it. After all, the title of the little princess of the Hong Chamber of Commerce was not something that she had casually obtained. Previously, the Shen family's rare medicine had been obtained by her, so there was actually something that she didn't have? And actually, the devil stalk fruit is not a very precious medicine. However, this fruit must be used within 24 hours of being picked, or it will lose its medicinal effect. "I definitely don't have it here, so I can't help you import it. If I send it here, it will basically expire," Hong Zhu explained. "So that's how it is." Xiaoqin was a little disappointed. "Then, can I plant this devil stalk fruit myself?" "You should be able to, but it's already winter, so it's not easy to cultivate the seeds. If you need it, I can only help you cultivate some seeds next spring and you can plant them here," Hong Zhu said. "Next spring?" Xiaoqin couldn't help but frown. Didn't that mean that he wouldn't have any medicine for a while? Wouldn't his cultivation speed become even slower? How about this, I'll help you prepare a few packets of medicine that don't have the devil stalk fruit. If you can obtain some devil stalk fruit, you can add them yourself. Hongzhu paused for a moment before continuing, I can only help you this much. It's possible that I will have to leave soon. Leave? Xiaochen was shocked. Where are you going? At most, I can stay here until the end of the year. It won't be long before the new year comes, so I have to return home to report on my work. Hongzhu said. After that, at the start of spring next year, I will be returning to the sect. My little sister Hong Yan will be coming back. When that time comes, you can look for her if you need anything. Then, will you still be coming back? Xiaochen suddenly realized that he was a little reluctant to part with Hongzhu. Although they hadn't known each other for a long time, they seemed to have experienced many things together. From the first time they met, to gradually familiarizing themselves with each other and doing business together. Now that she suddenly said that she was going to leave, Xiaochen felt a little uncomfortable. I don't know, I probably won't, right? After all, this is only a branch of the Hong Chamber of Commerce. I can't stay here forever. I will either return to the sect or return to the headquarters. But if you want to find me, you can call me on my cell phone. Hongzhu said with a smile. With a cell phone, everything has become a global village. I'm all right. Xiaochen nodded, but there was a trace of reluctance in his heart. It was an indescribable feeling, but he just didn't want Hongzhu to leave him. All right, this is all I have. If you have nothing to do, can you help me look after the shop for a while? I'm going to sleep for a while. Hongzhu said. Then you can close the shop, I'll be leaving first. Xiaochen still had to return to Lu Shuangshuang's home, so how could he help Hongzhu look after the shop? All right, then just help me pull down the iron fence outside the shop. There's no need to lock it, so others will know that it's closed, Hongzhu said while yawning. Xiaochen said goodbye to Hongzhu and returned to the shanty town where Lu Shuangshuang's home was. His heart was a little heavy, but life was just a matter of meeting and parting. He couldn't change the lives of others, so he could only try to change his own life. Xiaochen, you're back. Lu Shuangshuang didn't expect that Xiaochen would come back so soon. She had just served her grandmother dinner and was preparing to brew medicine for her. She was cleaning the electric clay pot. You don't need to brew your medicine, just brew this medicine. Xiaochen told Lu Shuangshuang the medicinal ingredients that Grandma Lu had prepared. 2.5 hours. Chapter 441. Okay. Lu Shuangshuang took it and put it into the electric clay pot. Then she set the time to cook it. Looking at Lu Shuangshuang squatting in front of the electric clay pot and being careful, Xiaochen's impression of her changed again. Lu Shuangshuang was not a gold digger at all. What he saw before was just a facade. In fact, Lu Shuangshuang was a very filial girl. She was a gold digger, but she used it to deceive Fat Bear. Now she was a filial and ordinary girl, running around for the sake of her family's life. Okay. Are you going to eat here tonight? What do you want to eat? I'll go buy groceries, said Lu Shuangshuang. There's no need to buy anything. Just make whatever you have. Xiaochen said, let me do it. After your grandma takes the medicine, her body will secrete a lot of black substances. You need to help her bathe, so leave these things to me. You can cook? Lu Shuangshuang's eyes widened in surprise. What? Didn't Kerlin tell you that I used to sell breakfast on the morning market? Xiaochen looked at Lu Shuangshuang strangely. You sold breakfast? Really? Lu Shuangshuang didn't quite believe it. Are you joking with me? Her family's noodle stall used to be the place where I sold fried dough sticks. Do you think I'm joking? Said Xiaochen. Aren't you a rich young master? Lu Shuangshuang looked at Xiaochen in shock. You are a powerful warrior and you drive such a good car. Lu Jinming is your underling. You sold fried dough sticks? It's my hobby, okay? It was difficult for Xiaochen to explain these things. He could only say it with a dumbfounded expression. Okay. Lu Shuangshuang grinned. She didn't quite believe it. Suddenly she rolled her eyes and said, Huh? Do you like Kerlin, so you sold fried dough sticks to get close to her and pursue her? No, my girlfriend and I sold fried dough sticks there. Xiaochen shook his head. But she later returned to her family and married someone she didn't like. So tragic? Then you didn't kill her family and the family of the man who married her? Lu Shuangshuang's eyes widened. Oh no. That man is my little brother. Pretend to marry him and cover for me, Xiaochen said. It's a little confusing. Wait a minute, let me sort it out. Lu Shuangshuang was a little confused. Your girlfriend, why didn't she marry you? Why did she marry your little brother? Is her family sick? Actually, other people don't know my strength. Only a few people know, such as you and that little brother of mine. But even Lu Jinming doesn't know. Xiaoqin said, my identity on the surface is actually a useless young master who was kicked out of the Xiao family. Have you heard of it? Lu Shuangshuang suddenly stood up and pointed at Xiaoqin. With a look of disbelief she shouted, I remember now. You are from the Xiao family, the Xiaoqin who was kicked out of the family and had his fiancée break off the engagement. It's actually you. Damn, even if it's me, you don't have to make such a fuss, right? Xiaoqin looked at the shocked Lu Shuangshuang and was a little embarrassed. It's really embarrassing. Even I didn't want to say it, no. During those few days, the Warrior Guild and the Warriors Market Square were all talking about this matter. That's when I knew. Lu Shuangshuang said, but what I want to say is, brother, what are you doing? You told your family that you are very powerful, and then you told your girlfriend's family that you are also very powerful. Do you think they will let you go? The situation is a little complicated. I have enemies. I need to investigate in secret. Xiaoqin said, so you also help me keep it a secret. Don't tell anyone. Oh, so complicated. Lu Shuangshuang nodded after listening. No wonder. Don't worry. I won't say anything. And? Xiaoqin nodded. Now you know why I sell fried dough sticks, right? Isn't it because of your girlfriend? Lu Shuangshuang asked. Xiaoqin rolled his eyes. Because I was just kicked out of my family. I have no money? Haha, okay. Lu Shuangshuang smiled and said, hey, do I know the most about you? No, my girlfriend also knows a lot, said Xiaoqin. Haha, then am I also your girlfriend? Lu Shuangshuang looked at Xiaoqin with a smile, but when she saw Xiaoqin's face was a little black, she changed her words. I am a mistress. I won't let you be responsible. What are you afraid of? You are the one who has to restrict me so much. Hee hee. Xiaoqin didn't know how to respond to Lu Shuangshuang's words. Unknowingly, Xiaoqin's heart gradually accepted Lu Shuangshuang's existence. Although he couldn't say that he liked her, at least he didn't hate her as much as before. After the medicinal ingredients were decocted properly, Lu Shuangshuang went to feed her grandmother the medicine. Meanwhile, Xiaoqin busied himself in front of the stove. Ping ping pang pang, he began to prepare dinner. Lu Shuangshuang's house didn't have much food. There were only some autumn vegetables and frozen meat. With Lu Shuangshuang's family's conditions, it was already very good to have some frozen meat. However, these ingredients didn't matter. For Xiaoqin, even rotten vegetables could be cooked into delicious dishes. As long as he injected vitality into it, anything would be delicious. So even if Lu Shuangshuang didn't have many seasonings and ingredients, after the meal was cooked, the fragrance was still overflowing. Lu Shuangshuang just finished bathing her grandmother and wiped her body. When she smelled the fragrance of the food, she immediately drooled. At noon at the resort, the food was delicious. There were also many delicacies. Lu Shuangshuang ate until she was full. What she didn't expect was that just a few potatoes, cabbage and fat slices could actually have such a fragrance. Shuangshuang, what is so fragrant? Grandma Lu was covered in stains. Although she had just finished eating, she was hungry again. She subconsciously sat up and said, Grandma, you can actually sit up? Lu Shuangshuang looked at her grandmother in surprise. You can move. Grandma Lu was also a little surprised. I can actually feel my waist? I can sit up? Previously, her brain just subconsciously issued a command. She didn't expect to get a response, but she didn't expect that she could really sit up. Lu Shuangshuang looked at Xiaoqin, who was carrying the dishes to the table in the room, in horror. Is Xiaoqin's medicine so effective? However, thinking about it, I was exposed by him yesterday and cured. This kind of magical medical skill is probably not surprising. Grandma, then try to see if you can move your hands and feet? Lu Shuangshuang said quickly. I can. Grandma Lu subconsciously moved her hands and feet. When she found that she could feel them, she was very happy. She wanted to try to get off the ground and walk, but Xiaoqin was shocked. Lu Shuangshuang, hurry up and let your grandma lie down. Don't get off the ground. Now her muscles and bones have not recovered. Don't get off the ground for the time being. Do some rehabilitation training on the bed before walking off the ground. Otherwise, it may have the opposite effect. Xiaoqin quickly dissuaded. Okay, Grandma, then don't move around. Lu Shuangshuang was shocked. She quickly held her grandma and didn't let her get off the bed. Okay, I'll listen to Dr. Xiaoqin. Grandma Lu was very excited. She never thought that she would have a day where she could move freely at such an old age. However, she didn't expect that it would be realized in just one afternoon. Lu Shuangshuang's classmate was really amazing. Xiaoqin, you study medicine, right? Why are you so amazing? No, it's just a hobby. Xiaoqin said, okay Grandma Lu, eat something. Try my cooking. There's no need to taste it. It's so fragrant that it made me sit up. It's obviously delicious. Grandma Lu said with a smile. Xiaoqin, I didn't expect your medical skills to be so good. Your cooking skills are also good. Shuangshuang, you have to learn more from Xiaoqin in the future. I know. Lu Shuangshuang thought, learn what? I won't be able to learn that either. After sitting down, Lu Shuangshuang scooped rice for her grandma. She was ready to feed her grandma by reflex, but Grandma Lu insisted on eating by herself. Let me try it myself. How many years has it been since I've held chopsticks and a spoon? I want to try it myself. Grandma Lu said firmly. You can try it. Her hand is the easiest to recover. Chopsticks and a spoon are also better for recovery, said Xiaoqin. Oh, okay. Lu Shuangshuang nodded, then carefully picked up the chopsticks and placed them in her grandma's hand. At first, when Grandma Lu picked up the chopsticks, they fell down. However, after trying a few times, she could hold them steadily. Although she couldn't pick up food, she could barely lift them. This made Lu Shuangshuang very happy. Xiaoqin picked up an empty bowl and filled the bowl with food for Grandma Lu. He placed it in front of her. This way the distance was closer. Grandma Lu could take the food from the bowl and it would be easier. Finally, after trying many times, Grandma Lu put a mouthful of food into her mouth. Lu Shuangshuang was so excited that she had tears in her eyes. Before this, she had never held any hope for her grandma's illness to be cured. She only hoped that her grandma could live smoothly, and that was already very happy. But now Xiaoqin helped her realize this dream that she only dared to dream of. Lu Shuangshuang felt that it was worth it even if Xiaoqin did anything to her. Xiaoqin, thank you. Lu Shuangshuang said sincerely. It's delicious. Shuangshuang, Xiaoqin, you guys eat too. Don't worry about me. I'll eat by myself. I'm happy eating. Grandma Lu was also very excited. Who wanted to be a cripple and be served by others in bed every day? Lu Shuangshuang ate a mouthful of stew. She was also a little surprised. Xiaoqin was really good at cooking. No wonder he went to the morning market to sell breakfast. She thought that a young master like him had never touched pots and pans before. Xiaoqin, I realized that in the future, you will definitely make money when you open a restaurant. You can make the shabby things in my house so delicious. Lu Shuangshuang sighed. Chapter 442. You can ask Herlin. My previous Youqiao stall had a queue every day. Xiaoqin smiled. Okay, you're good, said Lu Shuangshuang. Student Xiaoqin, you also set up a stall on the morning market street? Grandma Lu was a little surprised. She thought that Xiaoqin was a child of a rich family, but she didn't expect that he was actually selling Youqiao on the morning market street. And I sold it for a while before. Xiaoqin said, then I was busy with my studies so I didn't do it anymore. Oh Shuangshuang, this child used to study very well. Later, because of me, her studies were delayed. I feel sorry for her. Grandma Lu thought of this matter and felt a little regretful. Grandma, I didn't go to school. Isn't it good now? Lu Shuangshuang comforted her. The meal was very harmonious. After eating and playing, Xiaoqin left. He still had to go home to brew the medicinal liquid for cultivation, so he didn't stay long. As for Grandma Lu, she was a little reluctant to let Xiaoqin leave. Xiaoqin, come often to play in the future. Okay, Grandma Lu. If you have any problems with your body, you can ask Shuangshuang to come to me at any time, said Xiaoqin. Then you go back and be careful. It's dark. Drive safely. Lu Shuangshuang sent Xiaoqin to the door like a girlfriend. Although she knew that Xiaoqin was a warrior and would definitely be very safe, she still couldn't help but say a few more words. Even she didn't know why. Okay, you go back and lock the door. Don't worry about me. Call me if there's anything. Xiaoqin waved his hand at her. Lu Shuangshuang looked at Xiaoqin. Suddenly, there was a reluctance in her heart. She didn't want Xiaoqin to leave. Go back. I'm leaving, said Xiaoqin. I'll watch over you. You go first, said Lu Shuangshuang. Xiaoqin was slightly stunned. He then smiled and turned around to leave. From now on, there was one more person he was worried about. Even though he had not fallen in love with Lu Shuangshuang yet, Xiaoqin would always think about her in the future. It wasn't until Xiaoqin got in the car and drove away that Lu Shuangshuang closed the door and returned to the room. Grandma Lu looked at Lu Shuang with a smile. Shuang, tell Grandma, did you get a boyfriend? No way. Lu Shuang was startled. She blushed and quickly shook her head. Oh, you've never brought a boy home before. What's wrong this time? Grandma Lu laughed. Aren't I treating you? Lu Shuang cleaned up the bowls and chopsticks on the table. She pretended to be calm and said, he and I are just ordinary classmates. Really? I think Xiaoqin is a good kid and he seems to be from a poor family, right? I like him very much for being able to endure hardships. Grandma Lu said. Grandma, don't be fooled by him. He is poor? Lu Shuang didn't know whether to laugh or cry. He is the son of the Xiao family. You should have heard of the Xiao family in Songning, right? As for selling breakfast, it's just for fun. Have you seen the car he drives? A Land Rover worth more than 3 million yuan. Ah. Grandma Lu looked at Lu Shuang in surprise. It was a little hard to imagine. Then can he be so good to you? And he can cook? He is a special case. Lu Shuang said, forget it. Let's not talk about him. It's definitely impossible. He doesn't want me to be his lover. The son of a big family will definitely get married. Grandma, don't worry about it. Ah, that's a pity. That child is good. When Grandma Lu heard it, she suddenly felt a little upset. She was indeed very optimistic about Xiaoqin, but after listening to Lu Shuang's background, she put away that thought. Okay, Grandma, how do you feel now? You exercise on the bed first. I'll wash the dishes. Lu Shuang said. Go ahead. I'm fine. Grandma Lu said, this Xiaoqin is really good. He has good medical skills, good cooking skills, and a good person. How can he be a member of the Xiao family? His surname is Xiao. If he is not a member of the Xiao family, is he a member of our Lu family? Holding the bowl and chopsticks, Lu Shuang didn't know whether to laugh or cry. If only he were a member of the Lu family. Grandma Lu sighed. Lu Shuang shook her head and went to wash the dishes. Thinking of Xiaoqin, she suddenly felt a burst of sweetness in her heart. Xiaoqin drove home. Although he had asked for leave from eldest miss, he had been away for 1 day and 1 night, which made Xiaoqin feel somewhat uneasy. When he returned to the villa, he saw eldest miss Jin Beibei and Xin Jingxian sitting in the living room watching a movie. It was a newly released film and the three of them were enjoying it. Qing Minjing glanced at them and saw Xiaoqin. She couldn't help but say, Xiaoqin, where did you go? Have you been gone for so long? Jingxian rarely comes here and she wants to eat the food you cook. But you just disappeared. You are not qualified to be a servant. Be careful or I'll fire you. I was delayed by something. Have you eaten now? Do you want me to cook? Xiaoqin said in a hurry. After thinking for a while, Qing Minjing said, just a bite. Make some supper for us. No problem. Xiaoqin went directly to the kitchen. However, when he opened the cabinet, he found there were no ingredients in it. He couldn't help but ask, Yi Xiaoya didn't buy any ingredients? Don't mention it. I don't know what happened today. Before it was Jin Beibei and Yi Xiaoya who quarreled. I didn't expect that Jingxian and Yi Xiaoya also quarreled. Yi Xiaoya was so angry that she didn't leave the room. Since you were not at home, she naturally didn't buy any ingredients. Qing Minjing said with a bitter smile. Xiaoqin was slightly stunned. However, he knew why Xin Jingxian and Yi Xiaoya quarreled. Xiaoqin was a bit helpless because he and Yi Xiaoya were not in that relationship. After thinking for a while, Xiaoqin said, what do you want to eat? I'll go and buy it now. Glancing at Jin Beibei next to her, Qing Minjing said to her in a low voice, Beibei, you go with us. Help me buy some. Oh, wait a minute. I'm watching. Cousin Minjing, put some toilet paper in it first. Jin Beibei said. You. Qing Minjing was very angry. She came here today but the sanitary pads at home were used up by Jin Beibei last time. Besides, she quarreled with Yi Xiaoya so it was not appropriate for her to borrow some. Therefore she asked Jin Beibei to buy some for her. However, Jin Beibei was watching a movie and didn't want to go. Just tell my cousin-in-law to buy some. Anyway, he is not an outsider, Jin Beibei said indifferently. Go to hell. Qing Minjing was too embarrassed to ask Xiaoqin to buy sanitary pads for her. Then I'll go. Xin Jingxian stood up at this moment and said voluntarily. Jingxian, thank you so much. You're my guest. How can I let you go? Qing Minjing couldn't go by herself. She put toilet paper under her. Once she moved it would leak. It doesn't matter. We are good friends. Xin Jingxian shrugged with a smile and walked to the gate of the villa. When she passed by Xiaoqin, she didn't look at him and walked out directly. Xiaoqun was also a little unprepared. He didn't expect that Xin Jingxian would go out with him on her own initiative. He also heard the conversation between Qing Menjing and Jin Beibei, so he guessed what they wanted to buy. He wanted to accept it himself, but an accident happened. When they came to the yard, Xin Jingxian said nothing. She got in the car directly and sat on the passenger seat. Xiaoqun started the car and drove out of the villa area slowly. However, Xiaoqun didn't stop at the gate of the agricultural store. Instead, he stopped at a street that was a little farther away and had few people passing by. Why did you stop? Why did you stop? Xin Jingxian asked. Jingxian, I think we should have a talk. Xiaoqun took a deep breath and said seriously. Talk about what? What is there to talk about? Xin Jingxian snorted. I have nothing to say to you. Didn't you come out to give me a chance? Xiaoqun said with a smile. Who gave you a chance? I am helping Menjing buy things. Xin Jingxian said. I can also buy things for her. Xiaoqun said, well Jingxian, I know you gave me a chance. I don't want to hide something from you. Then tell me. I want to see what you can say to me. Xin Jingxian said disdainfully. There is really nothing between me and Yi Xiaoya. Xiaoqun said as he looked at Xin Jingshuan's expression. Sure enough, Xin Jingshuan's face changed. She was about to push the door and get off. Xiaoqun was shocked. He quickly pulled her back and said with a bitter smile, Jingxian, listen to me. If you lie to me, I will leave immediately. You don't have to look for me in the future. Xin Jingxian said coldly, I hate it when you lie to me. Well, in addition to you, I have 2 women. This time, Xiaoqun simply told the truth. Anyway, he didn't intend to hide it from Xin Jingxian. It was better to tell the truth as soon as possible. You admit it? Say it. Xin Jingshuan's expression showed that she already knew it. Tang Tang and Yi Xiaoya, right? Tang Tang is but not Yi Xiaoya. Xiaoqun was a little dumbfounded. Why did Xin Jingxian not let go of Yi Xiaoya? There's another one? Xin Jingxian frowned. Yi Xiaoya, in fact it's really not. Although the 2 of us often practice together, it's really not that kind of relationship. Xiaoqun explained. Do you need to sneak in the middle of the night to practice together? Do you need to take off your clothes? Xin Jingxian asked. Yes. Xiaoqun nodded. That's not a relationship? Take off your clothes. Xiaoqun, why don't you admit it? You just don't want to admit it? Xin Jingxian stared at Xiaoqun, a little annoyed. I admit it. She has 3, okay. Xiaoqun sweated. This is really forcing a good girl to be a prostitute. That's right, just admit it. Why don't you admit it? Why lie to me? Xin Jingxian seemed to be full of resentment. She raised her hand and beat Xiaoqun to vent her dissatisfaction. I know it all, but you still lie to me. Even Yi Xiaoya admitted it, but you still don't admit it. Xiaoqun was stunned. Yi Xiaoya admitted it? What did she admit? She knew that I am Xiaoqun? No way. Chapter 443. What are you talking about? You asterisk Shoal. You are so annoying. After hammering for a while, Xin Jingxian was also tired. She wasn't a martial artist, so naturally she didn't have that much physical strength. She held onto the suitcase with one hand and placed the other on the control panel. She just looked at Xiaoqun like that, and the resentment in her eyes from before became somewhat tender and blurry. What are you talking about? You have nothing to say now, don't you? Xin Jingxian sniffed and looked at Xiaoqun gloatingly. Xiaoqun, it is wrong of you to lie to me like that. You should have told me everything. I am not an unreasonable man. But I am so sad that you lied to me. What did Yi Xiaoya say? She couldn't have known that White Fox was Xiaoqun, could she? Xiaoqun looked at Xin Jingxian with a bitter smile. When did Yi Xiaoya learn about it? Could it be that Xin Jingxian spilled the beans? She quarreled with Jin Beibei. Then she said that she liked you and that she would help you out of your misery. She said that she would not let you continue working as Menjing's servant, Xin Jingxian said. That explains a lot. Xiaoqun did not know what to say after hearing that. Yi Xiaoya and Jin Beibei quarreled all the time. That's why she often said things out of anger. In fact, she did not know that Xiaoqun and White Fox were the same person. Huh. So, she only said those words out of anger? Xin Jingxian was slightly dazed. She said, so, your relationship with Yi Xiaoya was somehow tricked by me? You can say that. Xiaoqun thought to himself, how is this a trick? I was framed by you. You want to lie to me? No way. Xin Jingxian said. Are you going to lie to me in the future? I won't lie anymore. Xiaoqun smiled bitterly. That's more like it. Xin Jingxian turned to look at Xiao Chen. Suddenly her breathing quickened. Jingxian, what's wrong? Xiao Chen was dazed. Xiao Chen, kiss me. Xin Jingxian closed her eyes. Her long, curly eyelashes trembled slightly. These days she had been thinking about Xiao Chen. She had always been at a loss as to why Xiao Chen had lied to her. Now that the words were out, she could no longer suppress the feelings in her heart. At this moment she let it all out. She missed Xiao Chen very, very much. These days, every night when she closed her eyes, she saw Xiao Chen's shadow. She waited for Xiao Chen to explain things to her, but all she got was Xiao Chen's denial. No. She didn't ask for anything else. She just hoped that Xiao Chen didn't lie to her. But why did Xiao Chen hide it? Now, although under her interrogation Xiao Chen reluctantly admitted his relationship with Yi Xiaoye, no matter what, Xin Jingxian had passed the test in her heart. Xiao Chen was slightly stunned. He didn't expect Xin Jingxian to take the initiative to ask for a kiss. It surprised him, but how could he refuse? Goddess Xin untied the knot in her heart and used this kind of hint to reconcile with him. Xiao Chen naturally had to respond. Turning sideways, Xiao Chen gently pulled Xin Jingxuan's body into his arms. Then he kissed Xin Jingxuan's lips excitedly. This wasn't the first time that he had kissed Xin Jingxian, but it was the most emotional time for Xiao Chen. The misunderstanding was finally resolved. Or it could be said that the misunderstanding hadn't been resolved yet. It was just tacitly acknowledged. But no matter what, he had reconciled with Xin Jingxian. However, because of the previous incident, Xiao Chen was no longer satisfied with the status quo. He reached out and wanted to unbutton Xin Jingxuan's clothes, but Xin Jingxuan's body trembled slightly. She quivered and held Xiao Chen's hand. She said vaguely, "Not here. Someone can see. There's no one here, right? Besides, there's a film on the car." Xiao Chen was a little anxious. It wasn't because of lust, but because he couldn't feel at ease if he didn't get Goddess Xin. I came for that." Xin Jingxian told the truth. Xiao Chen sweated. This was too coincidental. A few days ago it was Tang Tang. Now it was Goddess Xin? However, Xiao Chen didn't force it. He had to stop. "Are you disappointed?" Xin Jingxian looked at Xiao Chen and asked. "No." Xiao Chen shook his head. "You underestimate me too much. Let's talk about it later." "You lied to me again." Xin Jingxian stared at Xiao Chen. "And that's a little disappointing." Xiao Chen didn't know whether to laugh or cry. "You see, I told you." Xin Jingxian nodded with satisfaction. "Let me help you?" "You?" Xiao Chen's heart skipped a beat. He looked at Xin Jingxuan's cherry lips. "Goddess Xin. The sense of accomplishment would be great. What are you looking at?" Xin Jingxian glared at Xiao Chen. "Are you thinking about something bad? Didn't you say you wanted to help me?" Xiao Chen was a little confused. How could it be his own thoughts? It was Goddess Xin who suggested it first. "I mean with my hands. Why are you looking at my mouth?" Xin Jingxian stared at Xiao Chen. "Don't think about those disgusting things. Did someone else do it for you?" "No? Well, I did." Xiao Chen looked at Xin Jingxian, raised his eyebrows and admitted it. Anyway, Xiao Chen could see it. No matter what, as long as he didn't lie to her, it would be fine. Sure enough, Xin Jingxian was not angry. She was just a little surprised. Then she shook her head. "If you don't want to, you don't have your hands." "I want to." "Of course I want to," Xiao Chen said quickly. "Then find a place without people. It's not good to be seen here." Xin Jingxian was a little nervous. After all, it was the first time for her to do this kind of thing. "Let's do it here." Xiao Chen set up an illusion casually. The scene outside the car completely changed into nothingness. Nothing could be seen. "I set up an illusion. No one can see here." "Really?" Xin Jingxian didn't believe it. "It's true. Unless it is someone stronger than me, at least a martial master, no one would be able to see through my illusion," Xiao Chen said. In fact, Xiao Chen said it casually. Even the existence of the martial master level might not be able to see through his illusion. Only cultivators at a higher level could see through it. However, Xiao Chen was a cultivator at the 8th level of the refinement stage. Even cultivators might not be able to see through it, let alone cultivators at a higher level than him. "Oh." Xin Jingxuan's hand trembled as she reached over. Her breathing became a little rapid, and her body twisted unnaturally. Dressed in night clothes, Hongzhu walked out of the pharmacy and quickly drove to the vicinity of the villa district, where he stopped his car near a highway. "It should be here. But why is it that my perception has become a little vague after arriving here?" Hongzhu strangely looked around the highway but found nothing. Frowning, Hongzhu quickly ran along the road. However, after running back and forth once, she was still unable to determine where that faintly discernible aura was coming from. It felt like it was on this road, but at the same time, it also felt like it wasn't. Could it be that there was a problem with my perception? But that shouldn't be the case. Could it be that there was an expert protecting me from the side? Or that person has already left? What's left here is only a remnant aura? There was no other way. Unable to find the answer, Hongzhu could only leave this place first. Wipe yourself. Shen Jingxian took out 2 pieces of toilet paper and threw them on Xiao Chen's body. Then she also wiped her hands. 5 minutes later, Xiao Chen and Shen Jingxian got out of the car. They walked to the agricultural store and picked some dishes. Then they got back in the car and returned to the villa. Jingxian, why are you so slow? Seeing Shen Jingxian coming back, Cheng Minjing couldn't help but complain. I thought you were in trouble. Maybe you went to a remote place to have an affair. Jin Beibei said with a smile. You're talking nonsense. Cheng Minjing kicked Jin Beibei and said, what affair? Can't you say something nice? You even teased Jingxian. Shen Jingxuan's expression was a little unnatural. Jin Beibei had hit the nail on the head. She had a feeling that Jin Beibei knew something, but she wasn't sure. She could only carry the ingredients to the kitchen quickly. While walking, she said, Xiao Chen, you cook. I'll leave the ingredients here. Xiao Chen nodded and walked to the kitchen as if nothing had happened. Jin Beibei suddenly pointed at Xiao Chen's pants and shouted, Cousin-in-law, what's on your pants? Xiao Chen was shocked. He hurriedly lowered his head and looked at his pants. Did he smear something on it before? However, there was nothing on his pants. Beibei, you must have been mistaken. I thought you spilled something. After saying that, Jin Beibei ignored Xiao Chen. She held Shen Jingxuan's hand and said, Sister Jingxian, will you stay here tonight? Of course I will, but I have to stay in a room by myself. I can't talk to you at night or I will be tired during the day. I have to go to school tomorrow. Shen Jingxian said. Oh, but Beibei wants to sleep with Sister Jingxian. Jin Beibei said. Then you can sleep with Jingxian. I'm sleepy too. I want to have a good sleep today. Cheng Minjing said. In fact, wasn't it because Shen Jingxian was here that she was excited and chatted until midnight every day? Anyway, the sisters always had a lot of topics to talk about. They talked about everything that came to their minds. Time flew very fast when they were talking. In the blink of an eye, it was midnight. Oh, that works too. Jin Beibei nodded. Shen Jingxian was somewhat puzzled. Why did Jin Beibei ask her to sleep for no reason? But she did not turn it down. She nodded and said, okay. Let's sleep in the guest room together tonight. Xiao Chen made supper very soon. Then he asked Cheng Minjing, Shen Jingxian and Jin Beibei to have supper. He was going to ask Yi Xiaoye to come with him, but after thinking for a moment, he decided to serve the supper to Yi Xiaoye alone. Seeing Xiao Chen's action, Shen Jingxian squinted at him but did not say anything. Cheng Minjing, on the other hand, found it strange. Xiao Chen, are you going to serve the supper to Yi Xiaoye? Xiao Chen nodded and said, yes. She does the grocery shopping every day. Since I made supper today, I can't refuse her. Chapter 444. The eldest miss didn't say anything. In fact, when she was at home, she had temporarily coexisted with Yi Xiaoye. It could be considered that she acquiesced to her existence. However, when Xiao Chen sent food to Yi Xiaoye, she was still a little uncomfortable. After all, what Yi Xiaoye said today was also very unpleasant. Upstairs, standing in front of Yi Xiaoye's door, Xiao Chen knocked on the door. Who is it? Yi Xiaoye asked curiously. Who would be looking for her at this time? The girls in the villa had just quarreled with her during the day, and it wasn't the time for double cultivation in the middle of the night. It was impossible for the white fox to come. It's me, Xiao Chen. Xiao Chen said, I'm back. I made some supper and sent it to you. Yi Xiaoye was stunned. She opened the door in surprise and let Xiao Chen in. She was surprised that Xiao Chen actually sent food to her. Cheng Minjing and the others asked you to come? And they didn't say anything. Did you quarrel with them today? Asked Xiao Chen. It's all because of Cheng Minjing. She scolded you for not coming back for a day and a night. I was a little angry when I heard it. You are not related to her. She thinks that you are her servant. In fact, why are you her servant? Yi Xiaoye said, I hate it when she is so self-righteous. Like a princess, she thinks that everyone has to listen to her. Actually, it's not that. Minjing is a very good person. When I was kicked out of my family, I was homeless. It was Minjing who let me live here. Although I have some money now and can move out, I don't forget the person who dug the well. I can't be ungrateful, right? Explained Xiao Qin. Why do you like to be her servant? Masochist. Yi Xiaoya was a little helpless. Even if you like her, you don't have to be like this, right? Girls hate yes men the most. The more you are like this, the more she will only treat you as a spare tire. Amichum. Xiao Qin smiled. I really don't know what to say. Yi Xiaoya shook her head helplessly. By the way, how's your cultivation going with the mantra I taught you? Nothing, it's still the same? Xiao Qin said. Well then it's fine. Don't worry, take your time. Yi Xiaoya was a little disappointed. In fact, she really wanted to help Xiao Qin, but Xiao Qin's physique might really have a problem, so it was useless. Xiao Qin went downstairs and saw that Qing Minjing and the other two were having supper. Seeing him, Jean Bebe waved her hands. Cousin-in-law, do you want to join us? I don't want to eat. I'm not hungry. I'm going back to my room to brew medicine. Xiao Qin had just brought new medicinal materials today, so he was going to brew medicine for his cultivation. Xiao Qin went back to his room and began to brew medicine. As for Qing Minjing and the others, after supper, they watched TV in the living room for a while and went upstairs to rest. Xin Jingshen was a little confused. Why did Jean Bebe insist on sleeping with her? However, the more inexplicable it was, the more uneasy she felt. She felt that Jean Bebe must have seen something, so she was very nervous. Bebe, are you sleeping with me? Is there anything? After entering the room, Xin Jingshen looked at Jean Bebe strangely. Oh, there's something. But let's take a shower first. We'll talk about it later when we sleep. As she spoke, Jean Bebe began to take off her clothes. The three of them had taken a shower together before, so it was not a big deal. Xin Jingshen did not mind. She also took off her clothes and said, I had my period today, so I can only wipe myself briefly. You go ahead. Okay. Jean Bebe jumped into the bathtub. Looking at Xin Jingshen, who was wiping herself, she suddenly asked, Sister Jingshen, do you think we should take some measures against Yi Xiaoya? Xin Jingshen was dazed. She did not understand what Jean Bebe meant. What did she mean by take measures against Yi Xiaoya? What measures should they take against her? Yi Xiaoya must like cousin-in-law. Otherwise, why does she always take his side and quarrel with us? Jean Bebe said firmly, if she continues to live in the villa, cousin-in-law may be seduced. Oh, I don't think so. Xin Jingshen did not know how to answer. Besides, even Minjing is not worried. Why should we worry about it? You're really not worried. Jean Bebe looked at Xin Jingshen. Not at all. Xin Jingshen shook her head. So, you don't like cousin-in-law anymore? Jean Bebe asked with a smile, word by word. Xin Jingshuan's heart skipped a beat. She looked at Jean Bebe, not knowing what she meant. Bebe, I have a boyfriend. I know, Jean Bebe said. So, aren't you worried? My boyfriend is White Fox. Xin Jingshen said. Yes, I know, Jean Bebe said. Aren't you worried? Bebe, what are you talking about? Xin Jingshuan's mind was in a mess. She did not dare to look at Jean Bebe's eyes. Alright, I'll be honest. Actually, I like cousin-in-law and don't want Yi Xiaoya to be here. Jean Bebe said. In fact, Xin Jingshen had guessed that there might be some relationship between Xiao Qin and Jean Bebe. However, she still felt bad when Jean Bebe said it. Another one? Sister Jingshen, are you angry? Jean Bebe asked. Why should I be angry? You and Minjing are so close. She won't mind, right? How about I ask her for you tomorrow? Xin Jingshen said. Then, are you okay with it? Jean Bebe asked again. What opinion can I have? Xin Jingshen said. Well, that's great. It seems that Sister Jingshen is very generous. Then let's continue to study how to get rid of Yi Xiaoya. Jean Bebe said delightedly. Bebe, in the end, what does this have to do with me? Xin Jingshen said, not knowing whether to laugh or cry. You really don't know? Jean Bebe looked at Xin Jingshen with a strange look. What do I know? Xin Jingshen was confused. Actually, cousin-in-law is White Fox. Jean Bebe said. Xin Jingshuan's body trembled slightly. As expected, Jean Bebe knew. But how did she know? Did Xiao Qin tell her? It shouldn't be possible. Even Xiao Qin didn't tell Qing Minjing. How could he tell Jean Bebe? However, Jean Bebe said it so confidently. It shouldn't be a lie. Besides, Jean Bebe's words had hidden meanings. She also hinted at her a few times just now and took the opportunity to express that she liked Xiao Qin, which made it impossible for her to refuse. Thinking of this, Shen Jingxian felt a headache. It seemed that Jin Beibei had dug a trap for her, but it was a trap that she had to jump into. Sister Jingxian, you still don't know? Jin Beibei looked at Shen Jingxian with a strange look. I thought you already knew. No. Shen Jingxian had to admit it. Beibei, alright. Actually, I like cousin-in-law too. We are allies now. Let's continue to study how to deal with Yi Xiaoye, Jin Beibei said. Wait, does Menjing know about it? Shen Jingxian asked nervously. Of course, cousin Menjing doesn't know about it. I don't know how to tell her yet. I can't compete with her for cousin-in-law, so I can only come here secretly, Jin Beibei said gloomily. Sister Jingxian, you are really fast. Shen Jingxian sighed and said, I didn't do it on purpose. Actually, at the beginning I didn't expect that I would like Xiao Chen, and I didn't want to compete with Menjing. I know. Hehe. Jin Beibei said, that's why I didn't drive Sister Jingxian away like I did to Yi Xiaoye. You certainly didn't realize how good cousin-in-law is, did you? Otherwise, you would have slept with him a long time ago in number 1 middle school. In fact, the story between us is a little complicated. Beibei, if you are willing to listen, I can tell you about it. Seeing that Jin Beibei did not mean to make things difficult for her or threaten her, Shen Jingxian was immediately relieved. In fact, she also wanted to talk to someone. She had kept this secret in her heart for a long time, and there was no one she could talk to about it with. She could not even talk to her best friend, Cheng Menjing. Now that Jin Beibei had seen through her, she felt much more relaxed and less depressed. Great. Jin Beibei said happily. Tell me about it. As for Shen Jingxian, she started from the time when Xiao Chen drove her home and showed her a different Xiao Chen. Then, when they fell into the ocean together, when Xiao Chen took her to the lone island, and when they accidentally slept together for the first time. From the beginning to the end, Shen Jingxian did not hide anything and told Jin Beibei everything. So that's how it is. No wonder. Jin Beibei had mixed feelings after hearing that. It seems that I can't tell cousin Menjing about it for the time being. Yes. I'm just a bit worried. I don't know if Menjing will hate me when she learns about it. We won't even be friends anymore. Shen Jingxian nodded worriedly. Beibei, what do you think I should do? I'm not as bold as you. I don't have the courage to sleep with my cousin-in-law. In fact, I kind of like my cousin-in-law too. Jin Beibei sounded envious of Shen Jingxian. But I'm too close to cousin Menjing. If anything happens, I'm afraid that I'll be exposed. Sigh. Shen Jingxian sighed. Now let's study Yi Xiaoye more. If she takes my cousin-in-law away, we will have nothing left. Jin Beibei said. Actually, there's nothing I can do about Yi Xiaoye. She is White Fox's partner. How can you stop her from staying with Xiao Chen? Shen Jingxian said. They are on a mission together. They will definitely have frequent contact with each other. You're right. But I don't want to see her either. Out of sight, out of mind. It'll be best if she can leave the villa and not wander around in my sight, Jin Beibei said. This villa doesn't belong to you. We are just tenants. How can you let her leave? Shen Jingxian said with a bitter smile. Beibei, sometimes it's not a big deal to take a step back. Huh? Sister Jingxian, you are indeed awesome. You hit the nail on the head. Jin Beibei nodded. Chapter 445. Right? Actually, it's not a big deal. Shen Jingxian thought that Jin Beibei had listened to her. However, out of her expectation, Jin Beibei said, That's right. If I were the owner of the villa, I could drive her away. I have to buy the villa. Pooh. Shen Jingxian was dumbfounded. What? Shen Jingxian was stunned. She looked at Jin Beibei in a daze. What kind of logic was that? She wanted to buy the villa? What do you think, Sister Jingxian? You think it's a good idea too, don't you? Oh, it was you who suggested it. So, you hate Yi Xiaoye too, don't you? Jin Beibei said. Beibei, it's not a good idea, is it? There's no reason to drive her away. Besides, Shen Jingxian did not finish her sentence. She had a big fight with Xiao Chen because of Yi Xiaoye. Now that they were on good terms again, Shen Jingxian showed that she did not care about it anymore. If she still supported Jin Beibei to drive Yi Xiaoye away, Xiao Chen would definitely be unhappy if he learned about it. For some reason, Shen Jingxian began to care about Xiao Chen's opinion very much. Is it really not a good idea? Jin Beibei found it a little strange. She had thought that Shen Jingxian would support her, but it seemed that she did not hate Yi Xiaoye as much as before. However, it did not seem right. According to her previous observation, Shen Jingxian should hate Yi Xiaoye very much. The way she looked at her was not quite right. But in the blink of an eye she no longer hated Yi Xiaoya? It's really not a good idea. Besides, if Xiaoqin really likes her, there would be no reason for me to stop him, would there? Shen Jingshen said, Bei, you're also from a big family. You should know that in the world of the strong, women are always the vassals of these martial arts masters. It's unrealistic to want to control and change their way of thinking. Why worry about nothing? Jin Bei nodded and said, I know. Sister Jingshen means that we have to do it, but we can't let our cousin-in-law find out. We have to do it secretly and no one will know. That's all right, right? Ahem. Shen Jingshen thought that Jin Bei had heard the first half of her words. She did not expect the latter half to be completely different. Bei, do you hate Yi Xiaoya that much? Shen Jingshen asked curiously. Jin Bei said angrily, it's her fault for always mocking cousin Menjing. When I was not here, cousin Menjing was always at a disadvantage when she confronted her. In fact, I don't have a grudge against her. I just feel unfair for cousin Menjing. It turned out to be because of Menjing. Shen Jingshen suddenly understood, but she was a little puzzled. Then why didn't you tell Menjing? Why are you looking for me? You still don't know cousin Menjing's personality? She would rather die than admit that she likes cousin-in-law. Whenever I talk to her about this topic she will pinch, kick and beat me to death. Sigh. Jin Bei said gloomily, but I thought that Sister Jingshen would definitely support me since she is already with cousin-in-law. I didn't expect that you wouldn't support me either. I really can't do anything on my own. Bei, I think you'd better not worry about it. Menjing hasn't said anything yet, and you are already helping her to drive Yi Xiaoya away. By then, if my affair. Will she send you to drive me away? Shen Jingshen was a little worried. No, she won't. I'll keep it a secret for you. Let's form the Black Leaf Alliance, Jin Bei said. I'd better not get involved. But I will support you in other matters. If you want to be with Xiaoqin, I won't oppose it either. Shen Jingshen said. Forget about my affair. You should prioritize cousin Menjing. Sigh, if Sister Jingshen wasn't cousin Menjing's best friend, I would also want to drive you away. But I don't have a choice now. Jin Bei said. Then I have to thank you, Bei. Shen Jingshen said with a smile. You're welcome. Anyway, I don't have the final say. When the time comes, cousin Menjing will have the final say, Jin Bei said. Borrow some money from cousin-in-law tomorrow. Borrow money? Shen Jingshen was stunned. To buy a house, Jin Bei said. Shen Jingshen was speechless. The two walked out of the bathroom while chatting. They dried themselves and were about to lie on the bed to rest for a while. Suddenly Shen Jingshuan's phone rang. Shen Jingshen glanced at it and saw that it was her father, Shen Jinghao. So late. Why is my father looking for me? Shen Jingshen answered the phone doubtfully. Dad, are you looking for me? Jingshen, where are you? Have you rested yet? Shen Jinghao sounded a little anxious. Not yet. I'm at Menjing's place. Dad, what's wrong? Is there anything wrong? Shen Jingshen asked hurriedly. Your grandpa is critically ill. Your second great-grandfather came out of seclusion in advance. Jingmao and I are on our way back. We called you before but you didn't answer so we left first. Make an appointment with Master White Fox and see if he can come back with you, Shen Jinghao said hurriedly. I was taking a shower just now. Maybe I didn't hear it. Shen Jingshen suddenly remembered that they were in the bathroom. The soundproofing was very good so they couldn't hear anything outside. I'll try and see if I can find him. In fact, Shen Jingshen was a little worried. Could Xiaoqin go home with her? His other identity didn't allow him to leave. How was she going to tell Xiaoqin? Okay, let's do it this way. I'll call your uncle and ask him what's going on, Shen Jinghao said and hung up the phone. Holding the phone in her hand, Shen Jingshen was a little absent-minded. Although she and Jing Mao weren't well liked in the Shen family, their grandpa was still very good to them when they were young. However, there were many outstanding children in the Shen family. When she and her brother grew up, they followed their father to Songning City and gradually lost contact with the Shen family. But now that she heard that her grandpa was critically ill, her memory suddenly floated to the time when her grandpa brought them to sit in the yard, watching the twinkling stars and telling them stories. He said that everyone was a star in the sky. When that person grew old and left, the corresponding star in the sky would dim. Now grandpa was critically ill. Could he make it? Shen Jingshen knew that her grandpa's health had been deteriorating over the years. But she didn't expect this day to come so soon. She found it hard to accept. Sister Jingshen, what's wrong? Why are you unhappy all of a sudden? Jean Bebe looked at Shen Jingshen, who was a little sad, and asked, Bebe, my grandpa is critically ill. I have to go back to the Shen family tonight? Shen Jingshen said, let's go and find Menjing. I can borrow a car from her. Grandpa Shen is critically ill? Jean Bebe was shocked. Then why don't you ask my cousin-in-law to go back with you? How can he accompany me? His identity is Xiao Chen, not White Fox. Shen Jingshen couldn't help but smile bitterly. Leave it to Bebe. Jean Bebe patted her chest and promised. Shen Jingshen was stunned. Jean Bebe had already gone out and walked to Cheng Menjing's room. She pushed the door open. Cheng Menjing was lying on the bed and playing with her tablet computer. Seeing Jean Bebe, she felt a little strange. Bebe, didn't you sleep with Jingshen? Why are you back? Hey Jingshen, you're back too? Menjing, my dad just called me. My dad is critically ill. I have to go back to the Shen family. Can you lend me a car? I have to drive back tonight. Shen Jingshen said anxiously. Cheng Menjing was stunned immediately. Jingshen, you want to drive back by yourself? It's so late. Even if it's urgent, it's not good, right? Why didn't Uncle Shen come to pick you up? I was taking a shower with Bebe just now. My phone was left outside. We chatted inside for a while, which delayed my time. My dad might not be able to contact me, so I left first, Shen Jingshen said with some distress. Now I have to go back by myself. But it's so late. It's so dangerous for you to drive back alone. Cheng Menjing said worriedly. Where's White Fox? Isn't he your boyfriend? Ask him to go with you. He's out of town and can't come back for the time being. I can only ask him to go there directly, Shen Jingshen said. I'll drive slowly. Why don't you leave tomorrow morning? It's so late. You haven't run long distances before. Can you do it? Cheng Menjing tried to dissuade her. I really can't, Shen Jingshen said anxiously. My grandpa was very good to me when I was young. Now he's critically ill. According to my dad, I'm afraid he can't make it this time. If I can't see him, I sigh. Cheng Menjing was in a dilemma after hearing Shen Jingshuan's words. Cousin Menjing, I have a good idea, but I need your approval, Jean Bebe suddenly said. Oh, what idea needs my approval? Cheng Menjing looked at Jean Bebe and asked curiously. Here's the thing. Actually, you can ask your cousin-in-law to accompany Sister Jingshen, Jean Bebe said. Don't forget that your cousin-in-law is an expert racer. Even if it's late, it's not a problem for him to drive on the highway. He is a transformer. Who can possibly run into him? That does make sense. Cheng Menjing thought for a moment. It was true that Xiao Chen was a good driver and he was a man. It would not be a bad idea to ask him to accompany Shen Jingshen. However, she was somewhat worried. Jingshen, will White Fox misunderstand you if Xiao Chen goes back with you? I don't think so. Isn't he your fiancé? He is White Fox's lackey. White Fox knows him. Shen Jingshen finally understood what Jean Bebe meant. She could not help but admire her. In the blink of an eye, Xiao Chen had a legitimate reason to accompany her. Also, it would not raise Cheng Menjing's suspicion. That's good. I'll talk to Xiao Chen and ask him to accompany you home. While speaking, Cheng Menjing picked up her phone and dialed Xiao Chen's number. Xiao Chen returned to his room and was about to brew the medicine. He had put in all the ingredients and set the time, when he suddenly realized that one of the ingredients was missing. Chapter 446. As soon as Xiao Chen poured out the medicinal materials and repacked them, his phone rang. He was slightly stunned. It's so late. Who's calling me? Could it be that Yi Xiaoye is anxious and calls me to ask if I want to have dual cultivation with her? However, to Xiao Chen's surprise, it was Miss Qin who called. Hello Menjing, what's up? What's the matter? Xiao Chen quickly asked. Xiao Chen, are you free now? Cheng Menjing asked. Yes. Xiao Chen felt a little strange, but he still said, what do you want me to do? Then come upstairs. Let's talk. Cheng Menjing said and hung up the phone. Xiao Chen went upstairs in a hurry and came to Cheng Menjing's room. He knocked on the door and Cheng Menjing's voice came from inside. Please come in. Menjing, are you looking for me? Xiao Chen pushed the door open and entered. What he saw was Jean Bebe and Shen Jingshen in thin pajamas. Miss Qin might not have taken a bath, so she was sitting on the edge of the bed in thick pajamas. Xiao Chen's nose almost spurted blood. If Shen Jingshen hadn't touched his nose just now, he might have spurted blood now. Shen Jingshuan's beautiful hair was messy, and her body was wet with water drops. The pajamas in front of her half covered her breasts, but she didn't notice it at all. After taking a bath, she put on a silk pajamas and was about to go to bed, but she received a call. Therefore, she ran over in a hurry and didn't notice the translucent pajamas on her. Jean Bebe was even more awesome. She was only wrapped in a bath towel, not even a pajamas. Because of the pressure of the bath towel, her breasts were white, which made Xiao Chen feel dizzy. Her breasts were even bigger than Tang Tang's. Sure enough, it made sense that she often said that her breasts hurt. Who wouldn't feel pain with such a big burden on their bodies? Jingxian Bebe, your breasts. Miss Qin looked a little unnatural. She glared at Xiao Chen and threw a pillow towel on his face, stopping him from appreciating their intimate moment. Ah! Jean Bebe and Xin Jingxian realized it at the same time. Xin Jingxian blushed. Although she and Xiao Chen had sex before, she was still a little embarrassed to be seen naked in such a situation. Although Jean Bebe was bold, she couldn't stand it anymore when it came to the real thing. She quickly jumped onto the bed and crawled into Cheng Menjing's quilt, only exposing her head. Then she said, "Cousin-in-law, it's done. You can see it now." Xiao Chen took off the pillow towel on his head, only to hear Xin Jingshuan's voice. "Hey Bebe, I'm not done yet. Why did you ask him to take it off?" Jean Bebe stuck out her tongue and said, "Then cousin-in-law, you can cover it again. I can just close my eyes." Xiao Chen closed his eyes, not knowing whether to laugh or cry. Who could have foreseen that he would see such a scene when he went upstairs? What had he done before? "It's done?" Xin Jingxian said timidly. She had put on a coat quickly, which Cheng Menjing had hung on the hanger next to the door. "Now, can you tell me what's going on? Don't tell me that you want me to come up and see you making a fuss." Xiao Chen murmured gloomily, "Although you're right, I still have to say that I'm a gentleman." "Enough, Xiao Chen. Don't act like you're innocent." Cheng Menjing glared at him and said, "I have something serious to tell you. I order you to accompany Jingxian back home." "Back home? Now." Xiao Chen was slightly stunned. Then he nodded and said, "Okay. Are we going back to get something? It's not the villa in Songning City. It's the Shen family in Lan City." Cheng Menjing said, "Is there a problem?" "No problem. But, why are you going so far?" Xiao Chen was a little puzzled. "My grandfather is critically ill. I have to rush back overnight." Xin Jingxian explained, "Xiao Chen, sorry to trouble you." "Oh, that's not troublesome." Xiao Chen shook his head, "Okay, no problem. Isn't it just being a driver? I'm a professional driver." "Xiao Chen, you have to protect Jingshuan's safety. Also drive carefully." Cheng Menjing reminded, "When you reach Lan City, report to us that you're safe." "Okay. Then should I come back immediately, or should I bring Jingxian back after everything is over?" Xiao Chen asked. "It depends on the situation." Cheng Menjing said, "If White Fox goes there then you can come back first. If not, you have to send her back. Or Jingxian and Uncle Shen will come back together." "Okay, I understand." Xiao Chen nodded, "Then I'll go downstairs to prepare." "Okay." It just so happened that Xin Jingxian was also going to change her clothes. Xiao Chen went downstairs. He was a little excited. Being able to return to the Shen family with Goddess Shen was actually a dream of his before. It was just that the timing was not right. Now that Xin Jingshuan's grandfather was critically ill, the Shen family must be in a state of anxiety. It was not good for him to show off. After thinking about it, Xiao Chen still brought his own herbs and some of the dregs from before. He wasn't sure about the problem of Xin Jingshuan's grandfather for the time being. Maybe the dregs could be useful. As for the other things, Xiao Chen didn't need to bring them. He sent a message to Yi Xiaoye, telling her that he had something to do recently and couldn't come to her for dual cultivation. When he came back, he would look for her immediately. Although Yi Xiaoye was a little regretful, she didn't force it. After all, everyone had their own things to do. Xiao Chen went to the living room after getting ready. Xin Jingxian also came downstairs. This time, there was no need to ask Cheng Menjing to borrow a car. Xiao Chen could just drive his own car. The two looked at each other. From each other's eyes, they read a trace of a different meaning. In fact, if it was any other time, Xin Jingxian would be very happy to go home with Xiao Chen. But now she only felt anxious. They didn't stop and directly walked out of the villa. When Xiao Chen was about to get in the car, he heard Elder Heaven Ancestor's voice, "Wait." Xiao Chen's footsteps slightly stopped. "There are devil centipede fruits in the flower bed." Elder Heaven Ancestor said. After hearing this, Xiaoqin hurriedly turned around and walked in the direction of the flower bed. This was the place where Yi Xiaoya planted plants every day. Before this, Xiaoqin really didn't pay much attention to it. After all, what kind of good medicine could be grown in a flower bed? Didn't those precious medicinal herbs grow in the deep mountains and forests that were full of heaven and earth spirit qi? However, there was a dazzling array of medicinal herbs in the flower bed. For a moment, Xiaoqin was dazzled. There were some that he didn't recognize, and he didn't know which devil centipede fruit was. The third row, the second one. Elder Heaven Ancestor seemed to know what Xiaoqin was thinking and directly reminded him. Of course, he really knew what Xiaoqin was thinking. Xiaoqin looked in the direction that Elder Heaven Ancestor was pointing. Sure enough, he saw 2 red fruits. They looked red and tender. One look and he could tell that they were delicious. Is it this one? Xiaoqin was afraid that he would make a mistake, so he pointed at the small fruit and asked. Yes, it's this one. Elder Heaven Ancestor said. I really didn't expect that there would be devil centipede fruit here. If I hadn't casually sensed it, I really wouldn't have found it. But this is Yi Xiaoya's thing? Xiaoqin was a little hesitant. If he didn't know Yi Xiaoya or if they were enemies, then Xiaoqin would have decisively plucked it. But now if he plucked it, would Yi Xiaoya be unhappy? Or perhaps this thing was also useful to her. If he plucked it, what would she do? However, there were 2 devil centipede fruits here. Xiaoqin thought that if he plucked one, there would still be one left. It should be enough for Yi Xiaoya for the time being. When he came back, he would explain to her. If it really wasn't enough, then he would cultivate it again. Thinking up to this point, Xiaoqin directly stretched out his hand and plucked the demon stalk fruit. The fruit was very beautiful, round and pleasing to the eye. Under the night sky, it glowed, making one want to swallow it with just one look. You can't eat it. After eating he. Elder Heaven Ancestor saw that Xiaoqin wanted to have a taste, so he reminded him. Xiaoqin was slightly stunned. Thinking of his situation just now, he suddenly felt that it was a little unbelievable. He really wanted to have a taste just now. The devil centipede fruit has a trace of magic power that can affect a person's mind. If you eat it, your whole body will be in a state of madness and fantasy. Although it won't affect you much, at least you won't be able to wake up for a while. Elder Heaven Ancestor reminded him. Then, put it in the medicinal ingredients, I'll drink it. Xiaoqin was shocked. This devil centipede fruit was really strange. He was already a level 8 refinement stage cultivator, but his mind was still affected by the devil centipede fruit. This thing, it seemed, was not ordinary. That's not a problem, because after taking this medicine, it will be more painful than before. Elder Heaven Ancestor explained, you are a level 8 refinement stage cultivator. You have to prepare for foundation establishment and begin to refine your body again, so the process will be very uncomfortable. This devil centipede fruit will produce a certain amount of hallucinations which will reduce a lot of your pain. This way you can relax a lot. So that's its use. When Xiaoqin heard this, he was speechless. Damn, I can endure it, I don't need this. If you don't need it, I'm afraid that you will be in so much pain that you will want to commit suicide. Elder Heaven Ancestor said, among the people I know, there are some who are useless and then commit suicide. Xiaoqin was stunned and asked. And then he endured it. Elder Heaven Ancestor said. Are you kidding me? Xiaoqin almost choked to death on his own saliva. His strength is higher than yours. He broke through from the foundation establishment stage to the golden core stage in order to become the strongest golden core stage expert. However, at that time, there was no devil centipede fruit to suppress the pain. Elder Heaven Ancestor said, but his strength is higher than yours, and his endurance is also stronger than yours. I'm afraid that you won't be able to. Forget it, no matter what, I've already got it. Xiaoqin carefully picked the devil centipede fruit and put it away. After reaching the Shen family, he had to decoct the medicinal liquid as soon as possible, otherwise, it would lose its medicinal properties. Chapter 447. Xiaoqin, what are you doing? Shen Jingxian got in the car and saw Xiaoqin talking to himself at the flower bed. She was a little puzzled and couldn't help but call out to him. I'm coming. Xiaoqin stood up and got in the car quickly. He said to Shen Jingxian, I want to see the medicinal herbs that Yi Xiaoya planted. You see, you still like her. Shen Jingxian said, such a big thing happened in my family, and you still went to see the medicinal herbs that she planted before you left. No, I stole something. Xiaoqin raised the bag in his hand and said, don't tell her. Shen Jingxian was slightly stunned. then she covered her mouth and chuckled. It turns out that you stole her things. What? She won't give it to you even if you ask her for it? It's too late. Xiaoqin said, let's go. After that, Xiaoqin got in the car. Because of such a thing, the atmosphere instantly became a lot more relaxed. Shen Jingshuan's previously hazy mood also improved a little. It was a little cold in Songning City at night, but Shen Jingshen still opened the window and let the cold wind blow in. It was as if only the cold wind could relieve her anxious mood. Are you very hot? Xiao Chen's hair stood up in the wind. I'm afraid that you're burning the midnight oil and your mind isn't clear. Shen Jingshen said, there are 3 lives in the car. You're pregnant? Xiao Chen was stunned and looked at Shen Jingshen with some surprise. Didn't she say that she was on her period before? Shen Jingshen unhappily glared at Xiao Chen. What I mean is you, me and the white fox, this isn't 3. You don't even understand a joke. It's hard for me not to think crooked. Xiao Chen smiled bitterly and closed the window. I'm very awake. I don't sleep under normal circumstances. I also need to cultivate. Shen Jingshen didn't say anything more and turned to look out of the window. The buildings on both sides of the road quickly disappeared into the night. The night in Songning was very quiet, without the hustle and bustle of the sleepless city. It was serene. Of course, this was because the villa area was surrounded by high-end residences, and there was no commercial area. The car sped through the night. On the highway around the city, Xiao Chen began to speed up. 100, 200, 260. The car was almost driven to the limit by Xiao Chen. Shen Jingshen looked at the blurry scene outside the car window. In the darkness, she could no longer see the surrounding buildings clearly. She felt like she was riding on a high-speed train. She could only see some vague outlines and the lights of the passing vehicles. So fast. Aren't you afraid of being fined for speeding? It wasn't the first time that Shen Jingshen sat in Xiao Chen's car. She didn't have much resistance to the speed because Xiao Chen's car drove very steadily. Oh, anyway, the owner is Li Shanning. He is dead and they can't blame me. Xiao Chen said indifferently. And? Shen Jingshen nodded. Don't worry too much. It's fine as long as we can get there tomorrow morning. Are you tired? If you are tired, take a break. I'll drive. You don't have to. Xiao Chen asked. I'll help you watch the road. Shen Jingshen shook her head and still focused on the front. Although Xiao Chen's speed was very fast, the scene in front of the highway could still be seen clearly. It was just that the place that was very far seemed to be reached in a short while. This feeling was very fun. Shen Jingshen seemed to have returned to her childhood when she was curious about the first time she took a car. Xiao Chen, what's wrong with the front? Shen Jingshen suddenly pointed to the front and exclaimed. In fact, Xiao Chen had already seen it, but he just didn't want to care. Not far ahead, a young girl was standing in the middle of the highway and waving her hand. Looking at her appearance, she seemed to be very anxious. Her face was a little pale and her figure was a little thin. In the cold wind of early winter, she was shivering and looked very pitiful. I don't know. Ignore her. Xiao Chen naturally heard that some late at night, a seemingly weak girl was sent to stop a car on the road. If you stopped, a large group of big men rushed up and beat you up and robbed you. In fact, sometimes it wasn't that people didn't do good deeds, but in many cases people were timid, especially late at night. They didn't dare to stop at will, especially in this wilderness. There were not many cars on the highway at night. There were no villages or shops in front of them. If something happened, they wouldn't be able to help. She looks very anxious and pitiful. Shen Jingshen said, Xiao Chen, everyone has difficulties just like you in the past. We shouldn't ignore her. Shen Jingshen was a kind person. Xiao Chen knew this before. At this time, after listening to her words, his heart slightly moved. In fact, Shen Jingshen had helped him before. If he refused at this moment, it would be a little unfair to her kindness. In the past, whether it was Miss Shen or Goddess Shen, they both risked their lives to race with him. If he was not willing to help others, it would be unreasonable. Moreover, Xiao Chen was now a cultivator at the 8th level of refinement stage. These ordinary robbers were no threat to him at all. Therefore, even if there was an accident, he could deal with it calmly. At that time, it was uncertain who would rob who. Okay. Xiao Chen nodded but still said, Jingshen, you are a kind girl. In the beginning, it was also this that attracted me. But I still have to say, sometimes if you are a girl outside, you don't have to worry about this kind of thing. What if she is a bad person? At that time, if you stop the car, she will bring a group of people to rob you. You don't have to worry about money, but if she wants to rape you, the consequences will be unimaginable. Do you think I am stupid? Xin Jingxian rolled her eyes at Xiao Qin. Her cheeks were a little red. I was thinking that you are in the car. You are so powerful that ordinary people are no match for you. So, what if this girl is really in trouble? I just want you to help her. That's good. Xiao Qin was relieved. It seemed that Goddess Shen was not unconditionally overflowing with love. He slowly began to slow down, and finally stopped in front of the girl who waved to stop the car. He opened the window and Xin Jingxian asked, "What's wrong with you? Do you need any help?" "My grandma is sick. She's in the village up ahead. But it's so late and there are no long-distance buses. I can only hail a taxi here. Can you take me for a while?" "Thank you," the girl said anxiously. On the way?" Xin Jingxian turned her head and looked at Xiao Qin. "If it is on the way, can you take her for a while?" Xin Jingxian had a feeling that they were in the same boat. Her grandfather was also sick, and so was this girl's grandmother. So she felt that she must be as anxious as she was. "The village ahead. Do we go straight? Do we need to turn?" Xiao Qin asked. When he asked, he paid attention to the girl's surroundings. There were no signs of anyone rushing over. Could it be that there was really an urgent villager nearby? "There is a fork in the road ahead. We will pass by Mingjia village, but after a turn, we will be able to come out and return to the highway." The girl said, "I beg you, I can pay for the car. Take me for a while. It won't take long." "You don't have to pay. Get in the car." Xiao Qin waved his hand. He didn't lack this bit of money. Now that he saw that there was no one rushing to rob the girl from behind, he believed her words. "Okay, thank you, thank you." The girl thanked him profusely. Then she opened the back door and got in the car. "You point the way. I will drive," Xiao Qin said to the girl behind him. "Okay, go along this road first. When we reach the fork I will tell you." The girl nodded quickly and said. Xiao Qin drove the car and the speed increased slowly. The girl sitting in the back was a little surprised. She didn't expect Xiao Qin to drive so fast. She looked a little scared. She crossed her arms and sat in the back. She didn't say a word and her eyes were fixed on the direction outside the window. "Don't be nervous. He drives a little fast. We also need to hurry. Are you alone in your house? Why are you going out so late at night? It's so dangerous. You know, if you meet someone with bad intentions you may be in danger." Xin Jingxian said to the girl. "Ah, sister, my father and mother are both dead in my house. I'm the only one living here. My mother is married, but she and my father are both infected with the plague." The girl said with some sadness, "Just now, I received a call from my uncle saying that my grandmother has an acute illness. I'm afraid she won't make it this time, so I rushed over so quickly." "So that's the case." Xin Jingxian sighed and said, "I won't hide it from you. My grandfather is also seriously ill. We are rushing through the night and we are driving so fast because we want to see him. I am also afraid that when the time comes—" "Ah, I see." The girl was slightly stunned. Her pale face seemed to be a little paler. Her eyes flashed with a touch of pity. "I'm sorry, I didn't know that you also have important things. How about you put it down for me? It's okay. It doesn't matter." Xin Jingxian smiled slightly and comforted her. "Anyway, his car is fast. It won't take long." "Okay." The girl nodded. "You're so nice. In a while, drop me off at the intersection outside. I will walk in by myself." The girl said. "How can that be? It's so dark at night. You're a girl. How can you walk in?" Xin Jingxian said, "Well, you don't have to think too much. In the car, guide the way." "And?" the girl responded. Her mood was a little down. Maybe she thought of her sick grandmother. She closed her mouth and didn't say a word. Just in front, when they were about to reach the intersection, she said, "It's in front. If it's troublesome, forget it. It won't be troublesome." Xin Jingxian said, "Xiao Qin, turn here." "Okay." Xiao Qin responded faintly and the car turned into the fork. The car drove forward. This was a dark path. There were no street lights on the highway before. Fortunately, Xiao Qin's headlights were xenon headlights. The brightness was relatively high and they could see a little more clearly. Chapter 448. However, Xiao Qin didn't think that there was a village on this road. This road was very desolate. There were no buildings around, not even fields. It was all barren. How could there be a village in such a place? In Xiao Qin's heart there was a slight doubt. In fact, Xiao Qin already had some doubts before, but he didn't say it. In his opinion, this girl should be leading them to a place where there was no one and then robbing them. Perhaps there were already people waiting for them in front. After all, on the highway, although there were few cars, there were always accidents. Maybe there were police cars patrolling or something, then these robbers would be unlucky. Therefore, it was better to lure them to a deserted place to carry out the robbery. In this way no one could see them at all. However, these were just Xiao Chen's guesses. He wasn't sure if it was really like this. After all, what if there was really a village here? Xiao Chen also knew that some villages were indeed in very remote places. The car continued to move forward. Sure enough, Xiao Chen's guess was right. Not far ahead, there was a village with a little light. This should be the village that the girl mentioned, but Xiao Chen always felt that there was something wrong. It's here. The girl pointed to the village not far away and said, "Thank you. Just stop at the entrance of the village." Xiao Chen frowned slightly and stopped the car. At this time, Shen Jingxian wanted to get off the car to send the girl off, but she was stopped by Xiao Chen. "Jingxian, don't get off." Shen Jingxian was slightly surprised. Xiao Chen turned around with a cold smile and looked at the girl in the back of the car. He said indifferently, "I don't care who you are or what you are. I've already done my best to send you here. There's a saying, you won't die if you don't court death. I hope you can understand its deeper meaning." The young lady's expression froze. Looking at Xiao Chen, a hint of panic flashed across her pale face. "Thank you. I'll be leaving first." After saying that, the girl opened the door and quickly got out of the car. Shen Jingxian looked at Xiao Chen with some doubt. "Xiao Chen, what do you mean by that? Is this a village? Take a closer look." Xiao Chen casually waved his hand and Yuan Qi spread out from his body. The village outside the window instantly changed. It was completely different from before. Ah. When Shen Jingxian saw the scene outside the window, her expression changed. How could there be a village outside the window? This was a graveyard. There were grave mounds and broken tombstones everywhere. There were also eerie white bones scattered on the ground. It was unknown whether they belonged to humans or animals. It was extremely horrifying. Shen Jingxian was so scared that she subconsciously leaned towards Xiao Chen. "The village you saw before was just an illusion. To me it was just a small trick." Xiao Chen said faintly. His illusion was much stronger than this. This environment could only confuse ordinary people or warriors with weak minds. However, it was too easy for Xiao Chen to see through it. The 6 senses of a cultivator were extraordinarily powerful. Xiao Chen could see through the problem at a glance. However, because of the girl's previous actions, Xiao Chen didn't directly deal with her. It could be seen that this girl still had a conscience. Otherwise, she wouldn't have asked Xiao Chen to stop the car again and again. She walked back by herself. This also showed that she didn't want to harm anyone. She could set up an illusion and even led people to a place like a graveyard. If she said that she was a good person, Xiao Chen wouldn't believe it. Therefore, he directly chased her out of the car. She could do whatever she wanted. It had nothing to do with Xiao Chen. However, just as Xiao Chen wanted to start the car and leave, the girl who got out of the car didn't walk a few steps. Her body stiffened. She turned around, walked back to the car and opened the door. The girl's action made Xiao Chen a little puzzled. Even Shen Jingxian was trembling at this moment. She looked at the girl in horror. This person actually came to the graveyard. Was she a human or a ghost? "Sorry, I saw wrongly. This isn't my grandmother's village. This is a graveyard. We just encountered a ghost wall," the girl said in horror. A ghost wall? Shen Jingxian was slightly stunned, but she had also heard of the ghost wall. Could it be that she really encountered a ghost wall? Because it was really difficult for her to associate the weak girl in front of her with a bad person. In her opinion, the girl in front of her shouldn't be a bad person. Xiao Chen stared at the girl coldly. He didn't say a word and just looked at her. At this time, the girl suddenly winked at Xiao Chen as if she was hinting something to him. "What are you doing?" asked Xiao Chen. "We seem to be in the wrong place. Turn the car around. Let's go back," said the girl. "This isn't your grandmother's house?" asked Xiao Chen. "No, turn around quickly." The girl's voice suddenly became anxious. "Can't we go around in front?" asked Xiao Chen. "No." As soon as the girl's voice fell, a cold wind swept through the car window, followed by a gloomy laughter. "Jia jia jia jia, Xiao you just lured the prey here and now you want to take them away? Do you want to betray me?" Accompanied by the cold wind, a woman's laughing voice sounded outside the car. "Grandmother?" The girl lowered her head. Her whole body was trembling. She didn't dare to look up. This was a strong evil aura. So, Xiao Chen didn't dare to have the slightest neglect. Xiao Chen didn't expect that there would be evil cultivators here. Moreover, Their strength shouldn't be low. Jingxian, you stay in the car. Don't go out. I'll go down and take a look, Xiao Qin said decisively. Then his body surged with true qi. He was about to activate the dark flame palm. He stared coldly at the girl in the back of the car. If that's the case, I'll get rid of you first. No, don't. The girl suddenly trembled in fear. Don't kill me. I'm scared, Xiao Qin, don't kill her. She's quite pitiful. She must have been threatened by the person outside. Before, she didn't listen to us and turned around to leave. Jingxian quickly reached out to stop Xiao Qin. All right. Xiao Qin thought for a moment. This girl still had some conscience. Moreover, this girl obviously shouldn't be a threat. So, Xiao Qin didn't pay any more attention to her. He directly pushed the door open and got out of the car. He looked not far away. It was a woman wearing a black conical bamboo hat. Her appearance couldn't be seen clearly, and her age couldn't be determined either. Her entire body was emitting a black aura, and in her hand was a skull. It looked as terrifying as one could imagine. Kid, you're not simple. Jejia. You can actually see through my illusion. The black bamboo hat woman looked at Xiao Qin coldly. Evil cultivator? Xiao Qin was not afraid in the slightest. Her attire could at most scare ordinary people. She must be dreaming if she thought she could scare a cultivator like Xiao Qin. You know about evil cultivators? The black bamboo hat woman was slightly stunned. You're a martial cultivator? What do you think? Xiao Qin didn't answer. Instead he asked. It's just right. The blood of a martial cultivator is the best nourishment for me. Kid, it's your honor to die under my skirt. The black bamboo hat woman waved her hand. A cloud of black mist flew toward Xiao Qin. What the hell is this? Xiao Qin easily dodged the black bamboo hat woman's attack. However, at this moment he clearly saw the black bamboo hat woman's strength. Evil cultivator with stage 10 inner force. You're quite nimble. The black bamboo hat woman sneered disdainfully. Because Xiao Qin didn't use any martial arts, he didn't show any inner force. She couldn't judge Xiao Qin's specific strength just by hiding. Therefore she thought he was only at stage 4 or 5 inner force. Dark flame palm. Xiao Qin didn't bother dealing with her at all. Taking advantage of the time she was taunting him, he activated his highest level martial technique. It was equivalent to a martial technique at the peak of the 9th stage of inner strength, and smashed towards the woman in the black bamboo hat. Bastard. The black bamboo hat woman's voice changed and became a little sharp. She realized something was wrong and suddenly retreated. However, she was still hit by Xiao Qin's palm. Even though it wasn't serious, she suddenly spat out a mouthful of blood. Peak of stage 9 inner force, evil cultivator. Another palm. Xiao Qin sneered and continued to use his martial arts. He thought to himself, this black bamboo hat woman's reaction is much faster than that elder Shishan. It's impolite not to reciprocate. Corpse soldiers attack him but don't kill him. I want to suck his blood myself. The black bamboo hat woman sneered and gave an order to something. As soon as the black bamboo hat woman's voice fell, the graves next to her began to crack in the blink of an eye. From inside, rotten bones crawled out. The bones, which were the so-called corpse soldiers, crawled out of the graves and surrounded Xiao Qin from all directions. They bared their fangs and brandished their claws, with a strange aura, as if they wanted to devour Xiao Qin. Dark flame palm. Xiao Qin waved his hand at the corpse soldiers in front of him. With a loud bang, a few of the corpse soldiers were instantly knocked down and turned into a pile of scattered bones. But to Xiao Qin's surprise, those skeletons that were scattered on the ground actually did not die. Instead, they once again gathered and reassembled, turning into corpse soldiers that surrounded him once again. Don't waste your energy. Just surrender. The black bamboo hat woman sneered and looked at Xiao Qin. Grandma, they're good people. Let them go. At this time, the girl from before suddenly walked out of the car and begged the black bamboo hat woman, Grandma, don't hurt people anymore. They are not bad people. Just now, you wanted to let them go in private. I haven't settled the score with you yet. How dare you talk nonsense with me? The black bamboo hat woman glared at the girl named Xiaoyu. Mind your own business. Chapter 449. But, they are really good people and he is not a pervert. Those perverts that were lured here were killed by you, but he is not, he is a good person. The girl's voice trembled as she begged while crying, This is not right. You're rebelling, aren't you? You're just a little cultivator, how dare you order me? Do you want to die? The woman in the black bamboo hat scolded, stay aside, I'll deal with you later. Xiao Chen took advantage of the opportunity when the woman in the black bamboo hat and the girl were talking to each other to quickly think of countermeasures. Although these skeleton soldiers did not have much attack power, a strong man could not stand against so many people, especially when these things could not be killed. After being killed, they would instantly revive with full health. This was simply the existence of a bug. If not for these things, he would still have the strength to fight with the woman in the black bamboo hat, but now he could not even deal with these corpse soldiers. Just as he defeated one side, the other side revived, giving Xiao Chen a headache. What should he do? What should he do? Is there any cultivator's ability that can restrain them? Suddenly, Xiao Chen's peripheral vision locked onto a broken tombstone behind the woman in the black bamboo hat not far away. A sneer flashed across the corner of Xiao Chen's mouth. That half of the tombstone slowly rose into the air, and the sharp edge of the broken tombstone happened to be aimed at the woman in the black bamboo hat. Go to hell, Xiao Chen cursed in his heart. That tombstone suddenly stabbed toward the woman in the black bamboo hat, and with a poochie sound, the tombstone pierced through the woman in the black bamboo hat. Ouch! The woman in the black bamboo hat screamed. At this moment, half of her attention was on the corpse soldiers. She had to control these corpse soldiers to attack Xiao Chen, and the other half of her attention was on the girl, Xiaoyu. She was talking to Xiaoyu, and she did not use her evil energy to protect her body, so she was not on guard at all. Even in her dreams, she did not expect that half of the tombstone would fly behind her and pierce through her. There was indeed a connection between the woman in the black bamboo hat and the corpse soldiers. After she was injured, the corpse soldiers all stood still and did not attack Xiao Chen. They just stood there meaninglessly. Taking advantage of this opportunity, Xiao Chen sent out a dark flame palm, smashing all the corpse soldiers in front of him, and prepared to deal with the woman in the black bamboo hat. But the woman in the black bamboo hat was not stupid. After being pierced by the tombstone, she did not die, but she did not continue to fight. She got up, gritted her teeth and ran away. While running, she sneered and shouted, just you, I, the old corpse, will never let you go. Next time I will take your life. Clearly, this woman was very familiar with this area. In the blink of an eye, she disappeared without a trace. Xiao Chen wanted to chase after her, but after thinking about it, he decided against it. After thinking about it again and again, he turned around and walked to the car. After all, Xin Jingxian was still in the car. If he did not catch her, the woman in the black bamboo hat would come back and kill him. At that time, it would be too late for Xiao Chen to regret it. Xiao Chen got in the car and asked Xin Jingxian, Jingxian, are you scared? It's okay now. It's all over. It's okay. Xin Jingxian was also relieved. Just now she was also scared to death. The woman in the black bamboo hat was so powerful that she could control the bones to form corpse soldiers. This was simply unheard of. On the other hand, Xiao Chen did not find it strange. These evil cultivators had very strange methods. This was nothing. As for whether the woman in the black bamboo hat was dead or not, he did not think about it. It did not have much to do with him. Xiao Chen wanted to start the car and leave, but Xin Jingxian said, Xiao Chen, that Xiaoyu is very pitiful. Let's take her away. Xiaoyu? Xiao Chen turned his head and looked out the window. The girl was standing in the same place. He hesitated for a moment, then nodded, opened the window and said, you can get in the car with me. If it weren't for the girl's good heart and the fact that she helped him at the critical moment, Xiao Chen would have ignored her even if he didn't kill her. Oh. The girl nodded quickly, ran over, opened the door and got in the car. Tell me what's going on. Who was that granny just now, the old corpse of the West Mountain? And who are you? Why are you with her? Xiao Chen asked. I'm sorry, I'm really sorry. You're good people. I shouldn't have lied to you. Xiaoyu lowered her head and was a little nervous. She did not dare to look at Xiao Chen and just kept apologizing. I want to know the reason, not apologize. If you don't tell me, I don't mind killing you, Xiao Chen said. The old corpse of Shishan can run away, but do you think you can run away by yourself? Xiaoyu shook her head and said, my name is Nie Xiaoyu, I'm a ghost cultivator and I'm controlled by Grandma. Nie Xiaoyu? Xiao Chen was slightly stunned. What's your relationship with Nie Xiao Chen? Nie Xiaoyu was stunned for a long time, then said, nothing. Oh, it's okay. Go on. Xiao Chen nodded and said, how did she control you? I'm a ghost cultivator. A wisp of my primordial spirit is controlled by Grandma. I have to listen to her. If I don't listen to her, she will destroy my soul. Nie Xiaoyu said, so, under her coercion I helped her deceive people to come here and let her suck my essence and blood. Wait, what is a ghost cultivator? Also, your primordial spirit is controlled by her. What about now? If you go with us, aren't you afraid that she will take revenge on you? Xiaochen asked. Ghost cultivator? Nie Xiaoyu hesitated for a moment and said, actually, I'm a dead person. Do you believe it? Xiaochen was slightly stunned. A dead person? Nie Xiaoyu was a dead person? Xiaochen's gaze suddenly froze when he looked at her. Sure enough, there was a cold aura on Nie Xiaoyu's body, and there was no vitality. No wonder her face was so pale. However, it was Xiaochen's first time hearing the term ghost cultivator. He didn't know what kind of martial artist it belonged to, or was it a different kind? I believe it. In other words, martial artists who cultivate dead people are called ghost cultivators? Xiaochen asked. No. Dead people can't cultivate. Nie Xiaoyu shook her head and said, I was killed after I cultivated the mental cultivation method of ghost cultivators so I could continue to cultivate. Normal dead people can't cultivate. In fact, ghost cultivators are also a branch of evil cultivators, or a branch of demonic cultivators. However, the key point is to put oneself in a desperate situation and then come back to life. However, there are very few people who really succeed in cultivating it. Generally, death is death and they will never come back to life, let alone cultivate. Hearing Nie Xiaoyu's words, Xiaochen felt a little horrified, but he still roughly understood her situation. He nodded and said, in other words, you are now a living dead person? More or less. Nie Xiaoyu smiled bitterly. Okay, then what about your primordial spirit? Xiaochen asked. Previously, a wisp of my primordial spirit was extracted by Grandma, the West Mountain Old Corpse. When I was cultivating, she extracted it when I was unprepared to control me. However, you injured her and she couldn't suppress my primordial spirit, so I took it back, Nie Xiaoyu said. Thank you. Otherwise, I would have been controlled by her to harm people. How did you harm people? How did she cultivate? Who is this West Mountain Old Corpse? Xiaochen asked. This was not the first time he heard about the evil cultivators of West Mountain Old X. There was the West Mountain Old Demon, West Mountain Old Man, and now there was the West Mountain Old Corpse. Where did these evil cultivators come from? Why were they called West Mountain Old X? Did they come from the same place? Do they have any contact with each other? Moreover, when Xiaochen walked out of Songning City, he realized that he was just a frog at the bottom of a well. In the outside world, there were more and more masters of Inner Force level 10. In just a few days he had seen 2 and one was at the peak of Inner Force level 10. She asked me to rob cars on the road and lure people to this place. Then I would lure them to get out of the car and hint that I like them. Many perverts would be happy to have sex with me. I would lure them to the graveyard that was transformed into a village, and then let Grandma have sex with them. She would suck their blood essence and after they died they would become corpse soldiers and be controlled by Grandma. Nie Xiaoyu said. You still call her Grandma? Xiaochen frowned. I'm used to it. Nie Xiaoyu quickly said. It's the West Mountain Old Corpse. I see, but it seems that you are still a kind person. It's not a heinous crime, so I won't punish you. I'll take you away from this place, but you have to rely on yourself in the future. Don't be controlled by these evil cultivators anymore. As Xiaochen said this, he started the car, turned the car around and returned to the Beltway Highway. The Beltway Highway was a section of Beltway Highway before the highway. There were several forks on the road that led to the city or nearby villages. Nie Xiaoyu chose to stop the car here so there would be a lot of people who were fooled. Especially at night, many perverts thought that they might have a one-night stand, so they became the food of the West Mountain Old Corpse. Actually, just now, I thought that you were good people, so I kept persuading you to stop. Nie Xiaoyu said, generally I will ask kind-hearted people to stop. I won't harm them again. In that case, why didn't you tell me the truth? If a good person like me insisted on doing it to the end, wouldn't I have suffered for nothing? Xiaochen asked. Not as persistent as you. Nie Xiaoyu said timidly, I didn't dare to say it. I was afraid that if I told you, you would beat me to death. You're a cultivator. Are you afraid of being beaten to death? What's your strength? Xiaochen asked curiously. Stage 5 Inner Force. However, my primordial spirit is controlled by the West Mountain Old Corpse, so I can't exert any strength. I can't even beat ordinary people. Nie Xiaoyu said weakly. Okay. Xiaochen's car quickly returned to the Beltway Highway. If they drove forward, they would reach the highway to Lan City. Xiao Chen asked, "We're going to Lan City. Where are you going? Where should I leave you?" Chapter 450. Whatever. It's better to go as far as possible. I'm afraid that the West Mountain Corpse will come back. I can't beat her. Even if she can't extract my primordial spirit in my normal state, she will still kill me. Nie Xiaoyu was obviously very afraid of death. It was possible that she had died once, so she was especially afraid of death. "Alright, tell me where to stop and I'll stop for you." Xiao Chen's car entered the highway intersection, and then he drove at a high speed again. Xin Jingxian, who was on the side, was amazed. Although she was born in a Jianghu family, she had never heard of cultivators. However, Nie Xiaoyu's experience was really pitiful. First, she was cultivated into a cultivator, then she was killed, and then she was controlled by the West Mountain Corpse. Therefore, Xin Jingxian did not have any resentment towards her. After a while, she took the initiative to talk to her. "Nie Xiaoyu, what did you do in the past? Why did you cultivate cultivators?" My family was destroyed." Nie Xiaoyu hesitated for a moment and said, "And I was also taken away to be experimented on cultivators. They asked me to practice mental cultivation methods first, and then they killed me. Maybe it was because my reaction was slow. I didn't wake up in a normal time, so they thought I was dead and threw my body in the wilderness. As a result, I woke up and quickly ran away, cultivating while running. If I didn't cultivate, I would die again. I wanted to take revenge for my parents. In the end, I met the West Mountain Corpse." Sigh. Xin Jingxian couldn't help but sigh after hearing this. Nie Xiaoyu's life was really tragic. She couldn't help but feel sympathetic. "Xiao Chen, can we help her?" Oh. Xiao Chen didn't know whether to laugh or cry. First of all, with his strength, it was impossible for him to avenge Nie Xiaoyu. The forces that could create cultivators were definitely not small. If Xiao Chen went, he would only be courting death. Moreover, he didn't know anything about cultivators. It was impossible for him to help Nie Xiaoyu cultivate, so Xiao Chen couldn't help at all. This. Xin Jingxian thought about it carefully and agreed. How could she help Nie Xiaoyu? "You are all good people, so I won't trouble you. Besides, you really can't help me much." Nie Xiaoyu said, "In fact, even I don't know who my enemy is." Huh? Xin Jingxian didn't expect Nie Xiaoyu to be so miserable. "Don't worry about me. I'm lucky to be able to live until now." Nie Xiaoyu shook her head. "You're all good people. If there is a chance in the future, I will repay you." "Alive? Aren't you dead?" Xiao Chen smiled bitterly. Hearing a dead man say that he would repay him, why was it so horrifying? How should I put it? I can be regarded as a living dead now. Cultivators pay attention to life after death. This life can also be understood as resurrection. It may be a little different, but I'm not much different from a normal person now, and I can still eat. Nie Xiaoyu said, "It's just that I feel uncomfortable when I see sunlight, and I will lose strength after a long time, so I'm more suitable to come out at night. You don't have to be afraid of me. I'm not a ghost nor a corpse." "I see." Xin Jingxian breathed a sigh of relief. Previously, she was a little afraid of Nie Xiaoyu and thought that she was very scary. Now that she heard what Nie Xiaoyu said, she realized that Nie Xiaoyu was also a normal person, but her cultivation method was different. "There's a fork in the highway up ahead. Just drop me off. I'll find a place to settle down first. This time I'll rent a house and focus on my cultivation. I won't go to a graveyard, a place with heavy qi just for the sake of cultivating faster." Nie Xiaoyu also learned from her mistakes. Last time, her primordial spirit was extracted by the old corpse of West Mountain there. "In front? Isn't it a little close? Are you sure? Don't let the old corpse of West Mountain find you." Xiao Chen reminded her. "Then where are you going?" Nie Xiaoyu asked. "We're going to Lan City." Xiao Chen said, "It's quite far from here. You should be able to live in peace." "Then let's go to Lan City." Nie Xiaoyu actually had no purpose. She was afraid of troubling Xiao Chen before. Now that it was on the way, she would go with him. Xiao Chen drove fast on the highway. Even though he drove very fast, Lan City and Songning were on the border of the south and north, so it would take a long time to buy a house. Finally, at dawn, Xiao Chen's car arrived at Lan City. After getting off the highway, Xiao Chen found a place to put Nie Xiaoyu down. Nie Xiaoyu couldn't see the sun for a long time, so she found a small hotel and stayed there. She planned to look for a house in the evening. Xiaoqin drove to the Xin family with Xin Jingxian. When they were about to arrive at the Xin family, Xiaoqin took out the mask of the white fox and covered his face. Since he had arrived at the Xin family, he couldn't use Xiaoqin's face to show others. It was better for him to use the face of the white fox. Under the guidance of Xin Jingxian, Xiaoqin drove the car to the front of a very magnificent manor. This was not out of Xiaoqin's expectation. In Songning, the Qing family was also this imposing. It was normal for the Xin family to be more imposing as they belonged to the real martial arts family. The manor occupied a large area. It obviously cost a lot of money to build it. However, Xiaoqin didn't expect that when the car drove into the manor, a modern atmosphere hit him. The entire manor was like a high-tech development zone, which surprised Xiaoqin a little. Didn't these ancient martial arts families like to live in those kind of antique houses? These people who practiced martial arts had an extraordinary fondness and nostalgia for those ancient things. In Songning, even the Xiao family was like this. The house was built according to the style of ancient families as much as possible. There were no tall buildings inside, at most no more than 3 stories, and they were full of martial arts atmosphere. The courtyard was the same, with rockery and gardens. Some modern street lights and driveways were avoided as much as possible. However, it was different here. After entering the manor, looking around, there was not only a spacious driveway, but also modern street lights and a modern farm. Is this your home? Why does it feel like a modern big enterprise? Xiaoqin asked with some puzzlement. The Xin family was not originally here. The Xin family wasn't originally here. This place was built according to Second Grandpa's idea. Although Second Grandpa's strength level was very high, he wasn't a martial artist when he was young. He even studied abroad. After he came back, by chance he entered the demonic sect and became an expert demonic cultivator, so his thinking was more modern. No one in the family could disobey his arrangements, so the family was built like this. Xin Jingxian said, "When I was young, I actually lived in a place similar to Meng Ying's family. So that's how it is." Xiaoqin thought that second grandpa of the Xin family was really a legendary figure. He became a monk halfway, but he was so powerful, just like himself. The car drove all the way and finally drove into the villa area. It stopped in front of a super large courtyard house. This was the residence of the core members of the Xin family. Those ordinary servants and disciples naturally could not live here. Only the people of the Xin family lived here. Xiaoqin parked the car and got out with Xin Jingxian. Xin Jingxian walked quickly to the courtyard house. At the entrance of the courtyard house, there were disciples of the Xin family guarding. When they saw Xin Jingxian, they were slightly surprised, but then they quickly ran over. It was a man in his 20s wearing a training suit. He should be a core disciple of the Xin family. "Miss Jingxian, my name is Xin Xiaolu. You are back. Mr. Jianghu said that you will arrive in the morning. When you arrive, I will directly take you to him." The disciple of the Xin family called Xin Xiaolu walked over and said. But his eyes fell on Xiaoqin. Because Xiaoqin was wearing a mask, Xin Xiaolu was especially vigilant. He asked, "Miss Jingxian, this is?" "This is my boyfriend Baihu." Xin Jingxian introduced. "He came with me. My father also knows him." Xin Xiaolu nodded and said, "Good, you can come with us. But in the inner courtyard of the Xin family, don't make a noise." "Understood." Xiaoqin did not object. After all, he went to the Xin family, so he had to follow their rules. Xiaoqin and Xin Jingxian followed behind Xin Xiaolu. They walked all the way to a relatively remote villa in the courtyard. But when they walked, they saw a woman in her 40s wearing casual clothes. When she saw Xin Jingxian, she was obviously stunned. Then she came out and said, "Oh, Jingxian, you are back? So it is Aunt, Big Aunt." Xin Jingxian raised her head and saw Tan Muwei, the wife of her big uncle. Her big uncle was a core disciple of the Xin family. Unlike her father, who was born from a concubine, his status was naturally not the same. And her big uncle's son, Xin Jingtian, was a strong contender for the position of junior patriarch. But now it seems that the situation has changed subtly. These martial arts families generally choose the junior patriarch after a generation. They will not choose the junior patriarch from the next generation unless the age gap is obvious. Because the lifespan of a martial artist is very long, generally speaking, a father and a son may live for the same amount of time. Therefore, the Xin family used to compete for the position of junior patriarch in Xin Jingmao's generation. But now, because of Xin Jingshuan's grandfather's sudden illness, it is possible that the position of junior patriarch will fall on Xin Jingshuan's father's generation. And the most likely candidate is Xin Jingshuan's big uncle, Xin Jingquan. "Jingxian, who is this? Your bodyguard? Tan Muwei looked at Xiao Chen and asked. Ah, this is my boyfriend White Fox. Shen Jingshen introduced. White Fox, this is my aunt. You can also call her aunt. When Xiao Chen was about to greet her, he heard Tan Muwei say coldly, I can't afford it. Jingshen, if you want a boyfriend, why don't you tell your family? With your grandfather's condition you still want a boyfriend? This matter needs to be discussed with the family again. The marriage of the Shen family's children needs to listen to the family's arrangements. Chapter 451. Ah. Shen Jingshen was stunned. She didn't expect that she would have to tell the Shen family that she had a boyfriend. Wasn't she a neglected person in the Shen family before? Why did Andy have to take care of this kind of thing after coming back? Xiao Chen's face darkened, but he was wearing a mask so others couldn't see it. He didn't expect that the problems in the Shen family were more serious than he had imagined. He originally thought that his strength was more than enough to match Shen Jingshen, but she didn't take him seriously at all. Of course, it could also be said that White Fox's name was only limited to Songning City and hadn't spread to Lan City. These people didn't know about him, so it was normal for them to look down on him. Alright Jingshen, you go find your father first. As for this White Fox, you are a guest in the Shen family, so you must follow the rules of a guest. Jingshen, arrange a guest room for him. Tan Muwei said coldly. This. Shen Jingshen was a little hesitant. She wanted to defend Xiao Chen, but she didn't know what to say. However, Xiao Chen just nodded lightly. Jingshen, take me to the guest room. Although he was a little disappointed, he didn't put Shen Jingshen in a difficult position. Xiao Chen originally thought that he could live with Shen Jingshen in the Shen family and enjoy a shameless cohabitation. He didn't expect that his dream would be shattered. If this old woman wasn't Shen Jingshuan's aunt, Xiao Chen would have sent her flying with a kick. Damn it, why was there so much trouble? However, this person was a member of the Shen family. If Xiao Chen had a conflict with her as soon as he arrived, he would be causing trouble for Goddess Shen. So he endured it. Alright, I'll take him to visit my father first, then take him to the guest room. Shen Jingshen heaved a sigh of relief. She knew Xiao Chen's character. This guy would kill if he didn't agree with her, but she didn't expect him to be so obedient, which surprised her a little. Well then I'll go to work first. Your grandfather needs someone to take care of him. Your eldest uncle has been taking charge of the affairs of the Shen family for the past 2 days. He's very busy. Tan Muwei seemed to be deliberately showing off. She deliberately said that Shen Jingquan was taking charge of the family. Shen Jingshen didn't say anything, but under Shen Xiaoyou's guidance, they arrived at the entrance of the villa and pressed the doorbell. After a while, the door of the villa opened, and they saw Shen Jinghao's haggard face as well as Shen Jingmao, who was following behind him, looking a little unhappy. Dad, how is Grandpa? Is it serious? Shen Jingmao quickly asked. I heard it's very serious. Shen Jinghao sighed and said, the Shen family's apothecary can only barely keep the old man alive. If we can't find a solution in the next few days, then the apothecary will be powerless and won't be able to keep him alive. It's so serious. Shen Jingshen said in surprise. However, Xiao Chen heard 2 strange words. It was said, so he asked, Uncle Shen, what do you mean by it is said? You didn't see it yourself? It's not that I didn't see it. Shen Jinghao said helplessly, I'm not the daughter of the main wife, so I can only be classified as a collateral relative in the Shen family. My eldest brother doesn't allow me to see my father, saying that I will disturb his rest. It's really worrying me. How can eldest uncle do this? Shen Jingshen was a little angry after hearing this. He is obviously your father and my grandfather. Why don't you let me see him? It's all because of Shen Jingquan. He's jumping up and down trying to get the position. At the beginning, Grandpa said that he wouldn't choose the young master from the 2nd generation, but now there's an accident, and he thinks he can get the position. Shen Jingmao said with some anger. In this period of time, he had paid a lot for the position of the young master. Especially his sister and father, they were trying their best to help him. But now, suddenly his hope was shattered. Shen Jingmao was naturally unhappy. Where is Grandpa? I'm going to find him. Shen Jingshen said, Jingmao and I are juniors. Can't we see him? Shen Jingshen said anxiously. You can try. Shen Jinghao sighed. This was also the reason why he wanted Shen Jingmao to get the position. He didn't want to go back to the Shen family. When he went back to the Shen family, he was always the one who wasn't welcomed. Everyone didn't put him in their eyes. This also caused Shen Jinghao's heart to be somewhat distorted and paranoid. He was brooding about the position of the young master and put all his hopes on Shen Jingmao. But now this matter happened. It made his heart feel a little stifled. Although his father's body wasn't very strong, he was a martial artist after all. It shouldn't be a problem for him to persist for 8 to 10 years. At that time, Shen Jingmao still had a chance to get the position. But who would have thought that he would suddenly become critically ill? This made Shen Jinghao lose all his confidence. He was a lot more depressed. "Jingmao Baihu, accompany me to see Grandpa," Shen Jingxian said with some eagerness. "All right." Shen Jingmao immediately agreed. He didn't do it for the position of the young master. He really wanted to see the safety of his grandfather. When he returned home, he stayed in the villa and didn't see his grandfather. "Your grandfather is still in his villa. It's the biggest house in the middle," Shen Jinghao said. Shen Jingshuan's grandfather was this generation's master of the Shen family. Although he was the second great-grandfather, the second great-grandfather rarely asked about things. He usually didn't live here. He was in another separate house and cultivated in seclusion. Together with Shen Jingxian, they went out of the room and came to the door of the biggest villa in the Sihiyuan. This villa was very luxurious and beautiful. It was taller than the other villas, which represented the power of the owner who lived in it. Shen Jingxian walked into the villa with Xiao Chen and Shen Jingmao. Of course, after entering the villa, there was not a room inside, but a large separate courtyard. It could be said that this villa was a courtyard. In the Sihiyuan there was a separate courtyard. In the courtyard there were some exquisite potted plants and some garden landscapes. There was also a small pond. The small courtyard was built according to the style of the old house of the Shen family. Although the second great-grandfather was a modern man, Shen Jingshuan's grandfather was a nostalgic person. Even if he didn't dare to disobey the second great-grandfather in the overall architectural direction of the Shen family's big house, he preserved the original style in his courtyard. Therefore, the moment they entered the small courtyard, Shen Jingxian was slightly absent-minded. This was exactly the same as the Shen family when she was a child. At that time, she, Shen Jingmao, and the third generation of the Shen family sat around the round table and listened to her grandfather tell them some interesting stories and life principles. At that time, there was no fighting among the younger generation. There was only the friendship of brothers and sisters. However, this relationship changed at some point. Everyone became wary of each other and even slandered and framed each other. Shen Jinghao soon took them away from the Shen family. Now they could only recall the beautiful memories of their childhood. This made Shen Jingxian a little sigh. How she wished that she could go back to her childhood when she was carefree. However, that was no longer possible. When people grew up, they would find that they had lost a lot of fun. After passing through a rugged path, the three of them came to the villa behind the courtyard. At the door, they could smell the smell of medicinal herbs being brewed. Xiao Qin brewed the medicinal liquid every day, so there was nothing wrong with it. However, Shen Jingxian and Shen Jingmao couldn't help but frown slightly. This should be the medicinal liquid brewed by the clan's apothecary. When the three of them entered the door, they were stopped by someone. This person was Shen Jingshuan's second aunt, Su Luhua. Different from Tan Muwei, she was also born in a big family. With this relationship, Shen Jingshuan's second uncle was also a strong candidate for the position of the head of the family. Although Shen Jingquan was jumping up and down, Shen Jingxin was also restless. These days, he had been thinking of ways to be the head of the family. Of course, pleasing the old man was one of his main responsibilities. He didn't have the status of Shen Jingshuan's eldest son, so he couldn't naturally win over the power of the family. Therefore, he started from the old man, hoping that the old man could say something or make a will to let him be the acting head of the family. Different from Tan Muwei's cold personality, Su Luhua seemed to be very enthusiastic when she saw Shen Jingxian. "Jingxian, you are back. Your grandpa mentioned you before." Su Luhua pulled Shen Jingxian with a happy face and said, "Jingmao, you are also here." "This is?" "Second aunt, this is my boyfriend, Baihu. This time he accompanied me to visit grandpa," said Shen Jingxian. "I see, but Jingxian, it's not that I don't want you to see grandpa, but the current situation is not optimistic. Your eldest uncle made a rule that other than him and your second uncle, no one else in the Shen family can enter the old man's room without permission, and he is now the acting head of the Shen family." Su Luhua shrugged her shoulders and looked at Shen Jingxian with a troubled face. This woman was not simple. Xiao Qin thought in his heart. She obviously didn't want Shen Jingxian to visit Grandpa Shen, but with a few words she focused the main conflict on Shen Jingquan, and they had nothing to do. She wanted the Shin family to have a conflict. At that time, all the children of the Shin family would target Shin Jingquan, and she and Shin Jingxin would benefit from it. It was a good plan. Second aunt, the Shin family is still under Grandpa's control, right? How can Uncle speak for Grandpa? As the children of the Shin family, why can't we visit Grandpa? If Grandpa said this, then I have nothing to say, but since he said it, I won't accept it. Who decided that he was the acting head of the family? Who authorized it? Shin Jingmao was hot-blooded, and he fell into the trap immediately. He said with righteous indignation. However, Xiaoqin didn't say it out loud. It was good to make a scene. The Shin family was too suffocating, and he was also not satisfied with the first branch of the Shin family. At this time, the second son, Shin Jingxin, came out from inside, and behind him was the first aunt, Tan Mui. Hearing the noise at the door, Tan Mui's face was a bit ugly. What's going on? Don't you know that Grandpa is bedridden? Why are you still making noise? Do you think the matter is not big enough? Chapter 452. Luhua, what's going on? It's Jingxian and Jingmao. Shin Jingxin glanced at Shin Jingxian and pretended to be confused. Second uncle, we want to go in and see Grandpa. We don't agree with the order of the acting family head. Shin Jingmao shouted. Rebellious, you're really rebellious. Tan Mui was furious. She slapped the door beside her and shouted, it's a special time now. It's reasonable that the acting family head doesn't allow us to visit Grandpa. There are so many children in the Shin family, both from the main family and the branch families. Grandpa won't be able to rest when it's so crowded every day. Look, Jingxian. Su Luhua shrugged and spread her hands helplessly. I want to go in today. Let's see what they can do to me. Shin Jingmao was anxious and wanted to rush in. You. Although Tan Mui was an elder, she wasn't a warrior. Shin Jingmao was a stage 5 inner force warrior. How could she stop him? Although Shin Jingxin was also a warrior, he didn't have any intention of stopping him. Instead he said, Sister-in-law, I think Jingmao is right. He and Jingxian are very close to our Shin family. It's right to go and see. You don't listen to your elder brother? Tan Mui said angrily. My elder brother is an elder. If he's right, I'll listen. But if he's wrong, I don't dare to agree, right? Shin Jingxin smiled. Grandpa didn't say who is the family head. Elder brother is just older. We younger brothers give in to him, but don't think that he can be a dictator. You? Tan Mui's face turned red. She stomped her feet and ran out of the villa angrily. Shin Jingxin and Su Luhua looked at each other and smiled. They turned around and followed Shin Jingxian and the others into the villa. They didn't need to do anything else. They just needed to keep provoking the relationship between others and the first branch. Grandpa is here, right? Shin Jingxian came to her grandpa's bedroom and pushed the door open. Shin Jingmao and Xiaoqin followed closely behind and entered the room. The room was very large and spacious. Just like the courtyard downstairs, it was also decorated in an ancient style. The wooden bed, wooden table, wooden chairs, and even the electric lamps were antique, the kind of lantern-shaped lamps painted with ink paintings. A tall old man with a pale face was lying on the bed. His head was leaning against a pillow. He wasn't unconscious, but his complexion was very poor. When he saw Shin Jingxian coming in, a glimmer of light flashed through his dull eyes. He said with a trembling voice, Jingxian, Jingmao, you're back? There were two people standing in the room. One was carefully checking the old man's pulse, and the other was on standby at the side. The one who was checking the old man's pulse should be the apothecary, and the one on standby was a disciple of the Shin family. This person was Shin Jingxuan's grandfather, Shin Shanhe. Although the old man's mental state was not good, his mind was very clear. Grandpa, how are you? Shin Jingxian looked at the haggard grandfather. Her eyes suddenly became wet and red. She ran over and squatted in front of the bed. She held her grandfather's hand and asked, Grandpa, how did you become like this? Weren't you fine before? When people get older, their problems come. Maybe one day there will be a problem. Jingxian, I haven't seen you for a long time. You've grown up. After Shin Shanhe finished speaking, he looked at Shin Jingmao. Jingmao, not bad. I heard that you were very brave at the Songning Summit. You didn't admit defeat in the face of a higher-level opponent. Not bad. You are a disciple of the Shin family. You didn't bring shame to the Shin family. Grandpa, but I still lost. Shin Jingmao was a little embarrassed. Grandpa, are you okay? How do you feel? I'm fine. Hee, when people get old there will be a day like this. Originally, I was going to choose a young master during the new year, but I'm afraid I won't be able to see it. Shin Shanha sighed. What I'm most worried about is the Shin family. I know the situation of the Shin family. If I go, the Shin family will be in chaos. Isn't there your second great-grandfather in charge? Shin Jingshin was stunned and then said, besides Grandpa, you will be fine. Your second great-grandfather came out of seclusion to take a look at me. When he realized that there was no hope, he went back. He doesn't like to bother with the trivial matters of the family, so. Shin Shanha said, and I've also let it go. If your second great-grandfather says there's no hope, then there's no hope. Grandpa. In an instant, Shin Jingshuan's tears flowed. She still had deep feelings for her grandfather. Although, perhaps because of some family restrictions after they grew up, her grandfather rarely asked about them. But in Shin Jingshuan's heart, her grandfather would always be the kind old man who told them stories when they were young. Silly child, it's human nature to grow old and die. I've already let it go. Besides, I'm actually not young anymore. It's rare for a person to live to 70. I'm already 90 this year. Among the warriors, my lifespan is relatively short. But compared to ordinary people, I've lived a long life. Shin Shanha said. Right, White Fox, don't you have medical skills? Let me have a look. Shin Jingshin suddenly thought of Xiao Qin. At this time it was like grasping at a life-saving straw. At that time, Shin Jingmao's serious injury could be cured by Xiao Qin. Then her grandfather must have a way. Xiao Qin hesitated. It wasn't that he didn't want to help, but the current situation of the Shin family was very complicated. Would these people let him do it easily? Young man, are you Jingshuan's friend? Shin Shanha raised his head and looked at Xiao Qin at the side. Why are you still wearing a mask in the house? What does this mean? Grandpa, because of the mental cultivation method he practices, his face can't be seen, so he needs to wear a mask. Shin Jingshin had thought of an excuse along the way. Because no one would ask in Songning, but when they came to the Shin family, there would inevitably be people asking. If there was no reasonable explanation, it would lead to unnecessary speculation. So that's how it is. Shin Shanha nodded. However, before Shin Shanha's voice fell, there was a sharp and mean voice outside the door. He doesn't have the face to see people. I don't know if it's because he's too ugly, or because he has a case on him. He came to the Shin family and still wore a mask. Jingshin, I'm afraid you haven't seen his real face, have you? It's better to have less contact with this kind of person in the future. The person who came in was naturally Tan Muwei, who had left in a rage before. She saw that the second family let Xiao Qin and Shin Jingshin in, and suddenly became a little angry, so she went to find Shin Jingquan for help. Sure enough, behind her, Shin Jingquan came in and angrily walked to Xiao Qin, shouting, Who are you? How did you come to my father's ward? And wearing a mask? Are you plotting something? I'm Jingshuan's boyfriend, Baihu. Didn't your wife tell you? Xiao Qin was really a little disgusted by Shin Jingshuan's pretense. On the way here, Tan Muwei would definitely mention him to him, but the moment he came in he pretended not to know him. Was he acting or was he trying to put on a show? Boyfriend? Who identified you as Jingshuan's boyfriend? Don't you know that Jingshuan's marriage is decided by her father? We don't even know you, and yet you shamelessly came to the Shin family? No wonder you're wearing a mask to hide. Get out. Shin Jingquan shouted at Xiao Qin, and he directly vented his anger at the second family on Xiao Qin. Shin Jingmao was a little anxious. Before he didn't think much of Xiao Qin, but after the summit he quite admired Xiao Qin. At this time, naturally he had to say, Uncle, Brother Baihu is a doctor that my sister and I invited. He can treat Grandpa. Don't be so rude. Doctor? He's a doctor? Tan Muwei was immediately amused. Jingmao, you're still young. Are you being deceived? Do you believe anyone who says he can treat a disease? Don't you know that even Medicine Master Tan of the Warrior Guild said he couldn't do anything? Do you think a doctor is better than my brother? Although Tan Muwei didn't come from a big family, her status in the Shin family rose because her brother went to the Warrior Guild in Lan City to be a medicine master. Although the Jianghu family wasn't afraid of the local Warrior Guild because they were all managed by the Warrior Guild headquarters, they had to respect the medicine masters in the local Warrior Guild and the Warrior Market. After all, who hadn't gotten sick or injured? Even the herbs used for cultivation had to rely on others to refine, and Tan Muwei's brother, Medicine Master Tan, was the chief medicine master in Lan City's Warrior Market. That's not necessarily true. Shin Jingmao's face turned red, and he didn't know how to refute. But Xiao Qin said indifferently. Although he didn't want to cause trouble in the Shin family, he wasn't afraid of trouble either. He was here to be a guest, not to be bullied. He was here to support Shin Jingxian, not to be the third grandchild. So Xiao Qin opened his mouth. Although his voice wasn't loud, it was unquestionable. Whether I know medicine or not, it's not up to me to say it. If I don't try, how will I know? Try. You really dare to say it? This time not only was Tan Muwei unhappy, but Shin Jingquan was also unhappy. Jingxian, take your friend out. It's okay to be a guest in the Shin family, but don't wander around. The Shin family is in a critical period now. An outsider shouldn't jump around. Uncle White Fox's medical skills are really amazing. Shin Jingmao was anxious when he heard this. When I was injured, he was the one who cured me. Oh. Shin Jingxin, who had been silent, suddenly said, if that's the case, big brother, why don't I ask him to examine Dad's illness first? If the illness isn't right, then let him go. But what if it's right? Why not give it a try? That's right. In this way, the Shin family won't suffer any loss. Su Luhua also said in agreement. No. If there's a problem, will you take responsibility? Dad's body can't stand being tossed around. If there's a problem, it'll be a big problem. Shin Jingquan shouted. Chapter 453. It's not like there will be any problems. Maybe he really has a way to cure Dad's illness. Shin Jingxin looked at his brother's exasperated look and felt that it was necessary to let this white fox take a look. Previously, the old man's illness was only seen by Medicine Master Tan, and the two medicine masters in the family were both Medicine Master Tan's disciples. Shin Jingxin didn't think much about it before. After all, he didn't know much about medicine. But now that he saw his brother's expression, he couldn't help but wonder if his brother didn't want his father's illness to be cured. If his father really couldn't hold on, then the biggest beneficiary would naturally be Shin Jingquan. So, this illness might be curable, but they joined forces with Medicine Master Tan to say that it was impossible. Second brother, do you have bad intentions? Shin Jingquan said angrily. Stop arguing, I'm not dead yet. Suddenly, a loud roar interrupted the quarrel between the Shin family brothers. The person who spoke was Shin Shanha. He glanced at Shin Jingquan and Shin Jingxin, and both of them lowered their heads in fear. Although Shin Shanha was ill, his prestige was still there. The two of them didn't dare to refute. Since this young man knows medicine, then there's no harm in taking a look. I've lived for so long and I've never heard of a doctor who could kill someone. This is Jingshuan's kindness, so there's no harm in taking a look. Yes. Shin Jingxin quickly said, is it a white fox? Then please let my father take a look. Thank you. Shin Jingquan still wanted to say something, but he didn't. He just snorted heavily and stood aside. Grandpa Shen, then I'll start? Xiao Qin smiled and walked in front of Shin Shanha. He said, I'll help you take your pulse first. Okay, young man, are you also a medicine master? Shin Shanha extended his hand and handed it to Xiao Qin to let him take his pulse. Looking at your technique, you should be a medicine master. Medicine masters nowadays are very rare. I know a little. Xiao Qin smiled as he felt Shin Shanha's pulse. But after a while, he frowned slightly because Shin Shanha's pulse was very strange. It was in a mess as if he was about to die. But it didn't seem like it. There seemed to be something in his body that was fighting against it. After hesitating for a moment, Xiao Qin asked, Grandpa Shin, were you injured when you were young? Isn't that obvious? My dad is a martial artist. How could a martial artist not be injured? Shin Jingquan heard Xiao Qin's question and immediately jumped up. She pointed at Xiao Qin and said angrily, Are you a liar? That's right. Are you a swindler? Usually, those doctors in the Jianghu would ask and deceive to find out about the illness. If you don't understand, then don't look at it. Dad, don't listen to this little liar. I will ask my brother to come again tomorrow. He is studying your condition. Maybe he will have a solution. Tan Muwei also followed and said, Big brother and sister-in-law, can you guys calm down? Shin Jingxin said, There is not only pharmacist Tan in this world. I see that this white fox's pulse feeling technique is very skillful. He should know medicine. Shin Jingquan and Tan Muwei both snorted coldly and turned their heads. Shin Shanha didn't expect his eldest son and daughter-in-law to be so distrustful of Xiao Qin. They still interrupted when he was diagnosed. He felt a little helpless. If he was healthy, would they dare to do this? When he was doing things, did they have the right to speak? But now he knew that he didn't have long to live. In fact, he didn't care whether Xiao Chen took a look or not. It was just that he couldn't let Shen Jingxian down. His body had always been weak, so he let Xiao Chen have a try. Hearing his question, he thought about it carefully. As a martial artist, he was injured countless times when he was young, so he said, "I have suffered a lot of injuries. May I know where White Fox is referring to?" "Grandpa Shin, the final injury on your body should be concentrated in this place." Xiao Chen pointed. It was Shin Shanha's liver. The reason why Xiao Chen did this was because he used his Yuan Qi to explore. Old Master Shin's liver meridians were stagnant and blocked, so he should have suffered a very serious internal injury. That's right. Shin Shanha nodded in surprise. Although he was injured countless times in his life, the injury on the liver was one of the most serious. When he was young, a famous master of the Shin family came to challenge him. He was injured when he accepted the challenge. Although he won and became famous after the battle, establishing his position as the young master of the Shin family, because of the injury, he hadn't fully recovered all these years. It also affected him to break through to a higher realm, so his body wasn't very good. After all, organ damage was very serious even for a martial artist. It's not a secret that my father's liver was injured. Everyone in the Shin family knows it, even outsiders know it. When my father was young, he challenged a famous master of the Shin family. Jingxian must have mentioned this to you, right? My father's injury is old, and it has nothing to do with the problem this time. If you don't have any new theory, then Jingxian, you should take him away. Don't disturb old Master Shin's rest. Shin Jingquan said impatiently. Shin Jingxian looked at Xiao Chen with some expectation, hoping that he could explain. But unexpectedly Xiao Chen said lightly, "I don't have any ideas for now. I'll go back and think about it." In just a moment, Xiao Chen had already finished talking with the Elder Heaven Ancestor, but the conclusion was not optimistic. Xiao Chen couldn't make a decision at the moment. This may involve some internal problems of the Shin family, so he didn't dare to act rashly. He planned to go back and discuss it with Shin Jingxian and Shin Jinghao. "You see, I said it's useless." Tan Muwei said sarcastically, "Even my brother couldn't use it. What can a young man like him see?" After listening to Xiao Chen's words, Shin Jingxian was a little puzzled. She looked at Xiao Chen strangely. She didn't understand why he didn't continue after asking a question. Instead, he said that he had to go back and think about it. Shin Jingmao was also a little anxious. He looked at Xiao Chen, hoping that he could come up with a solution. But Xiao Chen made a gesture to him, telling him to calm down. "Grandpa Shin, I'm sorry, your problem is a little complicated. I have to go back and think about it carefully. After I think about it, I'll come back and continue to treat you." Xiao Chen said. "What's there to treat? Jingxian, why don't you take him to rest?" Shin Jingquan directly asked. "Hee, then I'll have to trouble you. White Fox, if you think of it, come over. If I'm not dead, feel free to treat me." Shin Shanha smiled. Shin Shanha's words made Shin Jingxuan's face suddenly become a little ugly. At this time Shin Jingxin said, "Yes, White Fox, if you think of it, come and find me. I'll be here every day." "Okay, then I'll leave first." Xiao Chen nodded and turned to go out. Shin Jingxian and Shin Jingmao said goodbye to Shin Shanha and left the room. When they left, Shin Shanha saw that Shin Jingquan wanted to say something, so he closed his eyes directly. He didn't give him a chance to speak and said faintly, "I'm tired. I'm going to rest. You guys can leave." "Yes, father." A few people quickly said yes and left the room. On the way back to Xiao Chen, Shin Jingxian couldn't help but ask, "White Fox, do you really have no way?" "Yes, brother White Fox, you're amazing. Do you have no way?" Shin Jingmao also asked anxiously. "We'll talk about it when we get back." Xiao Chen glanced at the yard. There were many people here and there might be monitoring devices. Naturally, he wouldn't speak here. "Okay." Shin Jingxian nodded. A few people went all the way back to Shin Jinghao's villa. When they entered the door, Shin Jinghao was anxiously pacing back and forth in the living room. When he saw them come in, he quickly asked, "White Fox, Jingxian Jingmao, how is it? Did you see your grandfather?" "What did he say?" "I saw him. Uncle and second uncle were arguing non-stop, and White Fox also helped to treat Grandpa," Shin Jingxian said simply. "Oh, treated? Can he be treated?" Shin Jinghao asked eagerly. He was the person who didn't want anything to happen to Shin Shanha. If Shin Shanha was fine, the Shin family could follow the previously set trajectory. In other words, Shin Jingmao still had a chance. But once Shin Shanha was gone, the Shin family would be completely different. Their best fate was to maintain the status quo and run the Shin family's business in Songning City. If it wasn't good, they would be directly kicked out of the family and be no different from ordinary people. Xiaoqun glanced around the room. After the incident with Yu Xiaochuan, he was very suspicious of whether there was monitoring devices here. However, Xin Jinghao seemed to understand what Xiaoqun meant. He shook his head and said, I have checked personally. The house is safe. Don't worry. I have been guarding against other people in the Xin family monitoring me all these years, so I have my own way of finding these things. That's good. Xiaoqun said, Grandpa Xin's situation is a bit complicated. From his current condition, he is poisoned. Poisoned? As soon as Xiaoqun said this, everyone present widened their eyes and exclaimed. Xin Jinghao asked anxiously, how was he poisoned? Was it by mistake or? It's definitely not by mistake. He was poisoned. Someone must have poisoned him. Xiaoqun said, so I didn't say where I was at that time. I think the suspect of poisoning is there, so that's how it is. What a cruel heart. Xin Jinghao slammed the table angrily. Although he was ambitious and wanted Xin Jingmao to take over, he had never thought of murdering his father. But what about his brothers? They actually poisoned his father? What? White Fox, can we still save him? Xin Jingxian quickly asked. I haven't figured out a way to detoxify it yet. Xiaoqun said, how should I say this? Grandpa Xin's situation is very complicated. It is reasonable to say that he should have died long ago, but by coincidence he didn't die. Chapter 454. What do you mean? Xin Jingxian was a little unhappy when she heard Xiaoqun's words. My grandfather is blessed. How is he supposed to die a long time ago? Jingxian listened to Hero White Fox first. Hero White Fox, tell me who poisoned him. Xin Jinghao frowned and asked. Is there a need to ask? It must be Uncle's family. At this moment, Xin Jingmao directly said, when Big Brother White Fox was treating Grandpa, they kept stopping him. Moreover, Auntie's brother is a pharmacist and has treated Grandpa several times. Is it possible that he didn't notice that Grandpa was poisoned? So was Big Brother. Xin Jinghao said fiercely, you're really vicious and pretentious. Hero White Fox, you have to help us this time. Otherwise, once the old man is gone, the next person they'll deal with will definitely be me. It is certain that Medicine Master Tan could see that Grandpa was poisoned. As long as it is not a bad medicine master, anyone can see it. Xiaoqun waved his hand and continued, however, it's not easy to tell what kind of poison, how many poisons, and why he didn't die after being poisoned. If Xiaoqun didn't have Yuan Qi and the Elder Heaven Ancestor, he wouldn't be able to see it. But with this set of alloy fingers he could see the truth. How many poisons? How many poisons did he use? Xin Jinghao was shocked. It shouldn't be him. I guess there is more than one person. Xiaoqun said, that's because both of these poisons are highly toxic. There's no need to use two at the same time. Most importantly, these two poisons are fighting poison with poison. They're restraining each other and counteracting each other. If I'm not mistaken, Medicine Master Tan must be wondering why Grandpa Xin hasn't passed away yet. What do you mean? Someone poisoned him? Xin Jinghao asked. Correct, one of the poisons is very difficult to detect. Even an apothecary wouldn't be able to detect it. But I'm not an apothecary, I'm an adept, so I can detect it. Xiaoqun said, if my guess is correct, both Xin Jingquan and Xin Jingxin were poisoned. However, Xin Jingxuan's poison can be detected, but Xin Jingxin's poison cannot. Xin Jinghao, Xin Jingxian, and Xin Jingmao were stunned when they heard Xiaoqun's analysis. They didn't expect there to be such an inside story. Then, what do we do now? Will something happen to my father? Xin Jinghao said, White Fox Hero, do you have any idea? We can't let Xin Jingquan and Xin Jingxin's scheme succeed. It's very troublesome. The two poisons cancel each other out, but even if they cancel each other out, he should have died long ago. Xiaoqun explained, then the question is, why is Grandpa Xin still fine? What? Xin Jinghao asked with his eyes wide open. Because in his early years, his liver was seriously injured, and the nearby meridians were stagnant. These two poisons are concentrated in the liver, so the poison is in the liver. Because the nearby meridians are stagnant, the spread of the poison is slower. In this way Grandpa Xin survived until now. Xiaoqun said, however, it's very troublesome to solve it. These two poisons, if one is cured, the other will definitely take effect, but I can't think of a way to cure both at the same time. So that's how it is. Xin Jinghao fell into deep thought. The expression on his face was helpless and angry, but there was no way. Dad, let's go to Grandpa and expose him, Qin Jingmao said angrily. He didn't expect his uncle and second uncle to be so ruthless. Don't. Xin Jinghao and Xiao Qin stopped him almost at the same time. Xin Jinghao looked at White Fox with some surprise and said, "You first? Uncle Xin should say it first." Xiao Qin smiled. "Jingmao, you don't have any evidence now. If you go and say it, who will believe it? Your uncle and second uncle are ruthless. I'm afraid they will do something bad to you." Xin Jinghao said, "These things can't be believed just because you say it. Yes, the most important thing is that even if Grandpa Xin believes it, it won't do him any good. People with a bad liver can't get angry. If they get angry, it will accelerate the effect of the poison in the liver, and the time they can hold on will be shorter. At that time, I'm afraid." Xiao Qin didn't continue, but he believed that Xin Jingmao should understand. Xin Jingmao lowered his head. His character was a bit impulsive, but he was not a fool. After his father and Xiao Qin said this, he immediately understood that his approach was not realistic. "White Fox, then, can you think of a way?" Xin Jingxian asked with some pleading. "Yes." Xiao Qin nodded. "You." Xin Jingxian didn't know whether to laugh or cry. "I'll try my best, but this situation is too complicated." Xiao Qin planned to calm down and study with the Elder Heaven Ancestor. He wasn't very good at medical skills, but the Elder Heaven Ancestor was different. "Good. Then I'll first send you to the guest room to rest." Xin Jingxian also knew that she and Xiao Qin weren't engaged after all. If they lived together, it would cause criticism from the Xin family. It was better to let Xiao Qin live alone. Xiao Qin felt a little helpless. He had thought that he would be able to stay with Goddess Xin, but now his dream had been shattered. However, he did not insist. A guest should follow the host's wishes. He and Xin Jingxian came to a small house next to the villa. This was obviously a place for guests to stay, but they were not high-class guests. From the scale of the renovation, it should be specially provided for the distant relatives of the Xin family. After all, the house was built in the courtyard. Since he was already here, Xiao Qin moved in. He roughly checked the room, but there were no surveillance cameras or listening devices. He thought that the Xin family wouldn't be so bored as to monitor a guest like him. Besides, he came here at the last minute, and the Xin family didn't prepare for it. "Elder Heaven Ancestor, do you have a way?" As soon as Xiao Qin returned to the room, he hurriedly communicated with the Elder Heaven Ancestor. After all, Xiao Qin didn't want anything to happen to Xin Jingxian. It could be seen that Xin Jingxian and her grandfather had a good relationship. She was very concerned about her grandfather's illness, so how could Xiao Qin help? "You would definitely help." "I don't have a way yet." Elder Heaven Ancestor said, "Xiao Qin, I'm not a prop for you to pick up girls. Do you think I'm Doraemon, asking me everything?" Xiao Qin was a little speechless. "Elder Heaven Ancestor, you and I are master and disciple. Why do we have to be so clear? I'll help you fulfill your dream in the future. When I'm powerful, I'll do whatever you want me to do." "That's more like it." Elder Heaven Ancestor said, "All right, I'll think about it. However, his situation is very complicated and I might not be able to figure it out. If you were an expert in the foundation establishment stage, it would be a piece of cake to cure this poison. However, you're in the Qi refinement stage now. Even if you're in the 10th level of the Qi refinement stage, you're still far from the foundation establishment stage." "All right, then I'll have to trouble Elder Heaven Ancestor," Xiao Qin nodded and said. Xiao Qin settled down here for the time being, but the villa far away in Songning City was already in an uproar. Squatting in front of the flower bed, Yi Xiaoya widened her eyes and watched someone pluck a devil grass fruit. After a long time, she finally stormed into the villa angrily and yelled at Cheng Minjing and Jin Beibei who were having breakfast, "Did you touch my flower bed?" Cheng Minjing looked at Yi Xiaoya confusedly. Jin Beibei on the other hand said disdainfully, "Cousin Minjing, this person must be sick. She didn't take good care of her own flower bed, and she asked other people whether they touched it or not." "What? Have the weeds you planted withered?" "I didn't touch it." Cheng Minjing merely shook her head. "Yi Xiaoya, don't talk to me like that. I don't owe you anything. Even if I did touch it, the flower bed is the public property of the villa. What can you do?" "Fine. So, it was you who touched it?" Yi Xiaoya said anxiously. "Don't you understand what I'm talking about? I told you they didn't touch it." Cheng Minjing frowned and ignored her. She continued to eat her breakfast. Yi Xiaoya was a little upset. The devil grass fruit was still there when she watered and fertilized it last night. Why was it gone this morning? It must be noted that the devil grass fruit was very difficult to grow. Yi Xiaoya had gone through a lot of trouble to grow 2 of them, which were of great use to her. However, one of them had been lost out of nowhere. How could she not be anxious? Are there any surveillance cameras in this villa? Asked Yi Xiaoya. You are the first tenant to live here. Why are you asking me? Qing Minjing snapped. Don't think that you can do whatever you want just because I can't argue with you. Bebe is often stationed here now. I'm not joking. I really lost one of my herbs. It's very important to me. Yi Xiaoya also knew that her tone had been a little rude due to her anxiety. Therefore she said sincerely, Minjing Bebe, did you really not see it? We just woke up. Qing Minjing rolled her eyes. What about Jingxian and Xiaoqin? Asked Yi Xiaoya. Something happened to Jingshuan's family. They left last night. Qing Minjing said, if you think your herbs are important, you can sleep in a tent next to them. Alright, we have to go to school. After that, Qing Minjing and Jean Bebe left the villa together. They got into Jean Bebe's car and drove to school. Meanwhile, Yi Xiaoya was pacing back and forth in front of the flower bed gloomily. However, her phone suddenly rang. She had received a push notification from the warrior guild. Yi Xiaoya took a look. It turned out to be a mission for warriors near Songning City. Yi Xiaoya browsed through it. Not only did the mission reward points, but there was also a physical reward. It was to explore the ruins of an ancient sect. There are ruins of an ancient sect near Songning City? Really? Yi Xiaoya looked at the push notification in her hand curiously. With the development of technology, the ruins of some sects were not as difficult to find as before. You're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.